Logan is the eldest son of a noble family drowning in debt. Every maid fears him, and one glance at his wild expression explains why. One day, Logan tries visiting his father inside the family castle. The gate soldiers block him, declaring their prince unworthy of entry. To them, he is merely the former baroness's unwanted son. Everyone either fears Logan or openly despises his arrogant, vile behavior. Yet the man before them is no longer their familiar Logan. Irritated by one guard's posture, Logan pulls gloves from his clothes. He flings them into the guard's face, formally demanding satisfaction. This duel will repay the humiliation inflicted upon Logan, their prince. He calls the guard a true failure and lifelong mediocre soldier. Enraged beyond reason, Ronin accepts Logan's challenge on the spot. They enter the dueling arena and each take a wooden sword. Since knights wield aura, even wooden blades can kill weak warriors. Every witness fears for Logan, whom they consider utterly hopeless. Ronin charges at full force, pouring aura through his attack. Logan evades with exact timing, then strikes above Ronin's blade. The impact tears Ronin's weapon free from his failing grip. Shock grips the crowd. How can useless Logan fight like this? Still unsatisfied, Logan offers Ronin another chance to continue. Ronin stays grounded, staring silently at his injured hand. He cannot deny that his blow felt crushing and potentially lethal. He ignores the unanswered offer and delivers several punishing strikes. Each wooden blow repays Ronin for his earlier disrespect. The display leaves every castle soldier trembling with fear. Logan is clearly no longer the frail disgrace they remember. None of them can possibly understand what caused this transformation. At 40, Logan lives as a common soldier after McLean's destruction. Fellow soldiers mock his youthful duel defeat against younger brother Ronin. They cannot understand how that ruined noble ever became a soldier. After McLean falls, betrayal opens the kingdom to invading enemy troops. Every defender fights bravely, with Logan standing among them. Their courage changes nothing, and the kingdom's entire force is annihilated. He dies fighting on that disastrous day. Regret consumes him as countless failures return during his final moments. He remembers being monstrous and longs to beg his father's forgiveness. Suddenly, Logan awakens inside his room, shaken beyond words. He bears a head wound from losing his duel against Rania. He struggles to believe what happened and wonders whether he dreamed. No nightmare could carry memories this clear and painfully complete. Through the window, Logan sees McLean's castle from his youth. Rania enters to visit, already frightened by Logan's expected response. Rania trembles because Logan has always mistreated everyone, especially him. Logan remembers treating Rania like filth during this same visit. That cruelty ensures Rania never attempts to approach him again. Memories flood Logan's aching head while Rania shows genuine concern. The servants know Logan's cruelty, so Rick orders Rania outside. For once, Logan neither shouts nor lashes out. Speaking softly, he asks Rania to step closer. Both Rania and Rick stare, stunned by Logan's strange behavior. Logan tries praising Rania's strength, but the words refuse to emerge. Simple praise cannot repair years spent treating Rania like garbage. Instead, Logan embraces Rania for their first ever hug. He asks forgiveness for every cruel thing he has done. Logan admits he was horrible and tells Rania how remarkable he is. Nobody witnessing this reunion can keep their tears contained. After they talk a while, Rania finally leaves Logan by himself. Gazing outside, Logan knows with certainty that this is no dream. He has returned through time and vows to change, saving his family. Hammer, a household servant, enters by mistake and immediately apologizes. Rick follows and apologizes to Logan on Hamar's behalf. He insists Hamar's interruption was purely accidental. The groveling irritates Logan more than the harmless mistake. Now he sees how absurdly everyone behaves because they fear him. He wonders how miserable his former self must have been. He dismisses the incident and requests paper with several pens. Rick and Hamar panic at the possibility Logan might actually work. Once they return with everything, Logan calmly thanks them. Rick cannot believe his master has just spoken those words. His unexpected gratitude leaves both servants wondering whether they are dreaming. Once again, Logan confronts how vile his former self truly was. He asks everyone to leave him alone while he works. Yet Logan remembers the Empire's war will erupt in 10 years. His indebted, weakened family will be destroyed when that war arrives. He intends to transform both himself and his family's circumstances. An internal regional war also begins only 1 year from now. That conflict becomes the first blow against his territory's reputation. After writing and working tirelessly, Logan decides to visit his father. Along the way, every servant turns away to avoid his gaze. They know Logan could casually order their deaths whenever he wished. A laundry maid approaches carrying freshly cleaned clothes. Failing to notice Logan, the laundry maid tumbles onto the floor. The laundry maid freezes, certain her life has just ended. Instead, Logan gently reaches down and helps the laundry maid stand. For one breath, the laundry maid wonders whether miracles truly exist. Then the laundry maid looks directly at his unkind expression. Terrified, the laundry maid begs for mercy and flees without looking back. Logan understands that different behavior cannot erase his reputation overnight. After all, his usual smile resembles a bloodthirsty killer's grin. At Patrick's office, attendants announce Logan's request to see the Baron. His expression turns cold again as the meeting approaches. More than 20 years have passed since Logan last saw Patrick. Inside the office, Logan receives exactly the chilly welcome he expected. Patrick, McLean's patriarch, has no reason to respect his eldest son. He requests permission for isolated training on McLean's mountain property. His former life's memories contain everything needed for nightly training. Unfortunately, his present body belongs to a useless, lazy wreck. He also needs money to alter his family's approaching fate. Growing stronger will help Logan secure that money as well. Preparation is urgent because the expected girl arrives in 3 months. Patrick asks whether Logan is fleeing after losing against Ranyan. He denies it, admitting he is weak and has squandered years. He claims that he has finally chosen to improve himself. Patrick has already heard those same excuses too many times. He refuses because effort alone has never been his real problem. Given his past conduct, Logan should have anticipated this response. He admits his terrible behavior remains the greatest obstacle. This time, he promises Patrick that he will truly change. Patrick refuses another lie and orders Logan out immediately. The rejected request is simply the price of his past. Still, Logan confesses that foolishness and immaturity defined his life. He insists this training will become his first genuine step forward. Even the most resentful father struggles to abandon his own child. Patrick relents, declaring this Logan's final opportunity to change. As Logan prepares to leave, Patrick asks one last question. Does Logan truly believe 3 months can close Ronyan's lead? Logan firmly answers that Ranyan is not his training target. His true purpose is defeating the person he once was. After Logan leaves, Patrick feels respect for him after many years. Despite Patrick's silence, Logan notices that rare flicker of respect. That unspoken response proves changing himself is already worthwhile. He enters the mountains, planning to remain there for 3 months. He aims to rebuild his body and accomplish something far greater. True warriors channel their core's life force to defeat even dragons. 3 months pass as Logan trains beyond his limits every day. At last, he successfully creates a core within his body. In his previous life, Logan only achieved this at 40. The newly formed core lets him exceed his body's natural breaking point. On training's final day, Logan faces an enormous tree. He prepares to unleash the strongest technique he possesses. Gathering every trace of aura, Logan fills his sword and muscle. His strike tears across space itself before reaching the target. The enormous tree is sliced cleanly into 2 pieces. Logan gained this power only near his previous life's conclusion. Now he can perform the same technique while still remarkably young. Success comes with a devastating toll on his underdeveloped body. He decides the technique must remain an absolute last resort. With training finished, he can return home and begin changing everything. His first necessary change is replacing his filthy clothing. After 3 months outside, Logan smells worse than an open sewer. Back home, Logan heads toward Patrick's office to display his progress. Ranyan blocks him, claiming only direct McLean blood bypasses authorization. That refusal reveals how precarious his family authority has become. Logan immediately challenges Ranyan to settle the matter through a duel. Every castle guard watches as Logan effortlessly defeats the trained soldier. His overwhelming victory leaves the gathered guards staring in disbelief. The victory demonstrates his training and combat knowledge to every watching guard. It also warns other guards never to attempt Ranyan's defiance. Inside his office, Patrick discusses the confrontation with his son Logan. Patrick calls the display impressive and acknowledges Logan's awakening. He asks what occurred throughout his training. Logan never expected Patrick to be watching him. He explains that he abandoned greed and released every lingering desire. Maintaining that mindset eventually lets him feel force swelling from within. He knows the explanation sounds false despite coming from his previous life. Only abandoning family vengeance allowed Logan to become a force user. Even then, Logan did not awaken until after turning 40. Patrick marvels that such a simple revelation transformed his son. He openly admits Logan has truly changed. Yet Patrick seethes because Logan's first act afterward was attacking a knight. Logan insists Ranyan deserved it and asks whether soldiers explained everything. Patrick confirms they did, but considers Logan's response unnecessary. It was necessary, Logan counters, catching Patrick entirely off guard. Ranyan tried deceiving his lord's blood and publicly making Logan look foolish. Ignoring that offense would poison the discipline throughout McLean's rank. He understands hierarchy as the essential framework holding every organization together. Once that hierarchy shakes, the entire organization starts losing strength. 10 mercenary years taught Logan how dangerous groups of armed men become. Among them, order must be established decisively in one sweeping move. Today's punishment will become a warning for every other night. Patrick says Ranyan bears most blame for failing his duty. Ranyan also attempted to deceive Logan, worsening that failure. Still, Patrick considers Logan's approach dangerously risky and advises restraint. Logan cannot believe Patrick forgives him this easily. Patrick's lenience sharply contradicts the treatment Logan remembers from his previous life. Noticing his expression, Patrick jokes that Logan might prefer punishment. "I'm good," Logan answers without hesitation. Patrick stresses that Logan's actions were still wrong. He forbids any similar action without permission in the future. After all, Logan has not officially received his rank yet. He respectfully promises to remember his father's warning. Patrick then announces Logan's fiancée, Raven, will soon visit. The news initially makes Logan appear surprised. His reaction is actually pure excitement about finally receiving the cash. Right on schedule, Princess Raven is formally introduced. Every lady falls speechless, while all the guards envy Logan. Approaching Patrick, Raven gracefully says they have been apart too long. She courteously asks whether he has remained well. Stunned, Patrick says Raven has become beautiful since their last meeting. From afar, Rick is similarly impressed by Raven's grown appearance. Then Rick notices Logan remains utterly unmoved by Raven's presence. Raven presents a letter entrusted by her father, the Count. She proceeds to read the entire message aloud. Addressed to Baron Patrick McLean, the letter proves unbearably dull. 30 minutes later, even the guards are nearly asleep. Its conclusion abruptly pulls everyone back into reality. Unavoidable circumstances, it says, require canceling Raven and Logan's arranged marriage. He reduces the lengthy message to its brutally simple meaning. Raven's family expected Patrick to grow into a stronger aura user. Instead, Patrick remained a high-ranking knight for more than 20 years. Logan's reputation as a loser makes joining McLean seem senseless. Raven's family consequently wants both houses to follow separate paths. Furious, Patrick protests that no genuine reason supports ending the engagement. He sees the decision as Raven's family deliberately humiliating McLean. Raven denies that intention and explains why she volunteered as messenger. She feared Patrick would interpret the decision exactly this way. Coming personally, Raven hoped to resolve that painful misunderstanding. She recalls her childhood year living at the McLean residence. Raven describes beautiful memories shared with Logan in that peaceful, lovely place. She claims those cherished moments remain too precious to surrender. Yet family obligations leave Raven powerless to change anything. Bound by her house, she must obey decisions from those above her. Raven can only apologize personally to Logan and Patrick. Her speech stuns everyone gathered inside the room. Onlookers declare Raven's heart every bit as beautiful as her fate. Only Logan, Hamar, and Castellan remain unconvinced by Raven's performance. Logan bluntly asks Raven for the breakup's exact reason. He demands to hear what those unavoidable circumstances actually are. As he asks, Logan's thoughts turn toward his step-parent Hamar. Hamer is also Ronyan's biological parent. Hammer has always viewed Logan as an enemy over the succession dispute. Logan never expected Hamar to interfere, but family honor changes everything. Ronyan apologizes once more, then carefully sidesteps Logan's demand. He claims ignorance, saying he will eventually marry into another family. Because of that, his father never shares important household matters with him. Hammer seethes, yet understands why Raven announced the breakup without explanation. Raven trembles in terror as brown stains spread across her white dress. Looking toward McLean, Raven offers compensation for the trouble she caused. Sylvan will pay 3 million won for terminating the engagement. Dwayne, McLean's financial steward, nearly suffers a heart attack. Logan also rejoices, expecting the enormous payment to become theirs. Patrick instead erupts, demanding how Raven could dare suggest money. A young knight from Sylvan immediately jumps between Patrick and Raven. The young knight begs Patrick to restrain his anger. Patrick asks whether the young knight holds high rank, as Patrick does. He admits reaching such heights at that age is impressive. Perhaps wounding Sylvan's rising star could repay McLean's humiliation. The young knight says Callion regards Patrick as a truly honorable man. Such a man would never attack Raven, or anyone younger. Raven says she has no desire to purchase McLean's honor. Instead, the payment sincerely preserves friendship between McLean and Sylvan. Patrick grinds his teeth, knowing further resistance would disgrace him. That calculation explains why Callion entrusted this mission to youngsters. Patrick declares that even guests carrying misfortune remain guests. McLean will never raise its hand against those under its roof. Still, Patrick refuses to accept Sylvan's one-sided proposal. Patrick demands only a respectful apology from Raven to Logan. No other form of compensation will receive Patrick's approval. He intervenes, claiming one request as the person directly involved. Inside, Logan desperately insists they must accept the money. Letting Sylvan escape with mere words seems outrageously foolish. 3 million won equals McLean's entire budget for 1 year. Hammer's relatives currently provide half of McLean's available funds. If that support disappears, McLean collapses into bankruptcy immediately. Risking ruin for honor sounds utterly insane to Logan. He decides McLean must secure those 3 million won somehow. Addressing Patrick, Logan asks to accept Sylvan's proposed compensation. Patrick flares again, accusing Logan of overturning his declared decision. Patrick's oppressive presence weighs heavily upon Logan. Even without an aura, Patrick still ranks among the highest knights. Yet that achievement barely compares with Korea's strongest warrior. If he cannot withstand this, Logan knows progress will remain impossible. Patrick insists McLean need not surrender honor because of poverty. After a heavy sigh, Logan says McLean is precisely that poor. McLean currently owes the bank 3 million won. A single year's interest alone reaches roughly 150,000 won. Without Hamar's family support, McLean would already be bankrupt. Logan calls McLean the greatest family of beggars in Korea. McLean also owes Korea over 2 million won despite serving the country. Accepting only an apology could make McLean appear submissive to Sylvan. Raven counters that Sylvan is neither unreasonable nor dismissive. Sylvan, Raven insists, deeply respects McLean's honor and position. Logan asks how Raven can possibly speak about rational behavior. After all, Raven arrived and unilaterally shattered their engagement. A memory from his previous life suddenly rises within him. Back then, Logan mistook Raven's sadness over their separation for sincerity. That belief survives only until one particular incident. Inside a bedroom, Raven and Logan meet alone. Raven thanks Logan for agreeing to come. Though everything ends today, Raven wants one final memory together. Believing his life as a master is finished, Logan proposes fleeing tonight. Raven suddenly hurls a knife straight toward Logan's face. He draws his sword just in time to deflect. Next, Raven tears her clothing and prepares to disgrace Logan. Raven sneers that someone like Logan could never deserve someone like Raven. Raven orders Logan to learn his place and disappear. Then Raven opens her mouth to ask another question. Raven asks why Logan carries a sword after losing to a child. She adds that Logan merely made her scheme easier. Confused by the sudden turn, Logan cannot grasp what is happening. Outside, thunder crashes while Raven begins screaming at full volume. Raven claims Logan became violent and tried forcing himself upon her. With his blade already unsheathed, her fabrication looks painfully convincing. He remembers being blamed so often that even McLean doubted him. Those accusations force McLean to apologize and compensate Sylvan heavily. Raven's betrayal later leaves Logan unable to trust any woman. Inwardly, he condemns Raven as a shameless woman from the street. This time, Logan vows Raven will not escape the consequences. Afterward, Logan revisits his plan for repairing his standing within McLean. He intended to reveal his growth gradually, persuading everyone else to change. Yet his clash with Ronyan has exposed a harsher truth. McLean's soldiers ignored blatant insults directed at Logan. During his absence, rumors spread that his brother defeated him. Approval from such people could never reform the entire house. Only 9 months remain before the regional war begins. His reputation has become irrelevant beside McLean's survival. Saving his family now outweighs every other concern. Swallowing his pride, Logan tells Raven he accepts Sylvan's compensation. His decision openly disregards the wishes of McLean. Raven falls silent, unable to hide her astonishment. Furious, Patrick demands how Logan dares oppose his command. He replies that hollow apologies will never satisfy him. That response leaves Patrick staring at him in disbelief. He argues that honor cannot be purchased with windblown words. Such honor would carry no more weight than those fleeting words. Raven quickly searches for a way to salvage the situation. She announces Sylvan's desire to obey the Lord of McLean. Raven then asks Patrick which choice he will make. Logan recognizes her attempt to protect her father's reputation. He suspects Raven dreads paying the promised 3 million won. Looking down at Raven, Patrick speaks as McLean's representative. Patrick declares that a heartfelt apology alone satisfies him. Still, Logan must judge whether Sylvan's apology is truly sincere. Logan's step-parent Callian erupts in fury upon hearing that. Patrick again warns Logan to consider his decision carefully. Accepting payment for dishonor would make his honor tradable forever. Logan instantly decides he cannot yield to Patrick here. As the party whose engagement broke, Logan accepts Sylvan's offered compensation. His declaration shocks Callian and visibly distresses Raven. Disappointed, Patrick says Logan had seemed slightly improved. Instead, Patrick believes Logan has changed for the worse. Patrick blames himself for failing to teach honor's true worth. Silently, Logan insists every action serves McLean's greater good. Inside his room, Logan receives the substantial payment from Raven. A sudden knock at the door interrupts his thought. Expecting Rick, Logan casually invites the visitor inside. McLean's steward Dwayne, the estate's financial advisor, enters instead. Logan studies Dwayne and wonders what he wants. Dwayne privately recalls managing McLean under a constantly shrinking budget. Soldiers keep demanding new weapons that the estate cannot afford. Servants also report dwindling stores as winter approaches. Covering each shortage forces Dwayne to keep begging McLean's patriarch. He wonders whether his real title is Chief Beggar. Without his hometown ties, Dwayne would have resigned years ago. Now this windfall promises him several peaceful years. Only Logan, whom Dwayne considers an idiot, blocks that relief. Dwayne assumes Logan must share the 3 million won with him. Aloud, Dwayne claims he only came to offer greeting. He says Logan made a remarkable impression the previous day. He defended himself firmly against undeserved pressure from outsiders. Dwayne praises him as an extraordinary apprentice and deserving McLean heir. While speaking, Dwayne imagines his praise has moved Logan deeply. He had never received compliments during his troublemaking past. Dwayne expects that history will make taking Logan's money easy, yet Logan shows no trace of being impressed. Dwayne presses on, calling 3 million won a feast amid famine. He credits his shrewdness with letting McLean breathe easily again. Logan remains expressionless throughout Dwayne's increasingly hopeful speech. Finally, Logan says he fails to see why. He adds that McLean has no reason for relief since the fortune belongs to him. Dwayne's remaining hope collapses when Logan seemingly plans to keep everything. Still, Dwayne forces himself to remain composed beneath the crushing disappointment. 20 years advising McLean have made obedient deference second nature to Dwayne. This tense confrontation draws exactly the same ingrained response from him. Instead of arguing, Dwayne suddenly begins weeping, startling Logan. He asks whether McLean's finances have truly become that desperate. Dwayne says Logan may not know McLean owes a bank 3 million won. Dwayne starts adding that the interest alone reaches 150,000 won. Logan interrupts, accurately completing Dwayne's unfinished explanation about that interest. Astonished, Dwayne asks whether Logan already knew about the crushing debt. He says the interest should not trouble them during harvest season. Harvest proceeds should cover that payment, according to his confident estimate. Dwayne protests that managing the estate costs a fortune, keeping budgets painfully tight. Dwayne pleads that even modest help from Logan could transform matters. Logan cuts Dwayne off again, refusing to entertain the request. Dwayne asks why Logan will not help McLean. Dwayne believed Logan opposed Patrick specifically to protect the family. Logan confirms that Dwayne correctly understands his motive. His money will benefit McLean, but not its immediate expenses. Instead, Logan intends to use it preparing for the future. Anger flares within Dwayne, who thinks Logan understands absolutely nothing. Dwayne wants Logan to surrender the money immediately, without further nonsense. He asks whether clearing McLean's debts would barely alter its underlying situation. Dwayne counters that a larger budget would ease management for at least 2 years. He immediately asks what happens once those easier years end. Even then, McLean would sink into debt again, lacking distinctive product. He calls it a vicious cycle that his own plan must break. That plan also demands the entire fortune, leaving no easy compromise. Dwayne stares dumbfounded, questioning whether this is the delinquent he remembers. Dwayne had dismissed Logan as a child indifferent to family affairs. Logan then asks Dwayne to grant him a favor. If Dwayne helps, Logan might contribute some money toward McLean's expenses. Dwayne asks what kind of assistance Logan requires. Logan answers that Dwayne must gather several mercenaries. Preparing to leave once more, Logan meets with Rick. Rick demands his destination, noting Logan only recently returned from isolated training. He bluntly says he is heading out to earn money. Rick points out that Logan already possesses considerable funds. He insists his current fortune remains nowhere near enough. Rick warns Patrick surely will not permit departure amid the castle's unbearable tension. Logan says he will ask Patrick for absolutely nothing. Instead, Logan plans to slip away without attracting anyone's notice. Rick recoils at the audacity, yet Logan remains unmoved. He believes his reputation must change now, or the opportunity disappears forever. To accomplish that, Logan needs to gather forces beyond McLean. His past life exile also taught Logan about current developments beyond the estate. Armed with that knowledge, Logan chooses finding a particular man as his first move. Rick argues that Logan is not thinking clearly. Becoming a fugitive now would only worsen everything, Rick warns. Rick's relentless objections irritate Logan, but the questions keep coming. Rick asks what Logan expects to accomplish by simply fleeing. Rick declares that Logan must walk over his body to leave. Logan nearly accepts the invitation, since Rick's protests barely matter to him. Logan promises Rick will avoid punishment because Patrick will receive a letter. Rick asks what Logan intends to write inside it. He answers with nothing except a knowing smile. Somehow, that smile lets Rick release a relieved sigh. Once Logan vanishes, Rick delivers the promised letter to Patrick. Patrick appears ready to turn the entire castle into a battlefield. Its formal opening quickly gives way to his convenient excuse. Heartbroken by the engagement, Logan claims he left for some fresh air. He also promises to return soon, then signs it Logan McLean. Left behind, miserable Rick cries and desperately wishes for Logan's return. McLean's history then reaches back exactly 200 years. At that time, McLean's standing differed greatly from its present position. Its enormous domain extended far into neighboring counties. People revered McLean as rulers across southwestern Korea, yet the 3 generations preceding Patrick squandered that formidable inheritance. Their failures ultimately caused McLean's title to be demoted. That demotion also causes McLean's territory to shrink drastically. Its vast grain depot is transferred to a powerful vassal. Other nobles divide the remaining fertile acreage among themselves. McLean is effectively driven into arid land beside the southern mountains. With such barren territory, financial hardship becomes virtually inevitable. The region offers no worthwhile specialty products to sell. Even copper mines, common throughout mountainous districts, are entirely absent. Logan knows victory in the territorial war would solve little. McLean would still need to keep begging Castellon for assistance. Breaking this cycle requires far more than his 3 million won. Logan says someone in Seoul can provide the help he needs. Seoul, Korea's largest commercial city, overwhelms him with bustling trade. Vendors loudly advertise rings, shields, fresh fruit, and vegetables. The commotion reminds Logan how isolated McLean's barony truly is. His memories say the person spent his youth in Seoul. Logan has also heard that Philip currently lives nearby. Philip, his coveted golden beetle, becomes vital to the continent's strongest nation. That nation concentrates authority while rewarding people strictly by merit. Talent grants anyone advancement, regardless of gender or age. Even foreigners can earn staggering wealth and tremendous influence there. Philip, originally from Korea, perfectly demonstrates that opportunity. After relocating there, Philip becomes one of its wealthiest merchants. He also grows into the continent's largest weapons dealer. Back home, people condemn Philip as Korea's traitor. In truth, the so-called Golden Beetle supports fellow Koreans abroad. His fortune eventually helps create the miracle preserving Korea's sovereignty. While crossing a street, Logan spots someone and wonders whether it is Philip. Philip has just been swindled and lost every last penny. Penniless. Philip wonders how he can possibly survive from now on. Logan remembers hearing that a scam destroyed Philip's business. Witnessing Philip's condition firsthand looks far worse than Logan imagined. Philip even considers ending his life amid that despair. Logan approaches, starts a conversation, and asks whether he is Philip. Philip confirms cautiously, then asks Logan to identify himself. His appearance, red eyes, and unwavering stare suggest possible danger. Logan asks Philip to spare him 1 minute for conversation. Still wary, Philip wonders how this unfamiliar young man knows him. Then Philip detects an intense emotion burning within Logan's eye. As a businessman, Philip has encountered that exact emotion countless times. He identifies it immediately as naked greed. The timing and battered armor shape Philip's frantic theory. He decides Logan must be some mercenary gang enforcer. Logan begins explaining, but Philip suddenly panics and starts shouting. Philip insists the payment deadline has not arrived yet. His commercial property sale will become final in 3 days. Philip orders Logan to return after those 3 days. Logan assures Philip that he has not come to collect debts. Philip snarls wildly and repeats that his sale remains unprocessed. Once again, Philip demands that Logan leave him alone. Logan tries calming Philip and again denies being a collector. Instead, Logan declares that he has come to invest money. The startling declaration leaves Philip frozen in disbelief. Philip asks whether Logan truly means investing in him. Logan confirms that Philip has understood him correctly. Philip initially decides any non-collector offering investment must be insane. Only a lunatic would back someone whose business has utterly collapsed. Yet Philip also wonders whether Logan might actually be sincere. He cautiously asks how much Logan intends to invest. Logan counters by asking how much Philip needs. He promises enough funding to clear Philip's debts and restore his footing. Remaining suspicious, Philip studies every detail of Logan's expression. Dirt covering his armor suggests an extremely distant journey. Suddenly, the clues lock together inside Philip's mind. Logan again asks Philip to name the amount required. Philip interrupts and denounces Logan as a disgusting scoundrel. He says any scheme targeting him needed far better preparation. Other swindlers have already humiliated Philip once before. Philip declares that Logan is certainly no genuine investor. The crest identifies Logan as belonging to southwestern McLean. To Philip, McLean consists of beggars surviving through wealthy relatives. Such a debt-ridden family could never afford investment. Philip warns that impersonating nobility would earn Logan execution. He complains Logan targeted the wrong victim because Philip is penniless. He examines the confrontation from an entirely different perspective. Even at rock bottom, Philip displays remarkable judgment and perception. That sharpness perfectly suits the wealthy titan Philip will become. Logan wonders how he can finally settle Philip down. Philip keeps airing his bitter complaints in the middle of the street. Philip grumbles that he lacks money for food, much less death. He suddenly finds a way to quiet his endless complaints. He asks Philip to watch closely, then reveals his awakened aura. The display leaves Philip staring in baffled silence. Philip reasons such an early awakened genius would never squander everything on fraud. Chastened, Philip apologizes and admits recent troubles have made him overly sensitive. He then asks why Logan has any interest in him. Logan offers lifetime employment plus full repayment of Philip's debt. Suspicion returns as Philip questions whether McLean can afford such generosity. He guesses the debt totals roughly 250,000 won. He promises that amount, another 300,000 won, and reveals his hidden cash. To Philip, Logan suddenly resembles an angel descending with financial salvation. Philip promptly signs the magical employment contract. Its terms punish Philip if he deliberately tries harming Logan. Such betrayal brings unbearable agony, like Philip's soul ripping itself apart. The bizarre clause sounds more like sorcery than ordinary paperwork. The contract which explains Philip's options if he dislikes the restriction. He must awaken and reach at least high-ranking knight status. Alternatively, Philip can pay a 4-circle mage to remove it. His final option costs several hundred times the contract's original value. That ruinous list leaves Philip speechless yet again. The contract witch dismisses them, asking Philip to visit and greet her again. Walking away, Philip wonders whether Logan has thoroughly swindled him. His earlier angelic vision now feels like feverish nonsense. Logan spent a fortune making the contract merely to become Philip's rescuer. Worse, one contract page alone equals the value of 30 slaves. He admits neither can trust the other after such a brief acquaintance. Any fortune-sized investment, Logan argues, demands a reasonable guarantee. He promises their arrangement will change once genuine trust develops. Logan will then destroy the contract and free Philip from it. With that assurance, Logan extends his hand in camaraderie. Philip finds the agreement sloppy, lacking both deadlines and clear conditions. Still, trusting Logan remains Philip's only available choice. He accepts the gamble and shakes his offered hand. Philip immediately asks what work Logan needs from him. Their first task, Logan replies, is purchasing monster meat. Philip instantly calls Logan a psychopath for proposing it. He privately considers that reaction entirely reasonable. Monster flesh and blood are poisonous, making incineration the safest response. Yet Logan knows that practice changes dramatically within several years. News eventually spreads that common ingredients can neutralize monster blood. Food-scarce regions consequently begin eating the monsters they once discarded. That winter, people treat deficiency illnesses by consuming Kelloc monster meat. Even intimate injuries causing sterility begin showing improvement after consumption. 1 year later, the Royal Magic Tower verifies every reported effect. Research proves Kelloc meat enhances virility, triggering a continent-wide feeding frenzy. Kellocs vanish from every map because relentless demand exterminates the species. Armed with future knowledge, Logan expects an easy 3 million won. Depending on his supply, the final profit could climb even higher. Philip eyes his mad employer with open disappointment while they walk. He wonders whether fleeing outright would serve him better. Inside a tavern, Philip and Logan discuss their next move. He wants 1 million won spent entirely on monster meat. Philip concludes Logan has finally lost whatever judgment remained. He urges calm and promises profits, even if spending rises further. Philip opposes the scheme and asks whether Logan is truly certain. He answers without hesitation, confirming absolute confidence in the plan. Philip asks the acceptable unit price for purchasing Kelloc meat. He explains that Kelloc meat currently has no market value. With no buyers anywhere, people generally burn every carcass. Sending a level 0 worker for one body costs about 200 won. Most of that expense comes from Korea's national transportation fees. Though charged per unit, bulk carcass shipments sharply reduce transport costs. Philip marvels that Logan even accounted for transportation expenses. He also agrees his estimate accurately reflects current costs. Philip tests the plan against its 1 million won budget. Does Logan intend to commission a mercenary guild nationwide? Would that guild hunt Kellocs everywhere and sell him every carcass? Logan confirms the description and asks whether Philip sees any problem. Philip responds that the entire purchasing strategy is fundamentally wrong. Every monster carcass is currently discarded without charge. Instead, Logan should hire a merchant guild, paying only beef-level prices. That single change lets merchants handle every remaining detail. Philip explains that merchants will transport and sell anything for money. They will even collect rubbish otherwise destined for disposal. Confidently, Philip predicts they can gather every Kelloc carcass throughout Korea. One request should deliver everything already butchered and prepared. Logan stares, deeply impressed by Philip's far better approach. Logan's investment is already returning results, making him oddly call Philip an adorable punk. Philip assures Logan that money will no longer trouble him. He tells Logan to leave every financial matter in his hands. Philip's faith depends on Logan's future, after all. Logan then gives Philip a list containing several supplies. The list includes ironwood cartridges, springs, and glue. Logan orders Philip to remain in Seoul and purchase huge quantities. Philip grows doubtful again, asking whether Logan plans to build toys. He answers that his idea is far more valuable than toys. He is secretly gathering materials for weapons intended for war. In his former life, he remembers such armaments invading a kingdom. Those weapons could keep even a knight occupied during certain battles. A single soldier could challenge a knight when conditions favored him. Logan also remembers assigning Dwayne to recruit mercenaries beforehand. Putting these weapons into their hands should secure a regional advantage. First, Logan needs a craftsman able to create the weapons. He also needs someone capable of training the mercenaries. 2 days later, Logan reaches Seoul, the mercenary city. There, Logan approaches Kasalon, an A-rank mercenary, about instructing recruits. Kasalon says he has never successfully trained anyone in a productive way. He insists the assignment will be simple enough. Kasalon only needs to train the C-rank mercenaries Logan hired. Still hesitant, Kasalon says his experience amounts to guiding young people. He advises Logan to place the responsibility with professional educators. Logan knows Kasalon cannot deceive him about his true abilities. In his previous life, Logan worked alongside Kasalon and knew him well. Kasalon can handle every weapon currently in existence. He is also exceptionally capable when working with horses. Casalon's greatest talent, though, lies in teaching others. After a severe injury forced retirement, he trained a mercenary squad. That squad became more skilled than any other mercenary group. Casalon clearly shows little enthusiasm for teaching at present. Logan offers 4,001 for Casalon's services. Casalon refuses, deliberately making Logan work for his agreement. He raises the payment to 6,001. Casalon rejects that amount as well. 7,001 still fails to move the stubborn mercenary. Casalon explains that money cannot purchase every possible thing. Logan responds by increasing the offer to 8,001. That final amount breaks Casalon's resistance, and he accepts. Casalon even thanks Logan in advance for the payment. During their conversation, Logan identifies himself as McLean's firstborn heir. Logan asks whether Casalon wonders why he recruits countryside mercenaries. Casalon says the reason does not matter, provided his payment arrives. Walking through Seoul, they spot a supervisor whipping several people. The supervisor threatens to kill everyone if they arrive late. Casalon explains that Seoul is known for both mercenaries and slaves. He warns Logan that many more scenes like this await them. The streets soon become a sprawling marketplace for enslaved people. He says he already understands the situation and considers buying someone. A merchant mistakes Logan for an ignorant country newcomer. The merchant waves Logan over and promises remarkably cheap slaves. Casalon's presence suddenly terrifies the merchant into silence. Seeing that reaction, Logan feels hiring Casalon was money well spent. He reaches a shop guarded more heavily than its neighbors. The unusual security convinces Logan that he has found the right place. An elderly merchant welcomes Logan, assuming he understands the risks involved. He states that he has come specifically to purchase a dwarf. The old merchant confirms that Logan has reached the correct shop. He explains that beings from other worlds are exceptionally rare. Because of that rarity, the shop takes especially careful care of them. The old merchant invites Logan closer to inspect his prized offerings. He presents two elves, boasting about how difficult they were to obtain. The merchant asks whether Logan has ever encountered elves previously. He begins describing the pair, but Logan shows no interest. He simply orders him to bring out the chained dwarf behind them. The merchant points out that the dwarf's appearance makes his race obvious. He claims Logan will discover countless practical uses for the dwarf. Even among famously gifted dwarf craftsmen, this one possesses expert ability. That revelation surprises Logan, who had expected dwarves to be naturally skilled. He views dwarves as creators, repairers, and lifelong makers of useful objects. Their devotion to craftsmanship supposedly lasts from childhood into old age. Finding an expert dwarf exceeds everything Logan hoped to obtain. He would not need to worry about assigning difficult work afterward. When Logan asks the price, the merchant names at least 200,001. He studies the old merchant and asks whether he resembles an easy mark. Terrified, the old merchant immediately lowers his price by 50,001. He privately marvels at how quickly the old merchant surrendered. Hammer calls Logan's bargaining ruthless, while Logan considers it elementary. Hamar then asks where Logan intends to take him. He names the McLean estate in the southwest as their destination. He also promises to fulfill everything Hamar previously requested. Hammer accepts without complaint, matching Logan's expectations exactly. Dwarves possess renowned manual skill, yet enslaved dwarves are different. Without passion, even that craftsman race cannot produce genuine masterpieces. Logan intends to reignite Hamar's buried devotion toward craftsmanship. He promises freedom after Hamar works wholeheartedly for 20 years. Afterward, Logan will return Hamar safely to the mountain. 20 years mean almost nothing across a dwarf's lengthy lifespan. Delighted by that promise, Hamar begins expressing his heartfelt gratitude. Another slave suddenly breaks loose and races away from his owner. Logan watches the desperate escape unfold across the slave market. The runaway barely advances before a market guard captures him. Something about the captured slave strikes Logan as strangely familiar. Blue hair frames mismatched eyes, including one blue iris. A buried memory suddenly surfaces, and Logan speaks his thoughts aloud. Hamar becomes curious after hearing Logan's startled muttering. He wonders how the infamous noble slayer could appear here. His previous life contained stories about a remarkably famous aura user. That warrior began as a slave who murdered his masters and escaped. He then slaughtered nobles and knights throughout a prolonged killing spree. After those murders, the fugitive disappeared for the following 10 years. Upon returning, he wielded aura and demonstrated power beyond ordinary humanity. Killing every encountered noble then became his sole purpose. Those relentless murders earned him the title of Noble Slayer. Logan remembers the escape occurring 1 year after he became a mercenary. According to that timeline, the future killer remains enslaved right now. Rescuing him could place a future aura user beside Logan. Unfortunately, that valuable recruit will become an uncontrollable homicidal maniac. Logan decides imprisonment remains possible if Victor attacks his own ally. The second traitor raises another blow against Victor's injured body. Logan draws his sword and intercepts the strike aimed toward Victor's leg. The sudden intervention catches the second traitor completely unprepared. Then the second traitor notices the family crest carried by Logan. Assuming Logan is a customer, the second traitor immediately grows arrogant. He claims embarrassment because his merchandise refused to obey instruction. Accordingly, the second trader says punishment was necessary for proper training. With false politeness, he asks how he may assist Logan. He answers that he wants to purchase both captive children. The second trader warns that each child possesses unusually rare features. One has scarlet hair, while Victor possesses distinctive blue eyes. Their rarity supposedly makes both prices exceptionally steep. The second trader asks whether Logan truly wishes to proceed. He ignores the warning and demands the exact price. The second trader requests at least 10,000 won for each. A healthy young slave normally costs roughly 300 won, yet he brazenly charges 100 times more for 2 starving children. Neither child carries enough flesh to justify such an outrageous demand. He admits 10,000 seems cheap for the future noble slayer. Naturally, the second trader knows nothing about Victor's eventual power. Logan also refuses to enrich the scoundrel through his hidden knowledge. He notes that both children appear ready to collapse. One child is already hovering dangerously close to death. Charging 30 healthy slaves' value for them is plainly excessive. The second trader argues these children are the only available example. Logan counters with an offer of 500 won per child. That already exceeds the standard price for a healthy slave. He insists such generous payment should be more than sufficient. The second trader protests that amount cannot recover his original investment. Angered, Logan asks whether he appears ignorant about ordinary slave prices. The second trader wets himself under his furious pressure. He reflects that Victor constantly creates expensive problems for him. Expecting endless future trouble, the second trader finally accepts his offer. Hammer carries the injured Victor securely upon his back. He finds Victor's rapid recovery astonishing, given the severe wound. Logan casually claims Victor simply recovered quickly without any difficulty. In truth, Logan steadily channels force into Victor's damaged body. That healing surpasses even the magic used by most low-ranking priests. He grows annoyed when the other child seemingly detects his aura. Even Hamar senses nothing despite standing beside Logan throughout the healing. He dismisses the child's apparent awareness as a mere coincidence. Victor suddenly leaps from Hamar's back and attacks Logan. His desperate punch never comes remotely close to striking Logan. Logan grips Victor's neck, questioning whether courage or stupidity drives him. He points out that he is still growing stronger. He asks whether Victor understands the danger he has created. Does Victor honestly think Logan resembles that worthless slave trader? Logan appreciates Victor's spirit, but condemns his reckless choice of opponent. He hopes Victor will never require another warning after this. Obedience, Logan promises, will protect Victor and his little sister. Another attack, though, will make Logan eliminate them both. Satisfied that Victor understands, Logan finally releases him. Privately, Logan intends to develop Victor into a knight. Victor asks whether Logan truly means it, and Logan confirms. Knights possess honorary nobility, making escape from slavery naturally possible. That freedom would also extend to the quiet girl. Victor looks toward the quiet girl and vows to do anything. Watching the siblings, Logan knows his earlier assumption was correct. The quiet girl is crucial for restraining the noble slayer's violence. He announces their training will begin immediately after reaching home. He then calls Hamar over for a brief conversation. He says he will begin preparing a magical contract. Its terms require Hamar to serve Logan for 20 years. In exchange, Logan will return Hamar to the mountain. Hammer recoils in shock, scarcely believing he might rejoin his people. He explains that spoken promises alone can easily disappear. He asks whether anything seems wrong or Hamar wishes to withdraw. Hamar gratefully says he wants the agreement with all his heart. He promises to fulfill anything Logan might ask of him. Still thanking Logan, Hamar can barely believe such an offer. Logan considers a contract a remarkably cheap price for Hamar's motivation. In truth, Logan believes he gains far more. This expedition has delivered everything Logan wanted and even more. Most importantly, Logan has successfully secured the noble slayer. Preparations for the coming war between clans are progressing beautifully. Away from home, Logan remains unaware that troubling rumors already circulate. His reputation throughout the McLean estate has collapsed and keeps sinking. Back at the estate, Rick struggles desperately to contain the damage. Drowning in confusion, Rick wonders what Logan could possibly be doing. Logan eventually returns, and nobody is happier about it than Rick. Spotting Rick, Logan casually asks how he has been. Rick incredulously asks whether Logan can seriously pose that question. Nearly suffering an attack, Rick demands details about Logan's recent activities. He also asks whether Logan has heard the vicious rumor. Those stories describe Logan as a perverted monster buying monster meat. According to the gossip, he spent 150,000 won on it. Several days earlier, Philip gathered every merchant he could locate. Speaking for young master Logan McLean, Philip requested their monster meat. Even earlier, people already knew about his ruined engagement. They also claimed Logan had essentially robbed his former fiancée. To attract sellers, Philip spread additional strange rumors involving monster meat. Philip never knew Logan had such a scandalous history. He simply imagined his master as some randomly deranged middle-aged old man. Still, Philip recognized an opportunity and drove the buying price extremely low. He offered 1 for each kilogram of monster meat. The offer remained tempting enough to send merchants scrambling toward easy sale. Philip assumed nobody would reject selling garbage to a willing buyer. Anyone wanting payment should bring every scrap of monster meat available. Philip's forceful pitch succeeds, and merchants begin gathering enormous quantities. Rumors about Logan consequently sweep through nearly the entire thieves' quarter. After hearing everything, Logan declares that Philip performed his task perfectly. Rick stares in disbelief, unable to understand Logan's laughter. Logan tells Rick to examine everyone who returned alongside him. Their stricken expressions reveal how many ugly rumors reach their ears. Logan simply says Rick should relax because everything will end soon. Rick warns that Patrick is their furious next destination. Inside his father's office, Patrick asks whether Logan enjoyed running away. He answers that the journey was certainly worthwhile. Patrick mentions hearing reports about Logan committing various outrageous acts. Still, Patrick acknowledges that Logan apparently found the trip worthwhile. He dismisses those rumors as nothing more than meaningless lies. He firmly insists that he regrets none of his decisions. Logan's stepmother, Callian, interrupts and begins addressing Patrick. Callian reminds Patrick that Logan ignores his station and disgraces McLean. Logan cuts Callian off, saying the accusation is greatly exaggerated. He merely spent the broken engagement's money however he considered appropriate. Callian asks whether Patrick heard that and still supports Logan afterward. Patrick finally shouts for silence, then calmly orders Callian to leave. He wants a private conversation with Logan for a moment. Patrick warns Logan that this will be his final chance. He stands frightened beneath his furious father's unwavering stare. Patrick asks what Logan is thinking and demands an honest conversation. Logan knows inwardly that Patrick will not overlook this incident. He replies that Patrick would never understand, even with an explanation. Patrick counters that perhaps Logan simply refuses to let anyone understand him. He asks whether Logan knows what everyone around him is saying. They call Logan violent, cruel, money-obsessed, and possibly even insane. Patrick asks how much longer he must continue covering for Logan. He begs Logan to warn him when that future breaking point arrives. That would let Patrick claim he tried his best for Raven's sake. Logan cannot believe Patrick has finally mentioned his deceased mother, Raven. Patrick had stayed silent about her even when expelling Logan. That unexpected appeal suggests Patrick has not abandoned him entirely. Logan asks Patrick to grant him exactly 1 year. Within that year, Logan promises to prove the reasons behind everything. Once more, he pleads with Patrick for this final favor. Alone in his room, Patrick reflects upon their troubling exchange. A favor between father and son sounds strangely unnatural to him. If Logan fails within a year, Patrick must make a decision. He remains McLean's patriarch first and his father second. A portrait of Raven, Logan's mother, rests before Patrick. Patrick apologizes to Raven, unable to understand their son's behavior. He remembers promising to protect Logan regardless of every hardship. Patrick had also sworn he would raise their son properly. Ultimately, his own neglect has allowed everything to collapse. While crossing the castle corridors, Logan encounters his younger brother, Ronyan. The sight leaves Logan speechless because Ronyan has awakened his force. Ronyan asks how Logan guessed and praises his quick understanding. Logan rejoices that Ronyan awakened so early, at only 14. In Logan's former life, Ronyan's force emerged during the war between clans. This time, that awakening has happened far sooner than expected. Ronyan credits Logan entirely, leaving Logan confused by the claim. Ronyan explains that knights blocked him from meeting Logan upon Logan's return. His force awakened precisely while he struggled against those knights. Apparently, Ronyan defeated them all while trying to reach Logan. Logan laughs warmly and tells Ronyan he performed wonderfully. Once Ronyan's force stabilizes, Logan can teach him the divine sword secrets. With that training, Ronyan could surpass his strength from Logan's previous life. Inside a cabin south of McLean's estate, Logan meets Dwayne. Dwayne confirms all 35 recruited rank C mercenaries Logan requested are present. The mercenaries are furious and suspect his offer might be fraudulent. 10 days have passed since their summons to this cabin. Despite waiting that long, not one has met Logan until now. One mercenary says a petty baron's family would never cross their guild. Only utter madness, he claims, could explain such reckless behavior. Another says nobody can know, given the vicious rumors surrounding Logan. Those stories have reached the mercenaries, and their contents are deeply troubling. Their attention turns toward Logan's sword, armor, and overall appearance. They mock him for dressing up and pretending to be a soldier. He hears everything and decides these professional fighters need firm discipline. Otherwise, he knows none of his words will ever reach them. He singles out one mercenary and asks whether his equipment seems amusing. The startled mercenary denies understanding what Logan means. He privately wonders how Logan heard him from such a distance. He mocks him, saying such contempt requires enough talent to support it. He calls the man merely an insignificant rank C mercenary. He asks what imaginary skill permits him to look down on others. With biting sarcasm, Logan wonders whether his words offended the mercenary. Even someone so low-ranking still possesses pride, Logan acknowledges. He orders him forward so they can settle the matter directly. He offers the fighter a proposal and starts describing a single required action. If the hulking mercenary lands one blow, Logan will release him immediately. He also promises a full year's wages upon his departure. He stakes his noble honor and names everyone present as witnesses. The hulking mercenary approaches. Delighted Logan cannot retract his promise now. He studies Logan from head to toe, attempting to intimidate him. Yet his hulking ape-like visage looks more ridiculous than terrifying. Onlookers discuss his immense build and wonder whether he is rank B. A washing mercenary says not yet, though this job might change that. He scoffs, understanding exactly where the hulking mercenary's confidence originates. The hulking mercenary confidently allows Logan to attack first. He warns that such generosity will become his immediate regret. Unconcerned, the hulking mercenary boasts about his much longer sword experience. He claims there is no reason for him to worry. The hulking mercenary even asks whether Logan needs another advantage. He gathers his force, then drives a fist into his face. The devastating impact leaves every watching mercenary utterly speechless. Their duel ends instantly as the hulking mercenary crashes down. Several shattered teeth spin through the air above his body. The watching mercenary stares at the result in stunned disbelief. Logan merely rolls his shoulder and gives a dismissive snort. He challenges anyone else who still feels like running their mouth. The mercenaries cannot accept someone that young, already controlling force. To them, such mastery at his age seems plainly absurd. Castellan watches, remembering that Logan has always seemed unusually different. Even so, Castellan never imagined Logan possessed this much ability. He declares that further disrespectful remarks will no longer be tolerated. He formally introduces himself as Logan McLean, the man who summoned them. Many probably wonder why Logan spends his money recruiting mercenaries. He explains that he intends to train them as crossbow knights. Dwayne and Castellan react with surprise, while the mercenaries remain uncertain. A skeptical mercenary remarks that they will spend all their time reloading. Castellan quietly tells Logan that crossbows are inefficient weapons for knights. He answers that he already understands that obvious weakness. Baffled, Castellan asks why Logan still insists upon using crossbows. He says crossbows deliver far greater destructive power than ordinary bows. An inexperienced mounted shooter needs over a minute just to reload. Even 3 or 4 loaded crossbows exhaust their firepower within 1 minute. Given those limitations, Logan understands why everyone looks confused. Castellan may think Logan is wasting money while merely playing soldier. Still, Logan orders Castellan to train the mercenaries properly for now. Castellan will discover the reason behind this unusual plan later. He adds that crossbow cavalry will become a tremendous McLean force. Their importance will extend beyond the approaching war between neighboring fiefs. Castellan remains uncertain about the plan, yet accepts his master's request. Several days later, Logan studies a paper inside his room. Of 350 hired mercenaries, only 312 pass the simple qualification test. He decides that number is sufficient for his purposes. An abrupt interruption follows when Hamar enters the room. Hammer wants to know what appears on the paper Logan received. Logan identifies it as the crossbow schematic Hamar must build for him. He admits the drawing probably looks crude through professional eyes. He used this weapon for decades throughout his previous life. From memory, Logan sketches nearly every internal structure he can recall. As a master craftsman, Hamar should be capable of building it. Hamar notes it requires a rear cartridge for storing bolts. That mechanism must reload automatically and permit 3 consecutive shots. Hammer demands to know which fool devised such a ridiculous idea. Logan calmly admits that the design belongs to him. Hammer looks irritated, then hastily calls the concept wonderful. Still, the twisted string arrangement cannot endure and will quickly snap. A wooden box mounted behind it will also discomfort the shooter. Hamar asks how Logan intends to solve those serious problems. Logan says that is Hamar's problem to figure out. The dwarf's face immediately twists with furious indignation. He explains he was joking, then offers a practical adjustment. Smaller bolts would allow them to reduce the cartridge's dimension. Accepting Hamar's single shot point, Logan suggests preparing interchangeable cartridges. Shooters can replace one prepared cartridge after every shot. For convenience, Logan proposes calling these loading devices magazines. The suggestion leaves Hamar staring at him in disbelief. Even skilled shooters cannot normally fire 2 crossbow bolts per minute. Hammer calls this design a weapon belonging outside their era. Logan privately reflects that the weapon truly originates in the future. Hammer says people think springs, wood, glue, and bowstrings are enough. The daunting challenge fires his ambition, and Hamar agrees to try. Logan immediately asks when Hamar expects to finish the weapon. Hammer protests that Logan wants an unseen invention built on schedule. He counters that human hands have already created such a weapon. Confused, Hamar demands to know where and by whom. Logan dismisses those questions, saying Hamar need not know. He challenges Hamar to quit if the task exceeds him. Hamar requests 1 month and promises to produce something vastly superior. Pleased, Logan learns exactly how provoking dwarven pride pays off. Later, Victor runs relentlessly across the castle training grounds. Logan warns that Victor is slowing and can push harder. Victor responds by forcing his exhausted legs to accelerate again. Since Victor arrived, Logan has only provided food and sleep. Still, Logan cannot believe how much those simple comforts changed him. Logan finally orders Victor to stop running and rest. Victor's younger sister promptly rushes over to greet him. Watching them, Logan again praises his decision to purchase Victor. At 14, Victor remains far smaller than boys his age. Yet he runs 20 kilometers continuously, revealing extraordinary natural ability. More than talent, Logan admires Victor's grit and relentless perseverance. Victor also appears strangely unconcerned by every hardship around him. Logan concludes Victor was never naturally destined to slaughter nobles. His life probably changed so drastically because of his younger sister. Logan abruptly ends the break and announces Victor's next training. A sword flies from Logan's hand into Victor's waiting grasp. He introduces the kingdom's standard sword technique for aspiring knight. He orders Victor to watch closely while demonstrating its proper execution. Gripping firmly, Logan drives the blade powerfully through the air. Victor remains unimpressed, wanting only to collapse and sleep. Even so, he bites his lip and accepts the grueling bargain. Good meals and proper sleep make any exhaustion worthwhile to Victor. Victor raises his weapon and perfectly reproduces Logan's powerful slash. Logan finds Victor's strike every bit as flawless as his demonstration. Every motion and breath matches, despite Victor seeing it only once. The ease with which Victor follows leaves Logan deeply astonished. Logan notes that even Ronyan lacked this skill at 14. He sets 2 requirements for Victor to become a knight. Victor must first strengthen his stamina beyond its current limit. Then he must perform the technique perfectly over 1,000 consecutive times. Victor's eyes brighten as he imagines himself earning that title. When Logan asks whether he can succeed, Victor eagerly says yes. Logan directs Victor to request any additional training necessities from Rick. Rick should be capable of arranging nearly anything Victor needs. Victor answers that he requires nothing else for himself. He presses him again, asking whether he is truly certain. Victor requests only that Logan care properly for his younger sister. Knowing she is protected would be more than enough. Logan privately considers Victor's selfless answer absolutely perfect. Victor may not be prepared to enter battle immediately. Given time though, he should become invaluable to McLean. The mercenary corps and Hamer's weapon could also become formidable assets. Despite those prospects, Logan cautions himself against becoming overly excited. Hammer might still fail to construct a serviceable crossbow. Even success means little if the mercenaries cannot operate it properly. Having entrusted everything to others, Logan needs another plan. He visits his father's office and requests entry into knight training. His father appears to accept his unexpected request. At the Knight's training field, Heinkel presents Logan to everyone. Heinkel announces that Logan will join their exercises from now onward. The assembled knights react poorly and begin whispering among themselves. They suspect Logan considers their order a joke after defeating Ronyan. Heinkel recalls discussing Logan's admission inside Patrick's chamber. During that conversation, Heinkel displays no pleasure about the arrangement. He warns Patrick that Logan's presence will anger the knights. Patrick replies that Logan will receive no privileged treatment. Instead, Patrick demands the same harsh discipline given every other rookie. Back in the present, Heinkel remembers Logan is still Patrick's son. Kind treatment would have been easier for Heinkel to provide. Logan notices the concern weighing heavily upon Heinkel. Logan eases Heinkel's concern, assuring him that nothing warrants worry. He says one failed exercise next week means pretending nothing happened and leaving Heinkel's path. Surprised by Logan's attitude, Heinkel finally accepts the arrangement. Heinkel then makes the knight's training 3 times harder for 1 week. A knight runs with a colleague sprawled across his back, questioning this punishment. The instructor shouts that nobody should die during their cavalry training. He reminds them cavalry knights must understand what carrying a rider feels like. Fully armored, they must experience bearing riders across a battlefield themselves. The exhausted knights connect their armor drills to this lesson. They blame the whole ordeal on that cursed troublemaker, Logan. The group guesses his endurance, perhaps 1 day, 2, or 3. Their prediction collapses when Logan races at maximum speed through the crowd. His charge leaves everyone speechless, including Heinkel. He even wears a smile while tearing through the formation. Heinkel fumes that the knights, rather than Logan, will fall behind. He orders everyone to halt and rest for 10 minutes. Heinkel approaches Logan, asking whether that exhausting run has tired him. Secretly, Heinkel expects an honest complaint to end this insane training. He cuts him off, casually calling the ordeal effortless. Stunned, Heinkel asks what Logan means by that. He calls it excellent practice and praises its strengthening effect. He says daily exposure like this can only make the knight stronger. He eagerly anticipates tomorrow's session as two fallen knights nearly surrender. Heinkel thinks this outcome differs sharply from what he wanted. He, for his part, remains entirely unconcerned. That night, Logan scans the training field and finds himself alone. Every knight appears to have already gone home. He considers training them an insurance plan against his other schemes failing. Should that happen, he will join the knights and fight at the front. Building relationships now makes that possible later. His force offers another reason, since meditation can develop it. Training his body matters equally, making the knightly order useful. As imagined, Logan's force core expands while fatigue never appears. He draws his sword and releases a force slash with one swift cut. The display confirms the extent of his power. He marvels that all this strength comes from a single one-star core. He imagines 2 stars granting enough might to rival his high-ranking father. The following morning, Logan tests several crossbows and dismisses every one. He asks Hamar whether these disappointing weapons represent Hamar's finest work. He questions the ordered string, noting 1 shot and no visible magazine. He insists the magazine must be built directly into the weapon. Hammer bristles furiously at the criticism. He apologizes, saying his words were harsher than intended. Hammer agrees with the criticism, then defends every craftsperson's pride. Even a master's rank, Hamar says, never permits insulting an artisan. Logan's actual point is harsher. Hamar's best leaves no solution. The implication nearly makes Hamar erupt. He says perhaps his expectations were excessive after weeks of failure. He tells Hamar nothing useful has been accomplished. Logan worsens matters by saying he misjudged Hamar and wasted his money. That provocation finally pushes Hamar to demand another month. Hammer promises to return with something worthy of the investment. Enraged, he smashes the crossbow held in his hand. Logan watches Hamar leave, expecting that anger to force a complete restart. A cruel smile crosses Logan's face as he wonders about Hamar's limit. Perhaps greater pressure can make Hamar produce something extraordinary. 1 month later, Hamar presents an improved crossbow on a training field. The new weapon fires 2 arrows simultaneously, leaving Logan speechless. Hammer admits it has 1 fewer shot than Logan requested. In exchange, it is easier to grip one-handed and supports magazine changes. Logan is impressed that Hamar loads and fires it in only 2 seconds. He thinks its range is shorter than the weapon from his previous life. It is also smaller, yet its cavalry performance surpasses his expectation. They have come remarkably far, with months remaining before the Fief War. Hammer asks whether Logan is listening, but Logan suddenly hoists him overhead. He praises Hamar's work, boasts about dwarves, and blesses their people's longevity. Embarrassed, Hamar fears witnesses and protests that he is no child. He demands that Logan put him down immediately. Logan calmly meets Hamar's eyes, clearly preparing a serious question. When Hamar asks what, Logan's unsettling intensity instantly returns. He demands 400 crossbows within only 2 months. Logan next distributes the crossbows among Castellan and the other mercenary. A test bolt astonishes everyone by flying an extraordinary distance. The weapon shocks them further by firing multiple shots consecutively. Castellan examines the invention, wondering how such performance is possible. No front-loaded crossbow should combine such range, strength, and speed. At least 300 mounted soldiers could unleash terrifying devastation with these. The possibilities alone are enough to frighten Castellan. Castellan calls Logan extraordinary and recognizes his plan existed from the start. Logan confirms it, privately acknowledging everything Hamar endured. Despite extra craftsmen, Logan never expected completion 2 months early. Hammer even produced 100 crossbows beyond the original order. The dwarf's expertise is undeniable, and Hamar truly excels at his craft. Logan considers issuing the weapons to McLean's knights and soldiers. Limited funds and possible technology leaks make that choice dangerously risky. For now, Logan decides delaying wider distribution is wiser. Logan orders Castellan to arm the mercenaries and purge outlying monsters. Castellan initially considers the assignment impossible for their forces. He insists the mercenaries possess everything needed to succeed. Castellan finally concedes that the plan might actually work. That uncertainty displeases Logan, who orders Castellan to find a workable method. If Castellan cannot manage this, Logan says nothing else matters. Castellan knows such a weapon was never designed merely for monster suppression. Its true purpose is war, and Logan is already preparing. During nighttime drills, Ironjaw marvels at Logan's tremendous physical endurance. Quickstep asks whether that absurd physical ability runs in his family. Greybeard replies that the Patriarch's blood should also grant excellent swordsmanship. Their discussion soon turns toward Logan's battle against Ranyan. Greybeard warns Quickstep never to compare Logan with the older man. They recall Logan losing to his younger brother before awakening his power. Still, enduring this training for over a month remains impressive. The regimen, originally meant to break Logan, becomes the Knight Order's new emblem. It exhausts everyone, yet offers greater rewards than endless running. The Knights now consider it proper training for genuine Order members. Low-ranking knights who once shirked practice unexpectedly find fresh motivation. Riders also begin understanding and identifying deeply with their horses. The shared work strengthens bonds throughout the order as well. Heinkel only maintained the regimen because Logan stubbornly refused to quit. These sweeping results leave Heinkel struggling to believe his eyes. To Heinkel, fortune has practically delivered itself to his doorstep. That night, Logan reflects upon his progress inside his room. After exhausting his body, he stimulates his inner awareness through meditation. Both practices reinforce each other, producing tangible progress lately. He senses unmistakable signs that his force is changing. If his martial power develops properly, he can surpass every past life monster. An unforeseen change suddenly interrupts his focused meditation. His core expands while incoherent words spill from his mouth. It abruptly advances and becomes a 2-star core. That foundation finally lets Logan study the Sword Secret's next technique. The technique carries the simple name Iron Cut. Its full ominous designation is Murderous Iron Cut. Remembering the first technique's power makes Logan anticipate something far greater. He expects the second technique to exceed even his wildest imagination. Mastering it before the war would make high-ranking knights unthreatening. Deep inside the territory, Kaisalon and the mercenaries hunt a goblin band. The soldiers unleash their bolts, killing the goblins instantly. Bolteye notices that the crossbows produce almost no recoil. His shot pierces one goblin's head and lodges inside another behind it. Logan watches over 100 monsters fall within fewer than 10 seconds. The mercenaries have abandoned every habit learned from ordinary crossbows. Their magazine changes have also become dramatically faster. Logan decides traveling this deep for the hunt justified every effort. Kaisalon turns toward Logan and asks whether he says he is more or less satisfied with their performance. He remembers their first monster hunt was disastrous, though they improved greatly. Kaisalon asks why Logan has made such extensive preparations. No mercenary army he knows carries anything close to this firepower. Kaisalon wonders whether Logan intends to exterminate monsters across the continent. A mounted knight interrupts, galloping up with Rick's urgent message. Viscount Tesseron declared war against McLean on the previous day. Inside McLean's war room, Patrick and the family heads watch a crystal ball. Through it, Tesseron invokes an ancient grievance over his unjustly slain ancestor. He openly assigns blame to McLean, leaving Patrick utterly bewildered. Several nobles trade uncertain glances, questioning whether this grievance warrants war. Heinkel and Callion press Patrick to decide their next move. Heinkel notes that Tesseron's knightly order alone vastly outnumbers their soldiers. Even with Patrick fighting personally, their odds of victory remain poor. One noble proposes holding the city and requesting reinforcement. Yet that plan would hand the advantage to the knight-heavy enemy. Fighting inside the city would also plunge everything into chaos. Another man suggests dispatching an emissary and seeking peace. Patrick erupts, orders everyone silent, and rejects their wavering. Royal authority may have weakened, but Tesseron never requested permission for war. Such brazen defiance proves the entire attack was carefully prearranged. That leaves peace entirely beyond any serious consideration. Patrick commands everyone to prepare immediately for the coming war. His generals must produce a winning strategy, and Patrick forbids all disagreement. Amid the tension, one noble asks whether Logan will fight too. Patrick confirms that Logan will participate in the war. Callion adds that Ronyan's power has awakened, and he is old enough. Ronyan must now step forward and fulfill his own duty. Rick then notices that Logan is absent from the castle. He quickly dispatches a messenger to inform Logan about the invasion. Once briefed, Logan compares these events against his past life memories. Those memories place the beginning of this war 2 months later. He wonders what could have accelerated the conflict so drastically. The messenger urges Logan to return with all possible speed. Tesseron discarded every custom by attacking immediately after his declaration. He must hurry if he hopes to arrive midway through the conflict. Kaisalon and the others shout that their mercenaries can deploy any time. Logan points out that Kaisalon appears entirely unsurprised by this crisis. Kaisalon says mercenaries without war are tempted to create one. Since they obtained an excellent weapon, wanting to use it comes naturally. Logan surveys the army and judges their confidence almost excessive. Still, their confidence feels earned after several months of punishing training. They also annihilated entire monster hordes with overwhelming superiority. Whatever date the war begins, only victory truly matters. Their present combat power now seems sufficient to Logan. He orders every soldier to march toward the McLean Plain. He feels certain this campaign will conclude with their victory. At the McLean barony, war arrives earlier than anyone expected. One day after declaring war, Tesseron's troops enter the McLean estate. Their sheer numbers surpass every expectation held by McLean's vassal. Heinkel reports 100 knights, over 1,000 regulars, and nearly 10,000 conscripts. Heinkel warns Patrick that Tesseron has launched a full-scale war. Patrick thinks Tesseron has finally abandoned all reason. The enemy's main knights resemble superhumans when compared with ordinary citizens. Tesseron also employs conscripts in a purely domestic feudal dispute. This is not even a war fought between separate nations. Patrick cannot understand why Tesseron is pushing matters this far. The worsening news gives Patrick no time to find answers. Their trusted allied house announces that it will send no troops. The refusal leaves both Patrick and Hamar stunned into silence. Hammer insists that such an outcome is impossible and surely mistaken. Hammer remembers checking every arrangement together with Dwayne. They had specifically ensured that this exact betrayal could never happen. With no alternative, Patrick orders Heinkel to gather every weapon-capable man. McLean will answer Tesseron's attack using its entire available strength. Patrick reflects that their deeply trusted allies have abandoned them. That sudden betrayal leaves McLean trapped in a desperate position. McLean gathers every possible fighter for the battle against Tesseron. Their army includes 53 knights, 552 regulars, and 4,418 conscripts. Their combined strength reaches exactly 5,023 combatants. Even so, this force remains below half of Tesseron's army. On the battlefield, two soldiers quietly discuss Logan's absence. One asks where young Master Logan has gone. The second soldier begins replying about his whereabouts. He has been gone for ages without returning. Some soldiers mutter that Logan probably will never return. They suspect he fled immediately after hearing news of the war. Ronyan turns around and demands to know what they mean. He insists Logan would never abandon McLean under any circumstances. Ronyan believes Logan foresaw this war and taught him the secret technique. Someone who prepared him so carefully could never simply run away. Nearby troops overhear Ronyan and begin accepting the desertion rumors. Whispers quickly spread that the Lord's eldest son has deserted. Patrick approaches Ronyan and orders his youngest son to replace Logan. He sternly warns Ronyan against wavering during the coming battle. Privately, Patrick refuses to believe the ugly rumors about Logan. Yet those doubts matter less now than securing victory. Patrick commands every soldier forward against the scum assaulting his home. Tesseron watches with a smile as Patrick finally draws his sword. He declares that his knights are his blade against Patrick. Patrick surges forward, wrapping his attack in powerful aura. He attempts to smash straight through Tesseron's vanguard. An enemy knight bearing a shield stops Patrick's strike cold. The successful block leaves Patrick staring in stunned disbelief. Rick fights elsewhere, visibly sickened by everything surrounding him. People are slaughtered and ripped apart directly before his eyes. Rick knows McLean's army is steadily losing this battle. Their enormous disadvantage has forced ordinary people like Rick onto the field. Remaining there guarantees defeat once Tesseron's forces surround them. A Sylvan soldier suddenly strikes Rick across the head. The Sylvan soldier swings again, intending to finish Rick. Rick dodges and a McLean spearman kills his attacker. The McLean spearman orders Rick upright and tells him to ready his spear. Rick reaches out and clasps the McLean spearman's offered hand. He tries expressing gratitude for having his life saved. A Sylvan knight suddenly murders the McLean spearman beside him. The McLean spearman's blood sprays across Rick's horrified face. Rick understands that fleeing far from enemy lines offers his only survival. Mounted soldiers charge toward Rick as he crosses the corpse-strewn ground. Bodies from both armies lie scattered across his escape route. Rick sees enemy cavalry closing around them from behind as well. Terror grips him as he fears everyone will perish there. After trading attacks with Patrick, the Shield Knight praises his reputation. Despite all their preparations, Patrick still cannot trust his physical condition. Patrick studies the Shield Knight who withstands his deadliest explosive blows. He is shocked that Tesseron concealed such a high-ranking knight. Patrick judges the remaining enemy knights as intermediate rank at minimum. He wonders whether that strength explains their complete lack of fear. Patrick asks whether these knights were specifically prepared to handle him. The Shield Knight asks Patrick what he thinks of their preparation. 4 knights encircle Patrick, steadily cutting away every escape route. Patrick knows becoming trapped will make the situation dangerously complicated. His entire knightly order could soon follow him into disaster. Patrick raises his sword and vows that outcome will never happen. He charges and locks blades directly with the Shield Knight. A spearman attacks Patrick's back during their clash. Patrick narrowly evades the spear thrust aimed from behind. Attacks continue pouring toward Patrick from every surrounding direction. Patrick demands to know whether these men possess any knightly honor. He curses them as bastards for relying upon filthy tactics. The enemy knights neither understand such honor nor care about it. One says Patrick faces his final battle, so they should ignore him. Patrick gathers all his strength and charges his opponents again. His sword crashes violently against another enemy knight's weapon. This time, a spear pierces Patrick from behind through his abdomen. The devastating wound leaves Patrick bleeding and seriously injured. Patrick recognizes the merciless design behind their coordinated attack. The Shield Knight absorbs his strikes while the others ambush him. Their formation is an obvious trap, offering Patrick no escape. With enemy forces flanking him, Patrick thinks Logan wisely fled. Facing defeat, Patrick hopes Logan can preserve McLean's family legacy. Tesseron observes Patrick's desperate struggle from a safe distance. He congratulates himself for hiding his high-ranking knights so effectively. Now Tesseron only needs to kill Patrick and seize McLean Castle. Tesseron prepares to complete his plan, but hears something behind him. The unfamiliar sound belongs to cavalry rapidly approaching from the rear. A soldier rushes over with an urgent report for Tesseron. Roughly 300 cavalrymen are advancing, perhaps even more. Tesseron pauses and wonders whether McLean concealed additional forces. He asks if these are hidden troops they somehow overlooked. The soldier answers that something about the approaching cavalry seems strange. None of the approaching riders are even carrying lances. The scout adds that their only weapons are small crossbows. Tesseron bursts into laughter at the absurd report. He scoffs, asking whether they mean those tiny hunters' crossbows. Tesseron orders the rearguard and archers to eliminate them. To him, these enemies are nothing but fifth-rate soldiers. Mid-sentence, a bolt punches straight through the reporting soldier's head. Tesseron stiffens inside his armor, stunned into silence. Logan has entered the battle, enraged by the unfolding slaughter. He commands his mercenaries to unleash their crossbows. A violent cloud of bolts descends across Tesseron's entire army. Their shots penetrate armored knights and shred hundreds within seconds. Shields split apart as more bolts rip through flesh. One survivor knows anyone without a raised shield is already dead. Had his shield risen 1 second later, he would have joined them. Tesseron's archers ready their bows and launch a counter volley. Every arrow drops short because their bows lack sufficient range. Logan's mercenaries loose another volley, slaughtering still more of Tesseron's soldiers. Tesseron watches helplessly, unable to understand the catastrophe. His entire rearguard collapses into chaos within mere seconds. No magic empowers Logan's mercenaries, only those infuriating little crossbows. Tesseron wonders what kind of weapon Patrick has created. Roaring wildly, he sends every knight toward the rear attackers. The cavalry races at full speed toward Logan's mercenaries. He smiles, delighted that they are charging directly toward him. Elsewhere, Ranyan prepares to clash with an enemy knight. He slips past one strike, earning a taunting compliment. Good job, the enemy knight sneers after missing Ranyan. As troops collide, another soldier tells him to stop playing around. The battle is turning serious, leaving no time for game. The enemy knight insists he is already fighting his hardest. Despite being a boy, Ranyan clearly cannot be underestimated. Their exchange finally makes the truth click for Ranyan. Real battle has exposed what sheltered training never could. Ranyan is no genius, merely a boy whose powers awakened. Even so, losing remains impossible with so much at stake. His thoughts turn toward Patrick and the trust placed upon him. Patrick expects Ranyan to fulfill Logan's role in this war too. Ranyan steels himself, knowing he cannot waver here. While his thoughts churn, a sudden opening appears nearby. Ranyan instantly spots a soldier presenting his unguarded back. He wonders what that soldier could possibly be doing. Whatever caused the mistake, Ranyan refuses to waste this chance. His sword flashes decisively and cleaves through the soldier's body. The effortless kill surprises Ranyan as much as anyone. Then he notices a crossbow bolt lodged inside the soldier's chest. Looking upward, Ranyan rejoices upon seeing Logan nearby. Logan calls Ranyan's name in a loud, unmistakable shout. That happiness disappears almost as quickly as it arrived. Behind Ranyan, furious knights surge toward Logan's position. They are carrying out Tesseron's command without hesitation. He studies the cavalry's kite shield formation as they approach. Its defensive strength impresses him, but it cannot stop his scheme. His wicked plan is finally ready to reveal itself. He tells his mercenaries to angle their crossbows toward the ground. Once again, his baffled soldiers question Logan's judgment. A deranged smile spreads across Logan's face as he names the target. "Shoot the horses," Logan orders, discarding every notion of fairness. He is using every underhanded tactic available to secure victory. The mercenaries erupt with excitement after hearing his command. Their faces mirror Logan's own bloodthirsty grin. Bolts pour diagonally downward into the cavalry's vulnerable horses. Stricken mounts collapse, hurling every knight onto the ground. Logan knows he arrived in time to help Ranyan. Yet Patrick remains in danger elsewhere on the battlefield. He remembers swearing to protect his family during this lifetime. Victory means nothing if achieving it costs their lives. He gives Castellan an order, then rushes toward Patrick. Castellan protests that Logan's sudden move was never planned. Panic grips Castellan while imagining everything that could go wrong. With victory nearly secured, risking Logan now seems senseless. Greater strength offers no safety against an unexpected mid-rank knight. One such encounter could overturn the entire battle. Castellan finally takes command and orders an escort to cover Logan. The escort protects Logan as he drives through enemy rank. Patrick continues dueling the high-rank knight and he is losing ground. The high-rank knight mocks Patrick for charging towards certain impalement. At the final instant, Patrick evades the thrust. He leaps backward, creating enough space to catch his breath. Patrick detects something peculiar in the enemy's fighting style. Everyone pushes beyond their limits and practically hurls themselves at him. Their desperation confuses Patrick because they currently hold the advantage. 2 more lances stab toward him only a second later. Patrick successfully parries both attacks yet again. Suddenly, Logan lands directly in front of Patrick. In an instant, he defeats 2 mid-level soldiers. Patrick stares speechlessly at Logan's astonishing arrival. He remembers Logan appearing behind the enemy with a mercenary corps, yet that location should be far from Patrick's current position. Turning his head, Patrick wonders how Logan crossed so many enemies. Finally, Patrick sees what lies behind Logan. Patrick freezes before the vast field of corpses behind Logan. He can barely believe his son defeated every one of them. Patrick longs to ask how Logan became so powerful. Yet the chaos leaves him confused, and this is no time. Instead, Patrick asks whether Logan's arrival means they are winning. He answers him with a firm nod. Patrick grips Logan's shoulder and says, "You did well." The enemy commander stares at Logan, struggling to process the sight. How could countryside-born Logan defeat two mid-level knights simultaneously? The commander remembers nearly working himself to death at 20. Back then, he had only been striving to become a knight. None of that matters now, because he intends to kill Logan here. He orders his fallen comrades up and back into formation. Patrick judges Logan capable of handling most mid-level knights. Even without high rank, his strength gives them some hope. Patrick plans to fight the commander while Logan confronts everyone else. Logan instead stretches one arm across Patrick's path. He declares that he will face the enemy commander alone. Patrick protests, insisting that this opponent is too much. He acknowledges his growth but warns that this knight is high-ranked. He cuts him off with a sudden punch to the stomach. The heavy blow knocks Patrick straight onto the ground. He says, "In your condition, even I can defeat you." He asks Patrick to trust him and leave this battle alone. Though reluctant, Patrick finally agrees to Logan's request. Patrick warns him to stay careful during the fight. He replies that they must hurry and finish everything quickly. The enemy commander is surprised when Logan approaches instead of Patrick. Fury rises as he wonders how this brat dares challenge him. He channels his strength and charges swiftly across the battlefield. Their swords collide and Logan drives him backwards several meters. The stunned enemy commander cannot understand how this is possible. Despite his injuries, he senses no exceptional power or level from Logan. Yet Logan is unmistakably overpowering him during their direct clash. The commander concludes that Logan must be pushing himself beyond reason. Preparing another attack, he still cannot make sense of his strength. He lunges forward again, radiating clear and deadly killing intent. Both fighters leap back and forth, narrowly avoiding each other's strikes. Their swords lock again, trapping them in another contest of strength. The commander believes his uninjured self would easily kill Logan. During that thought, Logan spots a brief chance to attack. His blade flashes across the commander, wounding him within an instant. He immediately jumps back and escapes the incoming counterattack. Studying his opponent, Logan finds no clear opening anywhere. He knows that any tiny gap must become his next opportunity. Both fighters notice the same strange change during their next exchange. The force behind his sword is absorbed by the commander's defense. Believing victory is near, the commander claims Logan entered his trap. He prepares a decisive strike against the seemingly vulnerable Logan. With Logan off balance, the incoming blow appears certain to land. Instead, Logan swiftly regains his footing and avoids the attack. The baffled commander wonders whether his movements are becoming too slow. He begins gathering his aura once more around his body. He prepares to unleash his sacred technique against the commander. Recognizing the danger, the commander knows he must escape immediately. He releases a slicing energy wave that instantly eliminates his enemy. Everyone nearby falls silent, stunned by the commander's sudden death. Logan roars, "I, Logan McLean, killed the general of Tesseron's army." Tesseron's soldiers tremble, unable to believe a high-ranked knight has fallen. They desperately question how someone so powerful could possibly lose. Tesseron's flag has also vanished completely from their view. His frightened soldiers drop their swords and request to become prisoners. Rick chants Logan's name and wishes his master lasting health. Everyone around Rick quickly joins the triumphant chant for Logan. Tesseron is already fleeing the battlefield and questioning his failure. He cannot understand how 3 years of preparation produced nothing. Tesseron had requested noble support and assembled 100 knights. Yet red-haired Logan, his troops and their weapons ruined everything. Thinking quickly, Tesseron decides to return to his territory first. Reaching his own lands might at least keep him alive. Tesseron reaches his castle and orders the guards to open the gates. The guards stare in shock upon seeing Tesseron return alone. A watchman then notices approaching knights in the distance. He warns everyone that Logan is leading the force toward them. The sight of Logan leaves Tesseron petrified with fear. He dismounts and remarks, "You were pretty quick to run away." Standing outside the gates, Logan announces that Tesseron lost the war. He orders the garrison to open the gates for the conflict's true victor. Soldiers along the walls quietly wonder whether his claim is true. They suspect that explains why Tesseron returned in such a hurry. A general suddenly bellows, asking whether they will cower over the enemy's word. The rebuke snaps the wavering guards back to attention. He reminds them that barely more than 300 enemies remain. Logan gathers his aura again and dismisses their chances in a siege. Such a tiny force, he declares, can never defeat them here. The gate guards stare, wondering what madness Logan is attempting. He springs over the wall despite its height of dozens of meters. From inside, he orders the general to open the gate. Anyone refusing must have a death wish, Logan warns. Otherwise, Logan will kill them himself and unlock the gates. In the palace, Tesseron frantically gathers his richest possessions and money. He decides he should at least escape with several gold coins. Logan's voice erupts behind him, announcing that Tesseron is finally caught. Tesseron tumbles backward and demands to know how Logan entered. Logan says Tesseron's servants surrendered him without requiring a drawn blade. Their betrayal says plenty about Tesseron's reputation as this fiefdom's lord. Rage consumes Tesseron as he wonders how his servants betrayed him. Coartus quickly returns, and he announces his surrender to Logan. Tesseron offers reparations and Logan's rightful share under feudal warfare custom. He begs Logan to preserve both his life and his family. Logan answers by scornfully questioning Tesseron's sudden devotion to convention. He says Tesseron cannot invoke rules after launching war without warning. Tesseron invaded everything within one day, making that appeal shameless. A vein bulges across his forehead as his fury rises. Logan asks whether Tesseron possesses even the smallest shred of conscience. Tesseron still appeals to him through the honor owed among nobles. He claims feudal custom guarantees survival for every prisoner taken in war. He accepts those terms and promises to honor his house's custom. He specifically invokes the standards upheld by McLean. Tesseron may live, take a limited portion of wealth, and leave. Relief floods Tesseron, who begins thanking Logan for his mercy. Logan cuts him off, explaining that Patrick would certainly grant those terms. Patrick is deeply honorable and would even accept surrender without conditions. Logan then spots a diamond-studded dagger resting inside a chest behind Tesseron. He lifts the weapon and quietly admires its beauty. Tesseron urges Logan to keep it as a gift. He boasts that the kingdom's finest craftsman forged the dagger. Logan declines and calmly tells Tesseron to take it instead. In one swift strike, Logan drives the dagger into Tesseron's chest. With his fading breath, Tesseron calls Logan a liar. He insists Logan promised to spare him, despite the blade. Logan replies that he promised nothing and only described Patrick's choice. Bad luck, he adds, because Logan is nothing like his father. Tesseron tries muttering another appeal about noble honor. Logan interrupts, demanding whether Tesseron understands how many died for his greed. He orders Tesseron to end his filthy life right there. Tesseron collapses onto the floor and lies lifeless. Watching the corpse, Logan thinks Tesseron should thank Providence for dying so simply. He clenches a fist now smeared with Tesseron's blood. He exhales, declaring the crisis finished except for some final detail. He loudly announces that Viscount Tesseron took his own life. He judges that explanation sufficient to settle matter. Castellan enters immediately and tells Logan to inspect the castle's underground prison. Several days later, Logan and Patrick speak outside Tesseron's castle walls. Patrick says he came directly there as soon as he recovered. He asks Logan about Tesseron's supposed suicide. Logan confirms it, claiming despair must have driven Tesseron to death. Patrick rejects the story and bluntly asks whether Logan killed him. He moves close, locking Logan in a tense stare. They look ready to exchange blows as neither man yields. Logan finally admits that he deliberately eliminated Tesseron. He argues that they needed to reclaim control with their own hands. Logan also refused to leave Tesseron's bloodline alive to create future trouble. Patrick studies his son and praises the grown man he has become. He says Logan surely had his own reasons. Regardless of anyone's opinion, Patrick names Logan the battle's decisive figure. Patrick then offers Logan his heartfelt thanks. Hearing that, Logan beams at Patrick with a wide, sincere smile. Blushing and stammering, Patrick tells his son, "Good job, kid." Patrick then tries to share even more welcome news. He announces that Logan will become McLean's officially recognized heir. Still smiling, Logan nods and politely declines Patrick's announcement. Patrick stares in confusion and asks why Logan would refuse. He wonders whether Logan fears damage to his public reputation. Patrick insists Logan's wartime achievements can overturn any lingering criticism. Yet reputation has nothing to do with Logan's decision. That answer leaves Patrick silently searching for another explanation. Logan argues Ronyan is far better suited for the position. After all, McLean descends from a distinguished family of knights. Ronyan awakened as a Force user at only 14. That achievement came 4 full years earlier than Logan's awakening. Nobody can predict Ronyan's strength once he finally reaches adulthood. Patrick falls speechless after hearing Logan's confident assessment. Still, Patrick argues combat strength alone cannot determine a family's lord. He privately admits that belief makes sense by current standards. Yet Ronyan should become the continent's youngest Force user again. That historic title would erase every concern about Ronyan's qualification. More importantly, Logan gains nothing useful by becoming the successor. He has no interest in wasting years as the next Baron. He says an older brother should grant his younger brother opportunity. He asks Patrick to delay choosing until Ronyan reaches adulthood. Patrick never expected Logan to care so deeply about Ronyan. Moved by that devotion, Patrick agrees to postpone selecting an heir. The final decision will come when Ronyan matures in 5 years. Relieved by the answer, Logan sincerely thanks his father. Patrick still intends to reward Logan for his decisive contributions. They will return home and calculate every profit from the war. Their total earnings will probably reach several 100,000 won. Logan already appears to have a particular reward in mind. Outside, a guard loudly orders the gates open for McLean's knights. Excited townspeople gather as the returning forces enter through the gate. Several citizens marvel that the army returned after only 1 week. Rumors claim the entire war ended within a single day. A puzzled laborer asks how such an overwhelming victory was possible. He wonders whether McLean's knights were secretly powerful all along. An informed neighbor asks whether he has heard the latest rumor. According to those stories, Logan deserves credit for everything. Soldiers returning earlier described how his mercenaries reversed the battle. They struck from behind as though they had foreseen every development. Another townsman says a strange weapon utterly destroyed the enemy rank. Logan supposedly defeated an elite knight entirely by himself. A curious young woman asks whether Logan was always this extraordinary. A skeptical merchant admits he once considered Logan a useless troublemaker. Citizens reconsider his earlier decision to purchase so much monster meat. Perhaps every strange purchase supported a much larger hidden strategy. The crowd suspects Logan may have been pretending all along. That unsettling possibility sends shivers racing through the gathered citizens. They praise Logan as a prodigy operating beyond ordinary understanding. His awakening as a Force user seemingly explains that incredible transformation. He overhears everything and burns with unbearable second-hand embarrassment. Ranyan playfully asks how receiving endless praise makes Logan feel. He admits the attention only makes his face turn red. He asks Ranyan to stop making the situation sound even grander. Ranyan insists exaggeration is impossible because every claim is true. He urges Logan to smile for the citizens celebrating his return. He studies their delighted faces and decides to make an effort. He produces what he believes is a dazzling, irresistible smile. Instead, Logan resembles someone desperately enduring a catastrophic stomach emergency. His expression also carries the icy menace of a pampered tyrant. Everyone turns toward Logan and instantly freezes beneath his terrifying grin. They become convinced Logan could crush their skulls with one thumb. Poor Logan cannot understand what went wrong with his friendly expression. Watching beside him, Ranyan can only pity Logan's hopeless attempt. Patrick glances back at Logan with unmistakable pride in his eye. He announces the next cheers will honor the war's champion. Patrick declares that their grand homecoming celebration is officially beginning. The crowd roars, "Long live McLean! Long live young Master Logan!" McLean's gardens remain lively as Logan wanders through the courtyard. He cannot believe the welcome ceremony continued until morning. Such relentless festivities seem especially brutal for soldiers returning from war. Logan's brief peace ends when Callion suddenly shouts from behind. His mother demands to know exactly what Logan is planning. Ranyan grabs Callion's arm and desperately tries stopping the confrontation. Callion refuses to relent and declares that everything has reached home. Callion demands confirmation that Logan rejected becoming McLean's successor. Then Callion angrily asks what Logan could possibly be plotting. Callion says, "You might fool everyone else, but you cannot deceive me," Callion finishes, far too perceptive for Logan's act. Ranyan tries diffusing the clash, explaining that Castellan's story deeply disturbed Callion. Logan calmly assures Ranyan that Callion's outburst does not bother him. Watching Callion, Logan recognizes that the lingering resentment has become powerless. Betrayal has stripped Callion of influence, leaving him harmless to Logan. If Logan handles this carefully, Callion may finally accept his apology. He admits his recent behavior gave everyone good reason to distrust him. Jealousy and inferiority drove those choices, and Logan sincerely regrets them. Callion shouts that his suspicions were right because Logan admits planning everything. Ranyan cuts him off, pleading yet again for Callion to stop. Turning back, Ranyan apologizes and explains that Callion is not acting normally. Logan barely reacts to Callion's hostility because his true concern lies elsewhere. He asks Ranyan to listen, since Ranyan deserves the real apology. Startled by this declaration, Ranyan asks Logan what he possibly means. He says he has apologized repeatedly since returning, without naming his offense. Years of regret and cowardice remain painfully difficult for Logan to overcome. Confused and frustrated, Ranyan demands to know what Logan is discussing. Logan suggests Ranyan already understands, then confesses years of hatred toward him. He hated Ranyan to conceal his own failures and crushing inadequacy. Now Logan deeply regrets wasting those years in such pathetic resentment. With full sincerity, Logan formally asks Ranyan to accept his apology. He bows his head and directly begs his brother for forgiveness. Ranyan silently stares at Logan, offering no answer after that confession. Still bowed, Logan reflects that good deeds cannot erase previous wrongdoing. His hopeful expectation suddenly feels painfully naive, just like his former self. Finally, Ranyan breaks the silence and quietly tells Logan everything is fine. The easy forgiveness catches Logan entirely off guard. Ranyan explains that he kept showing kindness despite Logan's cold treatment. He always believed the brother he remembered would eventually return. Ranyan then smiles warmly at Logan, making the reunion painfully moving. moving. Overwhelmed with happiness, Logan wonders why he delayed something so simple. Logan next turns toward Callion and addresses him directly. He says his care for Ranyan is genuine and deeply rooted. Logan also honestly hopes Ranyan will become McLean's eventual successor. Immediate trust would be an enormous request, and Logan openly acknowledges that. Instead, he asks Callion to watch his actions carefully from now onward. Everything Logan does henceforth, he promises, will serve McLean's greater good. As Callion walks away, Logan decides this apology is sufficient for now. Deep inside a forest, Logan and Hamar travel together on foot. Hammer demands to know why they left immediately after returning from war. He answers that he has rested enough and must resume working. Uneasy about their assignment, Hamar grumbles about enjoying whatever he earns this time. Logan assures Hamar that this particular job will definitely please him. Hammer hesitates, convinced Logan has no understanding of his concerns. They stop inside an open clearing and stare toward the distant landscape. The sight leaves Hamar visibly stunned by Logan's apparent objective. He intends to establish a mine on this seemingly worthless land. After Tesseron's barony discussion concludes, Patrick explains the reward Logan requests. Logan wants permission to investigate a hill beside Tesseron's border. Patrick notes that calling it a hill is exceedingly generous. In truth, the barren wasteland appears to contain absolutely nothing. Puzzled, Patrick asks why Logan specifically chose that useless location. He merely smirks and suggests gold might lie beneath the ground. The true cause behind Tesseron's forced war emerges 1 year after it ends. Tesseron begins exporting gold from a captured hill belonging to McLean. Revenue from that mine raises Tesseron above an ordinary count's family. That prosperity lasts until Ronyan massacres Tesseron's family in revenge. Beneath Tesseron's barony, an underground prison holds several highly unusual captives. Information from Casalon urges Logan to inspect those peculiar prisoners personally. One prisoner insists his group committed no crime deserving imprisonment. They merely accepted the Count's request to collect gold from the mine. Despite their hired status, the Vice Count imprisoned every member of their group. Logan covers his face, staggered by Tesseron's breathtaking stupidity. He cannot believe Tesseron jailed 5 invaluable experts in mining. Misreading his reaction, one prisoner asks whether Logan feels angry for them. Instead, his commercial instincts have abruptly taken control of his thoughts. Logan begins privately considering what this unexpected situation could mean. He spots an unexpected chance to turn the situation into profit. The old steward studies Logan, wondering what scheme occupies his mind. They defeated Tesseron, yet Logan considers that victory barely surviving one small wave. If the Empire invades, the kingdom's collapse will follow a far greater disaster. In 1 year, the king's sudden death will deliver that final blow. His death will ignite a vicious struggle among the 3 princes. That conflict will become a 3-year civil war, gutting the kingdom's military strength. The Empire will invade in earnest while the kingdom remains too weakened to recover. Logan identifies the king's death as the first step toward national ruin. The McLean house belongs to no faction, leaving Logan at risk of watching helplessly. Yet Logan sees neutrality as an opening and refuses to waste it. He plans to reclaim the country's former territories and rule the Southwest again. If fortune allows, Logan will end the civil war and reach beyond it. Hammer interrupts, asking what Logan is dreaming about after calling him over. Logan notices he has ignored Hamar and forces his attention back. They have barely survived one crisis, and the future demands rapid preparation. For now, explaining that future plan would only make Logan sound insane. Whatever happens next, Logan must finance everything with money from his own pocket. That hill will become the golden goose funding his coming ambition. He tells his servants that gold lies buried at the hill's center. He orders them to excavate a mine and calculate the expected expense. The servants stare in fascination, while Hamar assumes another wild idea has arrived. The old steward admits Tesseron paid them well and agrees immediately. Still, a gold mine sounds excessive, so he asks whether Logan is certain. He assures him the gold is real because he personally saw it. The old steward cannot understand how Logan discovered such a hidden deposit. He answers that secrecy requires only the 6 people present to drill. The old steward suspects Logan might actually be arranging their death. He protests that 6 workers cannot possibly manage such an enormous excavation. His unfinished complaint asks for impossible assistance, leaving Hamar to handle the labor. Hammer meets Logan's eyes and advises preparing for death immediately. He says they should sleep less and abandon any ordinary life. The old steward sees Hamar's expression and decides they are doomed. Logan privately approves, recognizing Hamar's unmistakable worker's mentality. With both men committed, Logan asks once more for the projected budget. The old steward explains that test drilling must measure the hill's gold reserves. That preliminary investment alone will cost 5 million won. Hammer adds that developing the mine safely will require considerable time. Preparation will take roughly 6 months, followed by another 6 months of extraction. Logan accepts the estimate, knowing he needs both enormous funds and patience. The mine made Tesseron wealthier than other Count families, making exploitation essential. Selling the monster meat would solve the money problem, but its effects emerge after 6 months. Logan then considers neutralizing its poisonous nature and selling it as medicine immediately. His years neutralizing countless toxins as a mercenary give him confidence. If Logan creates the right formula, selling it will make him rich. A week later, Rick brings Logan a medicine prepared in the southwest McLean village. Inside the mix, night herb ground fine, web herbs, and a pinch of drip grass. Logan objects when Rick calls it fake, naming it a neutralizing agent instead. He asks where the monster meat is stored, and Rick points to the village warehouse. He approves and announces they will apply the medicine to the meat. Rick panics, asking whether he truly has to enter the warehouse with Logan. Logan confirms it without hesitation, though Rick clearly dislikes the assignment. Rick warns that he has never entered and knows nothing about its danger. He grows irritated at the boy's sudden melodrama, then understands the reason. The stench is so powerful that even a sewer would smell refreshing. He expected something foul, but this stench churns Logan's stomach and already has Rick retching helplessly. He solves the problem by sealing away the odor with fork. With his stomach settled, Logan prepares to enter and orders Rick forward. Rick stares in disbelief while still hovering dangerously close to vomiting. He demands to know why Logan remains perfectly unaffected. He explains that force has temporarily numbed his sense of smell. Rick immediately accuses Logan of selfishly keeping that trick to himself. Logan suggests Rick awaken force and handle matters however he likes. Instead, Logan passes Rick some white neutralizing powder. He orders Rick to scatter it evenly across the monster meat. Enough powder must cover the surface until its outer layer becomes white. Any remaining black flesh still contains poison and requires careful handling. Rick must then mince everything finely and shape it into tiny balls. After crafting a sample, Logan asks whether it resembles proper medicine. Rick examines the finished ball and agrees that it does. He declares they will market these strange balls as medication. Every preparation duty belongs to Rick, so forgetting instructions is unacceptable. Rick refuses outright, insisting no reward could make him accept. Logan casually offers 101 for every pill Rick produces. That payment instantly transforms Rick's refusal into eager cooperation. Logan quietly fumes because he expected Rick to work without payment. Next, Logan announces that their new product needs an effectiveness trial. Rick asks exactly what kind of problem this mysterious medicine treats. He vaguely answers that it improves a man's most private performance. The euphemism sails straight over Rick's thoroughly confused head. Annoyed, Logan promises one explanation and demands Rick listen closely. His explanation begins with an imaginary male rabbit and female rabbit. The male rabbit feels dejected because his little foot remains weak. That feeble foot cannot properly move around inside their cooking pot, so the female rabbit serves him a special encouraging tea. One drink transforms the male into an outrageously powerful rabbit. His little foot also grows 4 times larger than before. Now that enlarged foot can stir the pot far more effectively. Finishing the awkward tale, Logan asks whether Rick finally understands. Rick confirms everything and claims he knows the ideal test subject. Curious about Rick's choice, Logan asks who will receive the pill. Without hesitation, Rick nominates Dwayne for their first human experiment. Dwayne later knocks on Logan's office door and hears permission to enter. He apologizes for interrupting and mentions hearing that Logan summoned him. Inside the office, Dwayne looks around but cannot locate Logan anywhere. Logan suddenly materializes behind Dwayne like a lurking night stalker. The surprise nearly launches Dwayne out of his own skin. Logan calmly announces that he has been waiting for Dwayne. Dwayne springs backward with an athlete's leap, clutching his racing heart. He protests that Logan cannot creep behind people without warning. Approaching gently, Logan offers to massage Dwayne's exhausted shoulder. After all, managing the estate after war has left Dwayne drained. Dwayne insists he is fine and says McLean suffers far worse. He notes that his father even collapsed from sheer exhaustion. Dwayne counters that Logan frightened his father into collapse. Still pressing onward, Logan acknowledges Dwayne's miserable recent workload. Dwayne suddenly erupts and shouts that McLean has no money left. The war consumed every last one available in their treasury. Neither the servants nor knights understand their household's desperate finances. They constantly demand funds, leaving the administration buried under headache. Dwayne admits he misjudged Logan and never expected concern for administrator. His grateful speech ends abruptly when Logan interrupts with a question. Logan asks whether bedroom difficulties are causing Dwayne's true distress. Those words leave Dwayne rigid and speechless like carved stone. Dwayne lunges toward the door, desperate to escape this conversation. Logan asks him to listen first and presents the experimental medicine. He calls it a patented product from Phillips Merchant Company. According to Logan, a single pill comes with guaranteed results. Privately, Logan remembers that nobody has actually verified this claim. Dwayne reluctantly swallows the pill while watching it with deep suspicion. Logan asks how Dwayne likes receiving this exclusive deal. He frames the pill as a gift offered ahead of everyone else. Later, Dwayne races through the castle corridors toward Logan and Rick. Rick hears Dwayne yelling, prompting both of them to turn around. He instantly understands that his scheme has produced the desired effect. Dwayne has returned because he desperately wants additional pills. Rick begins scolding Dwayne for recklessly sprinting through the hallway. Ignoring Rick entirely, Dwayne asks Logan for the medicine's price. His desperate expression suggests nothing could keep him from buying more. He answers with a hunter's grin, declaring the medicine successful. Irritated, Rick complains that nobody bothers listening to him. Logan then tells Rick to extend his hand toward him. Dwayne kneels before Logan while panting heavily and dripping sweat. The posture resembles an earnest proposal, with Logan ready to accept. Rick can only stand nearby and watch the absurd display unfold. Still dumbfounded, Logan gives Dwayne a wooden box packed with pills. Dwayne accepts it as though receiving life's highest honor. Following that first success, men begin bowing deeply to Logan. Several more trials follow, each reinforcing the medicine's startling effect. Inside the office later, Logan confronts Heinkel about troubling household gossip. He has heard Heinkel and his wife argue every night. Heinkel denies everything and demands the identity of the reckless gossip. He silences him mid-protest and forces a pill down his throat. That makes Heinkel the second subject in Logan's ongoing trial. The pill takes effect immediately after Heinkel manages to swallow it. Heinkel turns toward the door, struggling to get words out. Logan interrupts, ordering him home to visit his wife. He also promises to smooth everything over with his father. Relieved, Heinkel thanks Logan with an unmistakably eager smile. Heinkel rockets outside, apparently destined for an unforgettable night. Patrick later receives the third trial inside his office. His reaction shows that the results satisfy him just as thoroughly. Glancing toward his father's room, Logan privately pities Ronyan. It seems Ronyan will soon gain another younger sibling. That means Ronyan will no longer remain the youngest child. The surrounding frenzy infuriates Rick, who confronts Logan over being excluded. Rick insists he deserves a trial after working harder than everyone. Logan answers with an empty stare, then deliberately studies Rick's crotch. He turns away and walks off without offering any explanation. Behind him, Rick shouts, demanding an explanation for that strange glance. Still facing away, Logan finally delivers his merciless answer. Rick would never get an opportunity to use the medicine anyway. Giving him a pill would only squander perfectly good inventory. Logan also orders Rick to stay back because he reads. By now, Logan seems almost entertained by tormenting poor Rick. During a video call, Philip considers Logan's claims about the medicine. Philip admits genuine results would create enormous demand among wealthy buyers. He asks what price Logan intends to charge. He sets one pill at 101 and 10 at 10,001. Philip hesitates, visibly troubled by those aggressive numbers. He asks whether Logan considers Seoul's wealthy elite gullible. At those prices, Philip warns, serious trouble will follow. He confidently says they are anything but foolish. From his previous life, Logan remembers the medicine becoming wildly successful. Demand eventually drove its price to astonishing heights. He argues that tightly limiting supply will push prices higher still. Philip weighs the strategy carefully and concedes that it makes sense. He pays to keep their call active for 10 additional minutes. He continues, convinced a celebrity testimonial could produce extraordinary results. The ideal endorser would be famous and personally need this medicine. Philip falls speechless, then challenges the entire premise. No prominent man would publicly admit a pill cured his impotence. Logan counters that nobody needs to make any public announcement. Countless observers track Seoul's elite, making privacy nearly impossible. One whispered rumor would send customers stampeding toward the product. The argument sparks an idea, and Philip urges Logan to attend a Seoul party. Logan erupts, demanding whether Philip could possibly be serious. His only previous party followed a war and involved mercenary. Besides, his family never possessed enough money for social parties. Philip maintains that parties provide excellent opportunities for building contact. Even for business, connections require time, and Logan cannot sell there alone. That objection unexpectedly gives Logan a plan. Philip asks whether Logan truly intends something that outrageous. He warns the entire family could become unwelcome in high society. He replies that nothing happens if he never sells anything. Instead, Logan mentions a highly capable informant operating in Seoul. He asks Philip to locate him and gather every necessary detail. Philip hesitates, asking who this informant is and what Logan plans. Logan only says he will reach Seoul soon and explain everything there. Those words leave Philip with a deeply uneasy feeling. 1 week later, Logan arrives in Seoul exactly as promised. Philip stares in disbelief that Logan actually followed through. He immediately asks how Logan secured his family's permission. A wealthy heir visiting Seoul to sell aphrodisiacs is hardly ordinary. Logan assures Philip that his family never heard the real reason. Transporting roughly 3,000 boxes without an assistant still poses a problem. Privately, Logan notes his father approved the trip surprisingly easily. His wartime achievements probably made that permission easier to obtain. Philip remembers Logan also lacked an assistant when they first met. He questions whether a wealthy heir should travel around unattended. He replies that bringing an assistant only slows him down. Besides, that assistant already has separate responsibilities to handle. Logan reflects on Rick and the tremendous mission Rick entrusted to him. Though Logan sometimes treats Rick harshly, Rick serves him in both lives. Logan remains grateful because Rick has always done everything for him. A picture of Rick appears beside Logan's heartfelt monologue. That leads to Rick stealing several pills from Logan. Logan warns that shaking him loose earns Rick 1 punch per pill. That warning is his particularly painful version of affection. He suddenly announces that he has made up his mind. An idea has just struck him and a flashback begins. To honor his hard work, Logan names the medicine Impel Rick. Apparently, Legacy reaches its peak when attached to impotence medication. Philip hears this and decides Logan must be an absolute lunatic. Inside the dormitory, Philip says Logan should recover after his journey. Philip suggests that a bar would be an excellent place. Logan tells Philip to mind his words around people lacking potency. Too many ears are listening, making that subject especially dangerous. Philip agrees, noting the current surroundings suit such discussions better. Philip then mentions meeting the informant and asks about payment. He confirms whether Logan truly intends to pay 901 per document. He admits the informant charges heavily but possesses exceptional skill. With a properly worded request, the informant supplies flawless information. Philip says he followed Logan's instructions precisely. The first document lists nobles married within 10 years without children. The second records nobles lacking lovers or additional wives. The third names nobles who often seek food for extra energy. Logan confirms every detail sounds correct, so their plan should succeed. He praises Philip's excellent work throughout the capital. Logan also credits Philip for every previous assignment he received. Philip dismisses the praise, saying those tasks were hardly difficult. He identifies the real crisis as hearing news about the war. Philip says he cannot imagine how worried Logan must have been. The war ended that night while Logan studied a sheet of paper. Logan feels pleased that Philip genuinely cares about his client. That satisfaction disappears when Philip considers the monster meat awaiting him. Philip loses his appetite, imagining who would purchase such worthless garbage. Logan hurls the paper at Philip and orders him to read. Philip wonders why the paper's impact hurts so much. As Philip begins reading, Logan asks which name makes the best first client. A tear slips from Philip's right eye as something catches his attention. Logan watches silently, waiting for Philip to explain what he found. Philip points toward one entry and asks Logan about that person. Logan follows Philip's finger, then his expression abruptly turns shocked. He recognizes the name immediately. A grand ballroom later glitters beneath an enormous chandelier. Guests drink champagne while a towering man dominates the gathering. The towering man wears a red jacket with black dress pants. He chats among several beautiful women until Logan calls out. That man is Count Davis, and Logan shouts his name. Count Davis looks back incredulously, showing disgust or perhaps fear. He approaches and introduces himself as Logan McLean. He identifies himself as McLean's eldest son. Count Davis controls his composure while suppressing an amused laugh. He greets Logan politely and welcomes him to the celebration. Count Davis examines Logan's clothing and privately considers it tacky. He wonders which farm produced Logan, assuming Southwest fashion explains everything. Logan remembers Philip recommending these clothes, exactly as expected. Nobody likes the outfit, convincing Logan that his choice is excellent. He has no time for meaningless friendships at pointless parties. His sole objective is Count Davis. Davis is the fallen man Logan came to pursue. He holds importance within the Grandia Kingdom's treasury. Count Davis married at 20, yet remains childless to this day. Logan was stunned when Philip identified him on the list. In Logan's former life, Count Davis became remarkably famous. That fame carried no honor, since his wife caused his suicide. A remembered quarrel shows Count Davis arguing with his wife publicly. During the party, she screams and calls him an impotent bastard. Her explosive accusation drives Count Davis to end his own life. Logan says reputation and public opinion carry enormous importance. Count Davis satisfies every condition Logan gave the informant. He is the perfect first customer for Impel Rick. Logan tells Count Davis he came to Seoul for business. Having heard of Count Davis's prestige, Logan says he visited simply to offer greeting. Count Davis asks what business Seoul could possibly still need. After all, the capital already seems to contain everything imaginable. Yet he muses that remote regions may offer fascinating, unavailable products. Logan confidently says Seoul certainly lacks the product he sells. That absence, he explains, is exactly why he has come. He identifies his merchandise as specialized medicine intended specifically for men. Leaning near Count Davis's ear, Logan quietly whispers, "A stimulant." Count Davis freezes in shock and bites his lip briefly. Then he loudly asks how a noble heir could sell stimulant. Two young women watch the spectacle, visibly mortified by everything. Count Davis privately scorns Logan as an arrogant provincial nobody. His expression convinces him that the humiliation worked perfectly. Instead, Logan releases a heavy sigh and prepares another response. Logan says courtesy prompted gifts for Seoul's most influential figures. He politely asks Count Davis to accept the offering. Logan presents a small box containing 3 Impel Rick doses. Each dose, Logan explains, will eventually sell for 101. These 3 were brought specially as Count Davis's complimentary gift. He guarantees excellent results without any harmful side effects. He stakes his honor as a noble upon that promise. Listening silently, Count Davis begins sweating under the mounting pressure. Several days later, Logan's shop doorbell suddenly rings. Count Davis's attendant arrives, tasked with purchasing more Impel Rick. Logan and Philip greet him, confirming his service to Count Davis. Later, the attendant exits, carrying a leather briefcase full of medicine. Philip follows closely, thanking him and welcoming another future visit. Back inside, Philip counts the payment in front of Logan. 10 boxes have earned them 10,000 won on their first sale. Philip calls that result respectable for their opening transaction. Logan remains dissatisfied because their ambitions require far greater revenue. Rent alone costs 10,000 won for their tiny storefront. Philip says such expense is inevitable in Central Seoul. Logan never saw how much trouble Philip endured securing this location. Strategically, Philip insists a physical shop remains essential for attracting buyers. Witnessing people gather personally creates a much stronger impression. Logan agrees, then announces his departure for another party. Philip grumbles that Logan attends parties almost daily since reaching Seoul. On some days, Logan even visits 2 separate gatherings. Logan explains that securing Count Davis first is still insufficient. He must advertise the shop among everyone possible on his list. 1 week later, Count Davis's attendant walks toward the shop again. He cannot believe the Count requested another purchase of that medicine. No previous health supplement has ever worked for Count Davis. Reaching the shop, the attendant stops abruptly in astonishment. A massive line of men seeking medicine stretches down the block. Studying the crowd, he initially wonders what attracted so many people. Then recognition strikes, because every waiting man looks familiar. One is the chamberlain serving a well-known viscount. Directly ahead stands the butler employed by another count. The attendant lowers his hat, hiding as much face as possible. Such exposure could spark needless gossip throughout Seoul's noble household. He decides to purchase quickly and escape without attracting attention. As that thought ends, Philip emerges and addresses everyone still waiting. Philip apologizes, announcing that today's prepared inventory has already sold out. The waiting servants react with stunned disbelief at this announcement. One servant confronts Philip, demanding how everything could suddenly be gone. Nobody had warned those waiting that supplies were nearly exhausted. Philip apologizes again and explains Impel Rick's extraordinary popularity. Production cannot match demand, forcing strict sales limitations. The shop can release only 50 boxes each day. 2 servants grow frantic upon hearing about the daily restriction. They beg Philip to sell them anything he can spare. Returning empty-handed could leave their masters far less understanding. A passing noble, accompanied by his attendant, notices the noisy commotion. Curious, the noble orders his attendant to investigate the gathering. From behind a building corner, Logan watches with quiet satisfaction. Limiting supply, he thinks, will intensify every customer's desire to buy. Visible crowds will also awaken curiosity among other nobles. Every part of Logan's strategy unfolds precisely according to plan. Philip loudly declares that no inventory remains for today. He firmly instructs everyone to return again tomorrow. The following day, Philip sells every box again. By the 3rd day, the same sellout repeats without fail. Nobles watching the frenzy wonder how many straight days it can continue. Philip calls the results incredible after more than a month of surging sales. Today, they sell everything the instant the shop opened. Philip believes monthly revenue could reach 4.5 million won. Logan sarcastically asks whether Seoul truly holds that many impotent nobles. They tripled prices since mid-year, yet customers eagerly offer even more. Such reckless spending makes Logan fear for the kingdom's future. He then fixes Philip with an unusually grave stare. Suddenly, Logan wears the crazed grin of someone spotting fresh prey. His booming laughter spills outside, turning heads along the street. In truth, overwhelming happiness alone drives his alarming reaction. Logan hooks an arm around Philip's neck and vigorously touzles his hair. He praises the admirable brat for delivering such excellent results. Philip's face steadily turns purple as Logan accidentally chokes him. Philip then bows and thanks Logan for all his hard work. Looking down, Logan appreciates that Philip recognizes his contribution. Starting next week, Philip will personally receive 1% of total sales. Philip loudly vows absolute dedication and immediately tries kissing Logan. A hooded elder secretly watches every exchange from the street outside. A wrinkled face and blonde beard remain visible beneath his hood. Inside a sorcery shop, Logan operates the communication line from a back room. He suddenly shouts about 10 annual tons of gold, drawing every gaze. He immediately falls silent and stares toward the doorway. He asks whether the report is serious, and Hamar confirms everything. Hammer says miners expect gold nuggets within a much deeper layer. He glares wildly at the communication orb, clenching his teeth and fists. Even rough calculations value 10 tons of gold at 100 million won. This discovery feels like the greatest lottery Logan could ever imagine. Hammer warns that mining expenses are enormous and questions Logan's finances. Opening the mine alone requires approximately 5 million won. Logan assures Hamar that every necessary resource is already available. Logan asks Hamar to wait, promising money and workers very quickly. Hammer remains unconcerned and merely asks Logan to treat the workers gently. That night, Logan walks through Seoul, calculating the mine's initial investment. Starting the operation will demand approximately 5 million won, he reflects. Current sales should generate around 4.5 million won monthly. Selling medicine for only 2 more months will still leave extra money. After all, roughly 700 boxes of medicine remain available. Logan considers returning home for merchandise and beginning the mental development work. Something near the shop catches his attention, breaking his train of thought. He studies the building and detects somebody hidden inside. He charges toward the shop immediately, suspecting robbers have entered. He kicks the door so violently that it crashes against the wall. He searches every corner, yet the entire room appears empty. Drawing his sword, Logan wonders whether the intruders somehow disappeared. Since only one doorway exists, they must still remain inside. A shadow suddenly streaks past Logan without warning. He notices too late and slashes at the hooded elder, narrowly missing. He shouts for the hidden trespasser to identify himself. He spins around, but nobody remains anywhere in sight. Standing motionless, he keeps his sword aimed into empty air. He considers this impossible, certain another presence occupied the room. Then that same unsettling sensation suddenly returned. Logan looks upward, suspecting the hooded elder escaped onto the roof. Without hesitation, Logan launches himself toward the rooftop. Aiming at the hooded elder, Logan drives his sword forward. The hooded elder evades the blade only at the final instant. He confronts him atop the roof, readying another sword strike. Again, Logan demands his identity, but the hooded elder offers no answer. Instead, the hooded elder vanishes utterly without leaving any trace. He freezes, stunned by the impossible disappearance. No presence remains, though the hooded elder stood there seconds earlier. He examines his hand and discovers a torn fragment of cloak. He wonders what the hell just happened. The following morning, Logan tells Philip everything that occurred. Together, they conclude that an aura-wielding thief infiltrated their shop. He cautions that this is speculation, but estimates an advanced force use. That title describes fighters surpassing even high-ranking knights. He begins adding one further detail about the hooded elder. His judgment is no hunch. The hooded elder operates on another level. Philip cannot believe an aura master would stoop to petty theft. Aura alone can elevate even a slave into nobility. Why would someone blessed with such power run around stealing? Philip asks Logan exactly what disappeared from the shop. Logan answers that the stolen items match Philip's suspicion. The intruder takes only 2 pills from the impotence medicine. That tiny amount tells Philip profit was never the motive. Instead, the thief must have intended to swallow them personally. Philip wonders aloud whether aura users can also suffer impotence. The possibility finally clicks, and Logan quickly agrees with him. Logan asks whether the informant's list includes any aura users. Philip says none appear among the names he purchased. The informant demanded another payment because that detail was top secret. Philip rejected the costly offer without buying the additional information. On reconsideration though, one possible aura user enters his mind. This capital resident possesses aura, yet has never produced descendants. A muscular blonde noble strolls through the streets beside the gentle wife. His elegant clothes and full beard reinforce his distinguished appearance. Watching children play, the blonde noble's expression softens with quiet tenderness. Longing for a child shines plainly within his pale blue eyes. The gentle wife startles him by asking what has captured his attention. Sweating, the blonde noble claims he merely admires the scenery outside. The gentle wife clearly finds that flimsy excuse unconvincing. She asks whether he has been staring at the children again. He insists the view alone interests him, not any foolish thought. Then the blonde noble embraces the gentle wife and suggests returning home. She mostly ignores that suggestion and says meeting him brought immense happiness. The gentle wife softly asks whether he understands how happy she feels. Joy fills the blonde noble's gaze as his mustache curls slightly upward. Holding her tighter, he says that he feels exactly the same. The blonde noble is Felix, the kingdom's greatest swordsman. His buried grief and regret originate from an injustice suffered during youth. While defending his country, Felix receives a wound directly between his legs. Felix regards it as an honorable battle scar for a knight struck down in combat. Being young then, Felix gives the injury little thought. Years later, he questions the value of dukedom and unmatched national strength. Without a son to inherit everything, those achievements feel utterly pointless. Felix believes all his sacrifices may ultimately have been wasted. In the past, Felix explains his condition to the gentle wife. Her compassion exceeds every expectation and leaves Felix visibly stunned. Tearfully, she recognizes his suffering and asks whether he accepts the situation. She says she still wishes to serve faithfully beside him. Faced with such devotion, Felix seeks some way to repay her immense love. Felix walks a castle garden path alongside the cautious attendant. The cautious attendant warns that the family meeting is about to begin. He asks whether Felix truly has no need to hurry. Felix sees no reason to arrive before the meeting meeting starts. Arriving early only gives his relatives longer to demand an heir. With visible hesitation, the cautious attendant carefully raises a delicate subject. A highly effective medicine, he says, has recently spread through the capital. Felix responds with a sarcastic question about whether that claim is genuine. The cautious attendant adds that it supposedly heals even physical injury. Once again, Felix barely takes the story seriously. Still, the cautious attendant insists many people report remarkable results. He acknowledges Felix's distrust, yet urges him to consider those testimonies. Felix lowers his head, secretly ashamed because he already tried those pills. Worse still, Felix obtained them through theft. Tears from the gentle wife trouble Felix, but his own fall troubles him more. Stealing violates the discipline principles Felix has upheld throughout his life. To deepen the disgrace, the medicine produces absolutely no effect. Felix advises the cautious attendant against believing every rumor he hears. Privately, Felix decides his warning is entirely correct. Stories about the medicine's effectiveness must simply be fabricated gossip. If Aura cannot repair his injury, no ordinary treatment possibly could. Felix thinks he should have abandoned this hope long ago. At Felix's estate gates, Logan speaks with the estate guard. The estate guard refuses entry because Logan has no scheduled appointment. Logan simply asks him to relay his name to Felix. He confidently predicts Felix will request a meeting after hearing it. Earlier, Philip reacts with amazement when Logan announces his intended visit. Philip asks whether Logan truly plans to approach the Duke personally. He confirms the plan with a calm nod. Philip begins teasing Logan for going after the strongest man around. Philip jokes that Logan might ask whether Felix stole something or became impotent. The mere idea of spreading such questions across the kingdom terrifies Philip. Philip panics and asks whether this is truly Logan's entire plan. Remaining calm, Logan only asks whether Philip is attempting to imitate him. Philip urges Logan to behave like nothing unusual ever happened. Otherwise, Logan could invite serious trouble without gaining anything in return. Philip warns that one wrong turn could leave them both ruined. Later, Logan waits alone on a chair inside a quiet hallway. He admits Philip's warning carries more sense than he initially showed. Still, if yesterday's mysterious man was Felix, this opportunity is priceless. A butler emerges through an elegant wooden door and summons Logan inside. Felix waits beside the window as Logan enters the room. Approaching Felix, Logan considers how valuable a favorable connection could become. After all, Felix ranks among the kingdom's most powerful individuals. He offers an elegant greeting and formally introduces himself by name. He identifies himself as the eldest son and heir of McLean. While studying Felix closely, Logan notices something rather extraordinary. Despite being roughly 70 years old, Felix appears considerably younger. Logan suspects Felix uses his overwhelming aura to restrain physical aging. Felix confirms McLean lies in the southwestern region of the kingdom. He then asks why Logan traveled such an enormous distance. He decides that revealing his real purpose immediately would be unnecessary. Instead, he mentions recently establishing a business within the capital. He says he brought one of its products as a gift. A small box glides across the table toward the waiting Felix. He describes its contents as an exceptional medicine designed specifically for men. Countless successful cases among nobles supposedly prove the medicine's remarkable effectiveness. Felix examines the box and quietly asks whether those claims are genuine. His expression reveals no sign that he recognizes yesterday's strange encounter. Keeping his head lowered, Logan finds Felix's behavior increasingly difficult to interpret. He still cannot confirm whether Felix was actually yesterday's mysterious thief. With subtle questioning failing, Logan decides to raise the stakes. He notes that an ordinary remedy means little to someone superhuman. He then reveals that he prepared something considerably more special. That announcement finally draws a faint reaction from Felix. Logan inwardly celebrates because Felix's earlier indifference now makes perfect sense. Felix must have tried the standard aphrodisiac without experiencing any noticeable effect. Normally, processing neutralizes the monster meat's poison enough for safe consumption. The remaining trace transforms the processed meat into a potent aphrodisiac. Yet, such trivial poison cannot affect a superhuman body like Felix's. To overcome that resistance, Logan repeatedly concentrates the poisonous component. The result is an extraordinarily powerful version of the original medicine. He presents this concentrated pill as an exclusive limited edition formula. Felix's attention sharpens immediately upon hearing that tempting description. Privately, Logan knows the supposed rarity is merely clever sales language. Each special pill actually compresses 50 standard pills into one dose. Its horrific pain alone would be enough to kill an ordinary person. For an aura user though, that concentrated dose presents another story. Logan confidently guarantees that Felix will experience the desired result. If satisfied, Felix only needs to contact Logan afterward. Logan promises to prepare any quantity Felix might request in the future. Naturally, he also guarantees absolute secrecy surrounding every future transaction. The following day, Felix appears radiant, proving the concentrated medicine succeeded. He offers Logan any favor that lies within his considerable power. He nearly erupts with delight, yet keeps his expression perfectly serious. Feigning confusion, he claims he cannot understand what Felix means. Felix explains that aura users command both their bodies and life energy. For that reason, he can confidently judge the treatment's actual effectiveness. The medicine works flawlessly, and its benefits extend beyond the first use. After roughly 30 doses, the accumulating effect restores Felix's body fully. His persistent longing and painful tightness within his chest finally begin fading. Felix marvels that Logan thoughtfully brought this gift without mentioning his blunder. He also praises his astonishing swordsmanship during their encounter that day. Such skill seems almost impossible for someone as young as Logan. Felix concludes that Logan naturally seems capable of possessing miraculous medicine. Apparently, Felix's painfully long dry spell has thoroughly scrambled his judgment. Felix admits he may have offered his reward somewhat too quickly. Still, Logan's gift reveals hope for curing his long-standing chronic condition. Feeling deeply indebted, Felix sincerely wishes to repay Logan's consideration. He asks Logan once more to name whatever reward he desires. He lowers his gaze toward the floor, wearing a cold expression. He requests nothing grand, only a supposedly useless book about swordsmanship. Felix searches through his library and retrieves a suitable volume for Logan. He warns that blindly practicing its instructions would damage his body. Nevertheless, Felix believes the book remains worthwhile as reading material. He accepts the volume gratefully, then requests one additional favor. He asks Felix to write a letter confirming that Felix provided the book. Felix answers that fulfilling such a simple request presents no problem. He privately celebrates because he has finally obtained everything he needs. Outwardly, he laments choosing only one swordsmanship book from Felix. After all, Felix had been prepared to grant him practically anything. Yet Logan's true objective has always been something entirely different. As that thought ends, Felix suddenly says the arrangement feels improper. Caught off guard, Logan asks Felix what exactly seems wrong. Felix replies that he has reconsidered what he intends to do. Felix now offers to teach Logan a sword technique personally. The unexpected proposal leaves Logan utterly unable to answer. After all, Felix ranks as the kingdom's greatest swordsman. Felix says he understands Logan's wish to remain humble. Still, a basic swordsmanship manual alone would leave Felix uneasy. He already possesses the divine sword's hidden teaching. Yet refusing such an offer from Felix would serve no purpose. Thrilled, Logan thanks Felix and considers himself extraordinarily lucky again. On the training grounds, Felix and Logan stand facing each other. Felix calls judging exceptional youths one pleasure of growing old. He warns Logan to concentrate because this lesson will show no mercy. He steadies himself and settles into a prepared stance. Felix orders Logan to unsheath his sword, but Logan cannot move. A crushing pressure pins Logan down, keeping his hand from the weapon. This, Logan understands, is the strength wielded by true aura users. He wonders whether every true aura user can paralyze opponents similarly. If so, battles between them must simply become contests of aura. He concludes this pressure comes from technique, not raw strength. With immense effort, he finally pulls his blade slightly free. He decides his force must heighten his senses instead of his body. Only then can he study the energy pressing against him. Whenever Logan moves, Felix's force expands outward from its contact point. He cannot explain the mechanism, yet knows how to counter it. He must act half a step sooner whenever Felix disperses that force. Following that insight, Logan fully draws his sword and takes guard. Felix watches him closely and declares that Logan has talent. Sweat pours off Logan as he barely remains standing. Felix tells him to focus, gathering aura onto his blade's tip. The concentrated energy makes Felix's next attack unmistakably clear. Logan struggles against that presence, but terror locks his body again. Raising his eyes, he recognizes Felix's blade formed entirely from force. He stares ahead, certain the strike is about to descend. Yet one grave obstacle leaves him almost helpless. Felix's aura is simply far beyond Logan's ability to withstand. Logan feels Felix's force entering his body and scrambling his senses. The red blade's energy keeps intensifying with every passing instant. Desperate, Logan searches ahead for anything that might save him. Suddenly, he discovers his own force is neutralizing Felix's pressure. Looking inward, Logan knows evasion is no longer possible. Another path might still let him survive the incoming blow. He draws up his inner force, molding a protective circle around himself. The sight stuns Felix, who questions Logan's decision to oppose force with force. Felix immediately shifts into an aggressive stance, sword pulled behind him. Energy floods Felix's weapon as he prepares to bring Logan down. With killing intent in his eyes, Felix lunges straight toward Logan. He holds his glowing blade defensively and trembles with sudden fear. Just as expected, Felix's strike lands cleanly and launches Logan backward. He crashes into the wall while his sword also suffers damage. Felix remains composed, showing no strain after delivering the blow. His cold gaze stays fixed on Logan across the ground. Still trembling, Logan braces himself on his sword and attempts rising. The weapon lies shattered, while Logan can only replay what happened. Felix asks if Logan expected lessons on something he could discover alone. Felix reveals he saw everything Logan did throughout their exchange. He notes Logan unknowingly became deadly serious during the final moment. Pride enters Felix's expression as he praises Logan's fearless response. Logan met the strike directly, astounding Felix with his nerve. Felix thinks certain people are simply born to distinguish themselves. As Logan loses consciousness, Felix anticipates enjoying his future growth. Later, the estate attendant asks whether Logan already intends to leave. The estate attendant explains Felix invited Logan to remain until fully recovered. Logan declines, claiming Felix's potion has already restored him completely. Hearing that answer, the estate attendant offers to escort Logan outside. At the entrance, the estate attendant wishes Logan a safe journey. He thanks the estate attendant and heads away from the mansion. He quickly vanishes from view, puzzling the estate attendant. The estate attendant wonders how Logan disappeared from sight so rapidly. Around the corner, Logan limps onward, still aching from Felix's attack. The pain is brutal, but Logan refuses to waste that potion. Such valuable medicine would be absurd for a minor injury. Logan cannot believe Felix casually handed him a superior grade potion. Medicines of that quality are nearly impossible to obtain. He notes his power evolved specifically to heal internal injuries naturally. Yet the damage Felix inflicted feels like an entirely different matter. The injury will be difficult to handle, yet Logan weighs his losses. In the end, Logan decides the potion still gives him more than it costs. Logan then pulls out Felix's note containing the mansion's communication coordinates. Felix says Logan can contact him whenever trouble appears. Logan feels delighted, never expecting Felix to regard him so favorably. To Logan, Felix is practically treating him as a disciple. That connection will surely prove valuable to Logan later. Philip suddenly appears behind him, catching Logan entirely off guard. Logan turns around and asks what Philip is doing there. Philip says he waited nearby until Logan finally showed himself. Concern crosses Philip's face as he asks why Logan looks so pale. Philip nearly shouts, fearing Logan somehow offended the Duke. Logan insists the opposite happened, describing a brief sword lesson with Felix. A sudden cough sends blood spraying from his mouth. Philip panics and announces plans to prepare their immediate escape. He promises to secure the fastest horses available. Logan tries explaining the situation, but Philip refuses to listen. Philip keeps muttering, convinced Logan has misunderstood the entire encounter. 1 week later, a notice covers the door of their shop. It announces that the potion is sold out and asks customers to return later. Inside, Logan proudly announces that sales have earned 4.1 million won. Philip marvels that another month could push their earnings beyond 4.5 million won. The pair exchange confident looks and cheer loudly enough for customers outside. Their celebration ends when Logan asks whether Philip now wants no monthly bonus. Philip quickly abandons reality and begs Logan not to destroy his fantasy. He says the monster meat from the market will be handled without trouble. He praises Philip after hearing that the arrangement is already secured. Philip next recommends purchasing a house in Seoul to reduce lodging expenses. Logan rejects the idea since they will leave Seoul in 18 months. Committing so much money for that short stay makes no sense. Logan tells Philip to concentrate on the potion business until then. Eventually, Logan adds they will have to relocate. When Philip asks what Logan means, Logan says it is not his concern. Philip then urges Logan to protect his health after seeing him cough blood. He explains that the incident is why he stayed locked away all week. Philip questions Logan's recovery since Logan always works at his desk. Every visit finds Logan occupied with something rather than resting. Logan cuts him off and says the matter is none of Philip's business. Philip complains that Logan hides far too many secrets. Logan feels relieved that Philip grumbles without pushing for answers. If Rick were present, Rick would certainly investigate every hidden detail. Philip asks whether Logan is leaving for home now. Logan confirms it and asks Philip to pacify the waiting customer. More stock will arrive once Logan sends it to the shop. Logan also says there is one final matter Philip must handle. He orders monthly food rations worth 100,000 won for Tesseron and McLean. Philip stares in shock, asking whether Logan plans to feed the whole region. Logan tells Philip to stop muttering and carry out the order. The deliveries must continue for an entire year. Philip should begin searching for a reliable supplier immediately. Philip concludes that Logan must care deeply about his people. That assumption proves wrong as Philip prepares to leave. He privately admits this is not about valuing them. Providing food is simply necessary for his larger plan. The shortage in McLean will require at least a year to resolve. Since the people's labor supports his strategy, Logan cannot let them starve. He prepares to depart and casually says he has work elsewhere. Philip does not ask for details, recognizing another secret has appeared. In a cold warehouse, impoverished people huddle together on the floor. They wrap themselves in every scrap of cloth they can find. A bloodied man sits among them, sadly staring downward. Elsewhere, Logan visits a magic shop with a paper in hand. He passes the paper to a sorcerer waiting behind the counter. After scanning it, the sorcerer asks whether Logan truly seeks everyone listed. He hesitates, beginning an explanation that remains unfinished. Armed with mere names and traits, he would search the entire continent. Unfazed, Logan asks whether the shop sorcerer can handle it. He also promises generous compensation for completing the daunting search. The shop sorcerer studies the paper again, uncertainty plain across his face. After a long pause, he reluctantly accepts his request. He departs, expecting the search to prove extremely difficult. Even the few names in his possession might be false. Yet Logan knows he has no other choice available. He must gather every independent superhuman regardless of the cost. These people reached that level during his previous life. None ever placed themselves beneath an established organization. Everyone could become indispensable during the coming war against the Empire. One particular mercenary matters most, having once served the Empire. While walking, Logan abruptly halts and releases a sharp breath. He sees that his urgency has pushed him too quickly. Since matters in Seoul are progressing smoothly, he has accelerated recklessly. Gazing upward, Logan remembers that plenty of time seemingly remains. He decides slowing down should cause no harm. That comforting assumption about time may prove dangerously mistaken. Inside a dungeon-like dark room, a messenger tries calming a furious elder. The furious elder seems possessed by rage over his mistreated disciple. He demands to know whether the messenger has additional henchmen. His tirade also mentions a certain magic tower master. The messenger explains that he only came to deliver information. Such reasoning means nothing to the furious elder. His anger continues raging far beyond anyone's control. Then the furious elder asks why his disciple was summoned this time. The messenger says the disciple received a 6-month business assignment. His destination lies deep southwest, in the countryside around McLean. Upon hearing this, the furious elder grips the messenger's shoulder heavily. He vows that the magic tower master will not escape punishment. This dispute, he insists, must finally be settled permanently. Seoul houses the magnificent headquarters of the Earth Magic Tower. Inside, Logan approaches a desk where the sleepy attendant dozes deeply. He offers a greeting, making the sleepy attendant blink upward. Recognition instantly sends the sleepy attendant springing upright with cheerful courtesy. He welcomes Logan while privately wondering about this unfamiliar customer. The sleepy attendant cannot determine what kind of person Logan is. At first, his bearing made him seem like a nobleman. Now, his inexpensive suit makes that judgment look doubtful. Logan has come to investigate the tower's magical scroll. The sleepy attendant assumes Logan cannot be meeting any senior mage. He merely hopes Logan purchases several basic scrolls. Smiling, the sleepy attendant hears Logan request 150 destruction magic scroll. The staggering quantity catches him entirely by surprise. Even so, the sleepy attendant keeps his expression cool. Logan produces his bank account certificate for inspection. As the sleepy attendant counts, his disbelief steadily deepens. The account holds an astonishing 4 million won. That immense balance leaves the sleepy attendant frozen in shock. Looking downward, he visibly trembles while struggling to speak. Eventually, he stammers an offer to personally escort Logan upstairs. He receives the sudden courtesy without any visible reaction. Destruction magic is a 4th circle spell affecting a broad area. Its force can even collapse walls built from stone. Slow activation and unmistakable warning signs make it poor for battle. Combatants consequently rarely choose to use destruction magic. Logan instead recognizes tremendous possibilities for construction work. He believes the spell could dramatically accelerate development. Upstairs, Logan discusses the purchase with the older Tower Master. The Tower Master asks whether Logan truly wants 150 scrolls. Without hesitation, Logan confirms that he wants them. The Tower Master leads the Earth Magic Tower. His unease shows after so long without such a generous customer. Logan recalls the Tower Master rushing over several minutes earlier. News that Logan wanted 155 scrolls had brought him running. Such behavior seems unusually frantic for someone holding his position. He represents the 5th generation of masters leading this tower. Despite that history, he possesses only 1.5 million won. This paltry reserve exposes the tower's desperate finances. He recognizes that the Tower Master's weakness favors his negotiation. He describes McLean as petty southwestern thieves unworthy of recognition. Logan says he understands why the Tower Master never heard of them. The Tower Master immediately apologizes for his apprentice's earlier mistake. He promises to discipline the sleepy attendant with a severe scolding. He brushes aside the apology, insisting that none is needed. In response, the Tower Master praises his generosity. Downstairs, the sleepy attendant remains convinced he has ruined everything. The Tower Master secretly bristles over, nearly losing such easy prey. Despite Logan's assurances, the Tower Master contemplates the deal silently. Peaceful times make Earth magic most valuable for farming and construction. He wonders which nobleman would spend lavishly on such trivial purposes. Frustration rises as he recalls fools gossiping about the tower's decline. The fools say the tower weakened after his appointment. He has also depleted the tower's budget far sooner than expected. Assessing Logan, the Tower Master decides he looks like an easy target. Careful handling might coax an enormous sum of money from Logan. With that goal, the Tower Master admits his request presents difficulty. Curious about this warning, Logan asks what the problem is. A 4th circle scroll requires supervision from at least a 5th circle mage. Unfortunately, the tower currently lacks enough experienced personnel for that work. Unfazed by this explanation, Logan bluntly asks what he plans to do. The Tower Master stares back, startled by his unexpected response. Still pursuing his scheme, he emphasizes the scroll's enormous production cost. He calmly rises and says nothing can be done about that. He heads toward the door while revealing his intended monthly order. He planned to purchase 150 scrolls every month. If this tower cannot deliver, the royal family's tower will receive his business. Panic seizes the Tower Master, who leaps directly into Logan's path. Desperately blocking the exit, he asks whether Logan truly means every month. He confirms that the recurring order is entirely serious. Over 6 months, Logan will require 900 scrolls altogether. The Tower Master gazes at Logan like salvation has descended personally. He notes that 150 scrolls already seem beyond them. A full 6-month commitment would surely pose an even greater challenge. As Logan turns away, the Tower Master dives dramatically onto the floor. Clinging tightly to his boot, he swears the tower will manage. He asks whether fulfilling such an order is genuinely possible. The Tower Master declares it 100% feasible without hesitation. He even polishes his shoes using the sleeve of his robe. Each scroll costs 10,000 won, according to the Tower Master. Thus, 150 scrolls total 1.5 million won. Greed flashes brightly across the Tower Master's eager eyes. Logan's planned purchases could earn him over 9 million won within 6 months. Finishing his display, the Tower Master stands and offers another solution. Hiring a mage could prove more practical than buying every scroll. Confused by the proposal, Logan asks which mage he means. He thinks mediocre mages are normally chosen to avoid unpleasant assignment. Lending Logan an actual mage would surely cost even more. 1/4 circle mage could provide the equivalent of 300 monthly scrolls. He asks whether any 4th circle mage would accept construction work. The Tower Master quickly says Logan has misunderstood his proposal. Even he cannot command a 4th circle mage however he pleases. Instead, he offers 9 2nd circle mages and 1 3rd circle mage. These disciples possess extensive experience and already coordinate effectively together. In exchange, the Tower Master requests fewer scrolls in his order. Logan considers the offer and decides it might be worthwhile. A coordinated mage team could provide greater benefits than disposable scrolls. Still, Logan wonders what construction specialists from this tower might resemble. A group of exhausted, ragged men suddenly files into view. The hollow-eyed leader guides the battered-looking group toward Logan. They resemble survivors stumbling home after a punishing war. Their dreadful condition leaves Logan visibly shocked and searching for words. The Tower Master interrupts and orders everyone back to their quarters. Visibly frightened, the men immediately flee and leave Logan bewildered. Annoyed, Logan remarks that the entire group looks near collapse. The Tower Master agrees, yet confidently endorses their professional ability. They are the tower's youngest mages with the greatest construction experience. According to him, every member is an expert in that field. Despite their appearance, Logan judges the weary mages surprisingly capable. Their 3rd circle leader works alongside several other skilled specialists. All are in their 20s, making them highly promising talent. Even after this discovery, Logan remains deeply suspicious of the arrangement. He doubts the Tower Master will truly send disciples into the countryside. He argues that 2nd circle mages hardly equal the surrendered scroll. The Tower Master insists the 10-person mage team will be sufficient. Hearing that assurance, Logan reveals his familiar smile filled with menace. Without losing that smile, Logan begins bargaining with the Tower Master. He proposes 120 scrolls plus all 10 dispatched mages. For that package, Logan offers 1.2 million won monthly. The Tower Master attempts composure, but his proposal visibly rattles him. He considers the offer practically theft, given those mages' exceptional talent. He would never provide even ordinary mages himself for such a price. Yet the Tower Master's ready acceptance still leaves Logan deeply astonished. The Tower Master produces a contract and demands Logan sign it immediately. Studying the document, Logan wonders who could possibly accept such conditions. Everything moves so quickly that the fresh ink remains visibly wet. A nagging suspicion tells Logan that something is seriously wrong. The door suddenly bursts open behind him with a violent crash. Clayton storms inside while 2 disciples struggle to restrain him. Furious, Clayton says he knows how the disciples have been treated. He declares their discussion will happen right there and now. As a 5th circle mage, Clayton confronts the Tower Master with fury. Clayton demands to know whether another disciple faces yet another mission. The Tower Master claims every decision serves the tower's greater welfare. Clayton asks why his disciples always receive the harshest assignment. These are not random choices, but youths recently returned from mission. The Tower Master counters that young people can withstand difficult experiences. Clayton accuses him of abusing disciples since Clayton became an elder last year. Dismissing everything, the Tower Master declares that Clayton has lost his senses. Watching their argument, Logan finally understands the tower's hidden power struggle. Reaching the 5th circle so young apparently made Clayton a dangerous rival. The Tower Master seemingly vents that resentment upon Clayton's younger disciple. Logan stays calm, pleased that their internal conflict benefits his position. Turning cold, the Tower Master says disobedience makes their fate irrelevant. He orders Clayton and the disciples to leave immediately if they wish. Stunned by the ultimatum, Clayton asks whether he truly means it. Clayton begins gathering magical power, plainly preparing himself for battle. Still impassive, the Tower Master charges magic while questioning Clayton's resolve. The ground surrounding both mages starts trembling beneath their gathering power. One disciple recognizes the danger and urges everyone to stop them. Clayton shouts for the Tower Master to prepare himself. The Tower Master silently watches Clayton settle into a combat stance. Without warning, Logan slams his hand forcefully against the table. Every gaze turns toward Logan, who appears untouched by the commotion. Clayton and the Tower Master stare speechlessly at Logan's interruption. The younger disciples likewise struggle to believe what just happened. He raises the paper he has just marked with his seal. It is the Tower Master's contract, now formally finalized. He calmly instructs all 10 waiting mages to follow him. He then directs his attention toward Clayton and the Tower Master. He tells them to settle their personal dispute among themselves. The contract remains binding even if the tower receives another master. Consequently, their business arrangement faces no trouble from any leadership change. The Tower Master admits both men behaved disgracefully before their guest. He promises Logan the scrolls will arrive immediately after completion. Clayton interrupts, insisting his conversation with the Tower Master remains unfinished. The Tower Master asks whether Clayton intends to obstruct the tower's official contract. He sharply reprimands Clayton and orders him to remember his position. Clayton answers that his own decision is now equally final. He announces that he will accompany his disciples as well. Both Logan and the Tower Master stare at Clayton in disbelief. The Tower Master loudly declares that Clayton must have gone insane. A Tower Elder accompanying disciples to construction work is entirely unheard of. Logan protests that he never hired any 5th Circle mage. Clayton replies that Logan need not provide him separate payment. He only plans to assist his disciples and accelerate the construction. Hearing this, Logan bows and promises Clayton his utmost devoted service. Clayton requests only a single day's delay before their departure. That extra day will let his exhausted disciples recover properly. Logan accepts Clayton's request without raising any further objection. He schedules their meeting for noon tomorrow at the western gate. The next day, a carriage rolls outward through the tower's gate. Outside, Logan leans against a wall with a backpack over one shoulder. He waits there for Clayton and the remaining mages to arrive. Yesterday's hurried contract now strikes Logan as an astonishing windfall. Normally, hiring one 5th Circle mage costs at least 1 million won. Instead, Logan has secured far greater value for dramatically less money. His thoughts turn toward returning to McLean territory as quickly as possible. He must send more required materials to Seoul and handle other matters. A sudden voice interrupts his planning by loudly shouting his name. Someone nearby is clearly calling out specifically for Logan. As Logan looks toward the voice, the caller's identity becomes clear. Raven admits it has been ages since she and Logan last met. Logan greets Raven casually, using her name without hesitation. Raven immediately cuts him off, insisting they are not close. Sensing the awkwardness, Logan corrects himself and addresses her formally. He calls Raven the Princess of the Wolves and agrees. Logan adds that Raven remains rude, just as she always was. From her lavish carriage, Raven peers down behind a folding fan. Raven mentions capital gossip surrounding Logan's questionable new dealings. She asks whether the McLean family is struggling financially. What Raven truly wants to know is whether McLean has collapsed. Logan stays composed and politely says he is chasing wealth. He makes clear that McLean's circumstances are none of Raven's concern. Raven needles him again, recalling the money from their broken engagement. She says the payment was substantial, even for a thief like Logan. Logan inwardly wishes he could slap Raven for amusement. Eager to escape, Logan agrees and starts walking the other way. He dismisses Raven as filthy enough to avoid entirely. Raven stops Logan, bringing up his battlefield achievement with a special weapon. She asks whether Logan would consider selling that weapon to her. He downplays its value, politely refusing despite his embarrassment. He then hurries away from Raven's carriage as fast as possible. Raven watches Logan leave through the window with open disgust. He thinks Noble never cared about the countryside's feudal war. Even after his impure medicine made him famous in Seoul, Noble showed no interest. Raven's side, unfortunately, is far too involved in the matter. The crossbow's construction is simple enough for others to reproduce. Logan hopes to deploy it only a few more times. He fears the plans falling into the wrong hand. Once that happens, everyone will begin producing the weapon. Clayton's voice breaks into Logan's thoughts from nearby. With his disciples, Clayton expected Logan near the west gate. Clayton asks why Logan has crossed over to their side. Logan pushes Clayton and the disciples toward his chosen direction. He explains that an irritating person delayed him earlier. 3 carriages suddenly thunder through the surrounding wood. Logan rides inside one carriage with Clayton and a disciple. Clayton huffs like a brightly colored bird while inspecting the carriage. He notes that 5 or 6 people could fit comfortably. The coachman also appears highly skilled at handling the vehicle. Clayton concludes Logan spent heavily to provide such comfort. His mood sours as he condemns the unnecessary display. Clayton says Logan wasted money on pointless luxury. The disciple tries calming Clayton, though the effort accomplishes little. He thinks powerful mages often carry themselves with ridiculous pride. He tells Clayton it is an honor serving such mighty mages. He insists everything provided is merely the minimum required. After all, he hired a 5th circle mage without paying. Flattering Clayton feels like a small price for that bargain. Clayton gives no answer and keeps glaring through the window. Night arrives, and the travelers establish camp beside the road. Logan says traveling this late is pointless, so they leave tomorrow. He lights a fire and settles into meditation. A knife-wielding attacker suddenly appears and throws his weapon. He senses the threat and dips his head beneath it. Without breaking meditation, Logan asks who is hiding there. The attacker praises his quick evasion as Logan rises. The attacker says capital rumors describe Logan as a strange drug millionaire. 5 men surround Logan, making him wonder whether they are robbers. Annoyed, Logan says he only wanted to train through meditation. Their interruption, he decides, creates an ideal practice opportunity. He draws his sword and appoints the bandits as training partners. One loud bandit mocks Logan with laughter and jeering taunts. He remains expressionless, then cuts the mocker's throat instantly. The laughter stops as the bandit collapses before them. 2 remaining bandits stare at their fallen companion in disbelief. They cannot understand how Logan moved with such startling speed. One bandit curses Logan for moving impossibly fast. Another bandit immediately lunges forward to attack him. He responds by shifting into an aggressive fighting stance. The knife wielder closes in, aiming his blade at Logan. He smoothly evades the thrust and slices open his stomach. That swift counterattack sends the knife wielder flying through the air. His companions lose their composure, stunned by his overwhelming strength. The knife wielder crashes backward into a tree and falls unconscious. With 2 men already down, only 3 bandits remain. One bandit recognizes their hopeless situation and orders everyone to flee. Yet he suddenly discovers that his legs refuse to move. Logan begins gathering aura while raising his sword. The position of his sword looks strangely familiar. Logan is reproducing the movements he learned from Felix. He channels enough mana into his weapon to recreate Felix's attack. A shimmering aura blade finally forms around his sword. He firmly plants one foot against the ground. He swings with absurd power, cleaving through the empty air. The attack strikes 2 bandits directly and drops them instantly. Then the aura Logan summoned suddenly disappears without warning. Its abrupt disappearance leaves Logan slightly confused. He concludes that maintaining this ability must be extremely difficult. He looks toward the final bandit, who has also fallen nearby. Thanks to Felix, Logan briefly achieved the technique's maximum level. While Logan remains distracted, the survivor quietly crawls towards safety. The desperate survivor hopes to escape the danger unnoticed. He considers how focused compression through his new authority creates aura. That same day, the Duke also demonstrated the pressure blade. He additionally revealed the force blade, a weaker level of attack. He had believed copying that technique was currently impossible. His cheeks redden as excitement spreads across his face. Logan cannot believe he produced the Force Blade, even briefly. He finally notices the survivor attempting to crawl away. He turns his head and fixes his gaze upon him. The survivor cries, wondering what disaster he has stumbled into. He prepares another attack, terrifying the helpless survivor. He approaches while reviewing the technique within his mind. Force projected from the sword dominates an opponent through sheer pressure. That application of power produces the technique called Pressure Blade. Logan raises his weapon, ready to stab the final bandit. A predatory smile suddenly returns to his face. He decides this ability should prove sufficient during actual combat. He surveys the bodies and wonders whether he overdid things. An unexpected voice behind him makes Logan jolt in surprise. The unseen speaker announces that he witnessed everything. Logan turns and finds Clayton standing there, visibly furious. Clayton's apparent anger leaves Logan uncertain about its cause. Logan wonders whether Clayton thinks he treated the robbers too harshly. Losing Clayton's cooperation now would place Logan in serious trouble. Clayton's true reaction, though, is nothing like Logan expects. He praises his incredible abilities with unmistakable admiration. The unexpected compliment leaves Logan stunned and briefly speechless. Still wearing his usual scowl, Clayton continues explaining himself. Clayton admits that his knowledge of Force users remains limited. Even so, Logan's display is clearly abnormal for someone his age. Logan thanks Clayton while insisting that the praise is too generous. He finally understands that Clayton was never truly angry. Clayton's face simply looks naturally irritated all the time. Clayton and Logan walk together through the quiet forest. An awkward silence settles between them as they continue onward. He glances sideways and recalls deliberately leaving their camp. He wanted distance from everyone while revealing his hidden power. Logan wonders whether Clayton traveled this far specifically to find him. Clayton breaks the silence by discussing his struggling disciple. He believes their difficulties come from lacking a better teacher. For that reason, Clayton teaches them everything he possibly can. Logan assures Clayton that he is already doing well. He then asks why Clayton needed to share this concern. Clayton stops walking and turns his head toward Logan. He insists his disciples must receive breaks after reaching his territory. Clayton also wants opportunities to continue training them personally. He promises to work enough to secure those opportunities. Clayton asks whether he and Logan can reach an understanding. He accepts the proposed arrangement without any hesitation. Looking downward, Logan suddenly notices something strange beneath them. Mana rises from the ground behind Clayton and flows elsewhere. He silently wonders where that stream of mana is heading. It travels directly toward the tent where the mages sleep. Clayton again asks Logan whether their agreement is settled. Logan instead wonders why Clayton shares his mana so tirelessly. He recognizes how carefully Clayton looks after every disciple. Clayton replies that any teacher should provide this bare minimum. Logan starts questioning Clayton's definition of the bare minimum. He asks whether battling the Tower Master for his disciples still counts as minimum. Clayton counters that the Tower Master started the fight. The following day, McLean flags flutter proudly above the estate. Inside Patrick's office, Logan finds his father informed about his travel. Patrick asks whether Logan gained valuable experience while visiting Seoul. He answers that everything he learned proved immensely useful. Satisfied, Patrick asks whether Logan has anything else to report. He privately wishes he had prepared a smoother introduction. Instead, he casually announces that his Seoul business is flourishing. Patrick goes speechless, rises from his desk, and demands clarification. Logan explains that he sold the medicine previously given to Patrick. Patrick nearly faints upon hearing Logan traveled there selling stimulant. Clutching his forehead, Patrick recalls promising not to interfere. Even so, Logan's unexpected venture leaves Patrick deeply shocked. Patrick asks Logan to protect McLean's reputation more carefully next time. Logan immediately agrees. Relieved, Patrick reacted better than expected, raising one eyebrow. Patrick asks whether Logan answered without thinking. Once again, Logan quickly gives Patrick the same affirmative response. Logan then reveals that he also befriended Felix. Stunned, Patrick immediately checks whether Logan truly means Felix. Growing furious, Patrick asks whether Felix also received the medicine. Smiling openly, Logan confirms that he sold Felix some. Patrick erupts, demanding how thoroughly Logan intends to disgrace McLean. Unbothered, Logan produces a book that Felix supposedly gave him. He explains that Felix exchanged it for a valuable intermediate sword technique. Patrick calms down, accepts the book, and reads its title aloud. The book bears the title Iron Blood Sword. Patrick identifies it as an authentic intermediate technique endorsed by Felix. Logan knows that claim is misleading because he wrote the endorsement himself. An imperial merchant originally discovered the Iron Blood sword among ancient ruins. People considered it one of that era's finest intermediate sword technique. The merchant initially copied it only for a carefully selected few. Eventually, the technique leaked beyond that exclusive circle. Complete copies soon began circulating throughout the market. With time, it became common enough for ordinary people to learn. Logan expects that widespread availability only after roughly 10 years. Teaching McLean's knights now would provide an enormous advantage. Combining its sword chi with divine sword secrets offers even greater possibilities. Patrick and Ranyan could wield that combination as a hidden trump card. Yet the Iron Blood sword drives physical strength toward dangerous extreme. Without proper safeguards, practicing it could inflict severe internal damage. Patrick would normally forbid any technique carrying such danger. Felix's endorsement should persuade Patrick to accept it despite those risks. Reading further, Patrick says it surpasses McLean's inherited records entirely. His hands tremble as he studies the precious book. Patrick reflects that obtaining intermediate sword techniques is extraordinarily difficult. He considers that scarcity responsible for his decade-long stagnation at one level. Patrick explains that proper mastery would strengthen the Knight Order by 30%. He then wonders how McLean could possibly repay Felix's generosity. Logan welcomes that reaction because he already has a proposal prepared. He suggests Patrick master the technique and demonstrate it to Felix. Patrick abruptly rushes from the office, cutting Logan's proposal short. He tosses Logan a seal and declares mastery his highest priority. Until Patrick succeeds, Logan must oversee every responsibility himself. Only then does Logan grasp how seriously Patrick views this technique. Patrick has handed him McLean's crest, granting Logan temporary authority. Dashing through the doorway, Patrick orders Logan to assist Dwayne. Patrick promises to return after mastering the technique perfectly. He hurriedly thanks Logan and vanishes down the corridor. His departure leaves Logan no opportunity to discuss his intended matter. Alone inside Patrick's office, Logan stands holding the crest in bewilderment. He stares at the seal, uncertain where he should begin. Possessing it also means Logan can finally act with complete freedom. Dwayne suddenly bursts into the office before that realization fully settled. He loudly announces hearing about every one of Logan's exploits in Seoul. Fresh determination settles over Logan, but he keeps his thoughts silent. Logan silently vows to finish every goal before Patrick returns. Dwayne soon approaches Logan and begins desperately pleading for money. Growing suspicious, Logan asks about the funds earned from defeating Tesseron. Dwayne erupts, insisting that amount cannot support both fortresses. Their recent battle created a severe shortage of available workers. As a result, production will fall dramatically throughout the coming year. Even worse, K-Salon has stopped providing the estate with aid. Desperation drives Dwayne onto his knees before the McClane heir. He mentions hearing about Logan's enormous fortune from Seoul. He only smiles, apologizing because every last one is already spent. Stunned by that answer, Dwayne demands to know where everything went. Logan gazes down at Dwayne with a quiet, unreadable smile. Dwayne tells Logan to quit playing games and answer seriously. Still composed, Logan continues staring silently down at the steward. Sweat gathers across Dwayne's face as his confidence rapidly disappears. Dwayne nervously asks whether Logan is genuinely telling the truth. A simple nod from Logan confirms Dwayne's growing fears. Dwayne bows again and desperately asks how such spending was possible. He says 1.2 million won purchased scrolls and magical images. Construction supplies and food consumed the remainder of his fortune. In plain terms, Logan confirms that absolutely no money remained. Dwayne repeats Logan's explanation, struggling to process those purchases. He argues that distributing a little food cannot change anything. He then reveals that food alone cost 1 million won. Unsure what he heard, Dwayne asks Logan to repeat the figure. He calmly confirms that 1 million won will fund monthly food distributions. Those provisions will continue reaching the people for an entire year. Dwayne starts shouting and asks whether Logan has somehow lost his mind. Logan considers Dwayne's reaction entirely predictable under the circumstances. Becoming a celebrated war hero never changed Dwayne's personal opinion of Logan. Logan assures Dwayne that his judgment remains perfectly sound. He then asks whether the purchased food will actually be sufficient. Dwayne confirms the quantity and questions the remaining supplies and scrolls. He wonders whether Logan intends to begin some enormous construction project. He answers plainly that they are going to construct a dam. 2 weeks later, an official notice spreads throughout the city. The decree orders every resident to report for compulsory labor. McClane Fortress residents must assemble beside the city's western gate. Those living near Tesseron Fortress must gather at the eastern gate. A Tesseron farmer declares that the people have finally reached their limit. He accuses the nobles of squeezing them without the slightest mercy. A McClane farmer calls forced labor during harvest season utter madness. A third villager laments that they only barely survived the battle. Now, their own feudal lord appears determined to destroy them. Angry voices question whether the decree offers them any genuine choice. They can die escaping, collapse from labor, or slowly starve. Eventually, the villagers conclude that every available road ends identically. Determination hardens as they seize pitchforks and whatever tools remain nearby. Armed with farming implements, the villagers prepare to launch a rebellion. The entire crowd gathers directly outside the McClane estate. From above, Logan asks whether every summoned worker has arrived. A nervous youth turns toward a gray-haired elder beside him. The nervous youth asks whether they will truly follow through. The gray-haired elder says the lords treat them worse than dogs. Their families can barely survive by eating grass from the field. Surveying the crowd, the gray-haired elder declares this fight worthwhile. A bead of sweat rolls down the nervous youth's forehead. He agrees, deciding he would rather seize this chance and fight. The castle gates suddenly open as the determined villagers take position. Once fully opened, the gates reveal several waiting knights in silhouette. A gate knight loudly orders his comrades to prepare the distribution. That unexpected command immediately cools the crowd's appetite for battle. Confused villagers begin wondering what the noble intends to distribute. The gray-haired elder steps forward and warns everyone about a trick. A castle attendant immediately places a heavy sack before the elder. The gate knight announces that Logan personally authorized the provision. Every participant in the compulsory labor will receive 1 month's grain. Everyone must form orderly lines beside the gate for distribution. Upon hearing this, the villagers discard their makeshift weapons immediately. They rush toward the gate and hurriedly arrange themselves into lines. The gray-haired elder grips his sack tightly and stares downward. His body trembles briefly while the surrounding villagers watch silently. Then he raises his head and bellows, "Hail Logan McClane!" Every villager turns toward the gray-haired elder in surprise. The gray-haired elder repeats his grateful cry with even greater force. Smiles spread through the crowd as everyone embraces his declaration. Soon, the entire gathering loudly hails Logan together. High upon the estate walls, Dwayne stands beside Logan. Dwayne asks whether gathering everyone truly required a compulsory decree. He replies that a simple request would never have worked. Fewer than 1/4 of them would have appeared voluntarily. After all, none of those people place any faith in nobles. Nobles regard their subjects as property rather than human beings. Mercenary life taught Logan how ordinary people judge noble rulers. Good and bad nobles differ only by how much they take. Even his father values knights more highly than common citizens. He believes trained knights form the true strength of a nation. Despite lacking funds, he still supports an order of 50 knights. He forced everyone to gather so they could witness genuine proof. Turning toward Dwayne, Logan asks why he keeps staring. Dwayne admits Logan has surprised him repeatedly in recent days. Logan dismisses the reaction and calls Dwayne's behavior rather silly. Since Dwayne trusts his judgment, construction can finally begin. Irritated by the subject, Dwayne begs Logan to reconsider once more. Spending 2 million won on this project makes absolutely no sense. Dwayne also questions whether such an ambitious structure can even be built. Logan says Dwayne sounds exactly like Hamar and Clayton. Earlier, Logan explained the entire proposal to both men. The idea of constructing a dam initially leaves them speechless. During dinner, they ask whether Logan plans to redirect the water. They also question whether the design includes a massive sluice gate. He confirms everything and demands precise execution of his design. Mountains surrounding McLean territory have made its soil largely unproductive. The northern range also blocks the Loon River from flowing southward. Transforming the region requires carving an enormous opening through those mountains. River water would then travel directly through that opening. Annoyed, Hamar says demolishing the whole mountain sounds more believable. Logan instead proposes constructing a tunnel connected directly to the Loon River. Its entrance will measure roughly 30 meters across in diameter. That enormous opening will operate as the project's sluice gate. Logan claims western regions of the continent already use this method. People there supposedly refer to such structures as dams. In truth, Logan knows that explanation is not entirely accurate. This flood control technique becomes widespread across the Empire 20 years later. He himself does not fully understand every principle behind it. Still, he commands both a Master Dwarf and Fifth Circle Mage. Their combined expertise should be enough to launch the project. Under their leadership, McLean's western wastelands could become fertile plains. Clayton prepares to respond, but Hamar quickly interrupts him. Hammer insists that selecting the correct location will be essential. The mountain soil composition must receive careful examination first. Water levels also require consideration to keep the tunnel from collapsing. An arched internal structure will be necessary for reliable support. They will also need assistance from several capable mages. Clayton turns toward Hamar and asks whether Logan's proposal is truly possible. Surprised by his own explanation, Hamar can scarcely believe it himself. Holding his wine glass, Logan confidently confirms that the plan can work. His certainty immediately causes both Clayton and Hamar to sweat. Hamar protests that numerous other duties already occupy his time. Those responsibilities include overseeing the newly established mining operation. Logan interrupts, saying those burdens explain his extensive preparation. He has already secured magic scrolls and mages for construction. Logan assigns Hamar responsibility for locating the most suitable mountain. Reluctantly accepting, Hamar says Logan's lavish meal had seemed suspicious. Watching everything unfold, Clayton wonders whether any of this is right. At the construction site, Clayton settles into position and focuses his magic. Two anxious workers observe from what they consider a safe distance. The broad worker dismisses the lean worker's growing concern. With Logan present, the broad worker insists they will remain safe. Hamar calls toward Clayton, allowing him to begin whenever ready. Clayton presses his mana-charged hand firmly against the mountainside. A violent burst of power shatters the surface into countless fragments. Everyone instantly scatters as broken stone rains across the site. Amid the turmoil, Hamar shoves Clayton away from the mountain. He angrily reminds Clayton that restraint was part of the instruction. Observing everything, Logan explains that humans possess power beyond physical strength. That second source of extraordinary power is known as mana. During his previous life, Logan could barely perceive mana at all. Now, every movement of that energy appears astonishingly clear. Earth power flows outward from the mana circle within Clayton's heart. Intricate patterns form, agitating the mountain and rupturing its stone wall. Logan marvels at the incredible force displayed before him. His developing force core has sharpened his senses to absurd levels. Clayton turns, smiles faintly, and begins speaking directly to Logan. Clayton tells Logan to watch carefully because the display has barely begun. Unimpressed at first, Logan still follows Clayton's movements with close attention. Clayton raises one hand, then abruptly curls it into a tight fist. Every stone scattered by the earlier blast instantly gathers before Clayton. The broken rocks rise together, suspended eerily in midair. Logan immediately understands that the debris is assembling into something enormous. As the structure grows, Logan can only stare upward in astonishment. A terrified Hamar presses himself behind Logan's leg for protection. Clayton has transformed the scattered rubble into a colossal stone golem. Logan marvels that Clayton created something so immense without using tools. His thoughts quickly race through the possibilities offered by such power. Several more golems could dramatically accelerate every construction project, Logan mutters. Those same towering creations might also become formidable weapons during war. Overwhelmed with enthusiasm, Logan seizes Clayton's hands and questions him eagerly. Logan asks exactly how many golems Clayton can produce. Equally excited, Clayton asks whether Logan means golems created by his students. Clayton confirms they can, since they study golems through the Earth Magic Tower. Logan's face brightens, but Clayton quickly explains an important restriction. Only 5th Circle mages can execute the magical formula forming a golem's core. Clayton's students possess skill yet lack the power needed for that formula. They must compensate by supplying mana stones during the creation process. Even then, their golems remain far smaller and weaker than Clayton's creation. Logan's delighted expression changes sharply after hearing those limitations. Mana stones, Logan notes, are minerals as rare as calcium or mithril. Such rare ore cannot be manufactured through artificial methods. Their usefulness as magical aids also makes mana stones extremely expensive. For ordinary construction, Logan decides the mana stones offer poor value, yet Logan considers whether wartime efficiency matters more than simple cost. Spending some money would be worthwhile if it secured victory. Satisfied by that conclusion, Logan asks Clayton another practical question. He wonders whether mana stones could strengthen Clayton's own golem too. Clayton confirms they would improve its strength, speed, and operating duration. As a 5th Circle mage, Clayton would require a mana stone of highest quality. A 2nd Circle mage, though, could manage with a low-quality mana stone. That weaker stone would power a golem for roughly 24 hours. Such a golem would still greatly surpass an ordinary adult man's strength. Logan estimates one low-quality mana stone cost approximately 1 That expense remains difficult to justify for routine construction work. During a brief war like the previous one, though, returns could be tremendous. Dwayne reaches the worksite and sees the giant golem hammering the mountain. The terrifying spectacle immediately sends Dwayne into a frightened panic. Logan tries explaining that the golem is excavating their planned tunnel. Overcome by fear, Dwayne fails to absorb anything Logan said. Ignoring Logan's explanation, Dwayne turns and bolts from the site. He shouts that Philip must receive an immediate warning. Logan then orders Hammer to lead the workers toward the water channel. No laborers need remain behind because the golem can finish tunneling alone. Hammer nods and begins directing the gathered workers toward their assignment. Logan considers the 3 major construction efforts now progressing simultaneously. The dam tunnel comes first, followed by the water channel. Their 3rd undertaking is the mine, whose drilling results Logan already possesses. Because of those results, Logan dispatched workers there ahead of every other site. Since returning from the capital, Logan has remained occupied with the dam. That workload prevented Logan from properly monitoring developments inside the mine. He consequently decides to inspect the mining operation tomorrow. The following day, workers continuously enter and leave the busy mine. Hammer stands among them, looking especially irritated by his responsibility. Logan approaches and casually remarks that they have not met recently. Hammer snaps back, demanding to know what Logan means. Logan has been sending Hamar racing between locations without any relief. His frustration erupts as Hamar screams that he cannot endure more. Hamar bitterly suggests Logan might as well simply kill him. He complains that nobody even allows him a proper break. Hammer demands why every responsibility must rest upon his shoulders alone. Throughout Hamar's furious outburst, Logan listens without saying a word. One nearby worker notices Hamar's distress and alerts the other. The worker insists they must step in and help Hamar. Tears filling his eyes, Hamar collapses backward onto the ground. Logan gently rests a hand upon Hamar's shoulder, offering quiet comfort. He acknowledges the tremendous amount of work Hamar has already handled. Logan announces that Hamar may personally manage and administer everything henceforth. Disbelief spreads across Hamar's face as Logan's meaning becomes clear. Hammer asks whether Logan seriously plans to dump every task onto him. A pang of sadness hits Logan because Hamar has uncovered his intention. With playful solemnity, Logan extends his pinky and begins promising Hamar something. Once construction ends, Logan promises Hamar unlimited time to rest. Overwhelmed by the offer, Hamar tries pulling his hand free. Logan clamps Hamar's finger tightly and threatens to snap it. The pressure nearly makes the poor dwarf scream in pain. Annoyed, Hamar watches Logan turn away and casually comb his hair. He claims the painful stunt was only an attempt at humor. His attention returns to the mine and its expected output. He believes extraction will proceed much faster than during the previous attempt. Though uncertain about the dam, he desperately hopes it succeeds. Its success remains the only path capable of supporting his plans. Logan opens a communication channel and contacts Philip through an orb. Philip confirms the construction materials will arrive without any difficulty. He also reports closing a profitable agreement involving the wood. That arrangement will provide another 100,000 won every month. The welcome news immediately brightens his expression. Philip openly shares Logan's excitement over their accelerating progress. Once the mine and land clearing are finished, everything will transform. Philip says he hopes to visit the territory personally someday. Logan studies the orbs silently, considering Philip's hopeful request. After a thoughtful pause, he invites Philip to visit next year. Curious about the timing, Philip immediately asks Logan for an explanation. Philip then guesses Logan probably will not answer him anyway. Changing subjects, Philip reveals troubling rumors spreading through the capital. Those whispers suggest the royal family is facing some serious problem. Philip wonders aloud what kind of trouble could be developing. Logan says he heard similar rumors at a Sword Duke's residence. Despite hearing them there, Logan admits he lacks any specific details. Everything surrounding the rumors still suggests an extremely serious matter. Logan urges Philip to investigate and uncover whatever information he can. His thoughts sink into memories carried over from his previous life. He remembers the king dying suddenly during the approaching winter. That unexpected death eventually plunged the kingdom into a civil war. Still, Logan knows his remembered information may not be entirely reliable. A sudden royal death would match the events from his previous life. Otherwise, the actual date could differ significantly from his memory. Logan cannot begin preparations until he confirms what is happening. For now, preparing McLean remains his most urgent priority. He orders Philip to place the remaining budget into emergency reserve. He also demands as many weapons and armor sets as possible. The purchased equipment must be sufficient to outfit exactly 500 men. Sweat gathers on Philip as he calls the assignment extremely difficult. Philip questions such a huge order for McLean's limited forces. After all, McLean currently commands only around 100 knights. Logan clarifies that none of the equipment is intended for those knights. Instead, every weapon and armor set will go to ordinary soldiers. The answer enrages Philip, who asks whether Logan has lost his mind. Philip argues that nobody normally provides complete equipment to common soldiers. He refuses to entertain any further objections about the purchases. Though his decision appears strange, necessity guides every part of it. The previous war killed many people and severely reduced overall production. Avoiding another collapse requires keeping future enlistment as low as possible. Simultaneously, Logan must strengthen both McLean's knights and regular soldiers. Fully arming the soldiers is essential for making that strategy work. Logan asks Philip whether his judgment has ever failed them. Reluctantly, Philip admits Logan's judgment has never failed before. He smirks and says they should proceed exactly as planned. Philip accepts the order and promises to investigate the rumors discreetly. Securing money through the mine now becomes his next objective. The dam must guarantee food while improved weaponry strengthens the soldiers. Their fundamental preparations for a major advance are progressing smoothly. A towering stack of paperwork later engulfs Logan's desk. Dwayne stands beside him, steadily pointing out each required document. He orders Logan to read one paper and sign another. More documents are already waiting for Dwayne to bring forward. Checking a page, Dwayne discovers another document Logan signed without reading. He asks whether Logan intends to continue behaving so carelessly. He accepts that he must properly understand the territory's administration. The door suddenly bursts open amid his growing frustration. Logan immediately starts shouting at Dwayne over the relentless workload. Dwayne protests that he is not McLean's designated successor. He asks whether anyone present could possibly dispute that point. A worried courier rushes inside, his face tight with panic. The worried courier reports Hamar is trapped inside a newly collapsed mine. The news sends an icy shock straight through Logan. He springs from his chair and demands an immediate explanation. The worried courier explains that one tunnel suddenly gave way. Over 50 meters of passage have collapsed behind the cave-in. Nobody can determine where Hamar is beneath the wreckage. Alarmed, Logan immediately asks whether anyone has found Hamar. Dwayne interrupts, asking when their territory acquired any mine whatsoever. Logan disregards Dwayne's question without even acknowledging him. Once Logan hears the collapse exceeds 50 meters, he bolts outside. He shouts that every second matters and orders everyone toward the mine. Dwayne remains behind, utterly confused by the sudden departure. Still yelling, he demands answers about this unexplained mine. He reaches the mine on horseback and immediately asks which tunnel collapsed. A dust-covered miner points toward the deepest, darkest tunnel in the middle. Ignoring every warning, Logan rushes straight into the damaged passage. Inside, Logan channels his aura to pierce the surrounding darkness. The sight ahead leaves Logan deeply shaken. Enormous boulders seal the passage while several workers desperately push against them. The mine overseer notices Logan entering the dangerous tunnel. He immediately orders every worker near the blockage to retreat. Placing one hand against a boulder, Logan floods the stone with mana. His senses detect 10 people trapped beyond the massive obstruction. One trapped presence carries an energy identical to Hamar. Logan says they avoided the worst, though numerous casualties still remain. Confused, the mine overseer asks how Logan could possibly know that. He ignores the question and demands an estimate for clearing everything. The mine overseer calculates that removing the rubble requires at least 3 days. That estimate fills Logan with immediate and serious concern. Every passing hour reduces the trapped workers' chances of surviving. Outside the tunnel, Logan urgently approaches Clayton and his apprentices. Logan begs them to rescue Hamar and everyone trapped underground. He promises Clayton and the apprentices generous compensation for their assistance. Clayton recognizes this as the mine where Hamar has been working. Clayton agrees but firmly states that money never influenced his decision. Injured people need help, and that reason alone is enough. Logan thanks Clayton and promises to repay this kindness someday. Clayton finds Logan's sudden openness about the secret mine deeply strange. After all, Logan exposed its location to save common workers and Hamar. Clayton uses magic to reinforce the unstable tunnel against another collapse. His apprentices prepare mana stones capable of creating powerful stone golems. Gripping their crystals, the apprentices hurl the stones toward the blockage. Rubble suddenly reshapes itself into several towering stone golems. The summoned golems immediately begin hauling debris from the collapsed passage. Nearby miners recoil, unaccustomed to witnessing magic of such overwhelming strength. Logan watches in amazement as several meters vanish within mere seconds. Clayton urges everyone forward, refusing to waste even another moment. He does not remain behind as a passive observer. Instead, Logan joins the workers and apprentices, personally carrying away heavy rock. Clayton stares in disbelief at a noble laboring beside ordinary workers. He is risking himself to save commoners and a dwarf. Clayton has never witnessed any noble behave like this. Soon the mine overseer shouts that the injured workers have been located. Hamar lies among them, with part of his body buried. The sight instantly sends terror through Logan. Closer inspection reveals Hamar's injuries are minor, and everyone survived. Relief overwhelms Logan when he sees only scratches among the rescued workers. He silently thanks the gods for sparing every trapped person. Inside the infirmary, Logan asks Hamar what caused the collapse. Hamar admits that exhaustion made him fall asleep while working. Lately, Hamar has been pushing himself far beyond reasonable limit. Logan becomes upset, but Hamar insists he can resume working soon. Logan cuts Hamar off and orders him to rest indefinitely. Such genuine concern leaves Hamar visibly shocked. Hamar loudly vows to rest through fires, disasters, or even alien invasion. Leaving the infirmary, Logan marvels that the rescue required only 2 hours. Clayton suddenly appears and praises Logan's extraordinary way of thinking. Logan wonders whether Clayton discovered his thoughts overflowing with future gold. He also worries whether Clayton will keep that valuable secret. He explains that the mine remains essential to his larger plan. Without Hamar, Logan has nobody capable of replacing his crucial expertise. Besides, failing to protect his people would eventually leave Logan with nobody. Clayton studies that answer with clear and growing interest. Then Clayton asks whether Logan wants a magic tower within his territory. The unexpected proposal leaves Logan utterly stunned. Clayton explains that the current Tower Master must finally be removed. His territory would provide an ideal home for a modest magic tower. Delighted, Logan declares that hosting Clayton's tower would be an honor. Logan eagerly asks whether Clayton's apprentices would relocate there as well. He also wants to know how much the arrangement will cost. Clayton confirms that every apprentice will definitely accompany him. As for payment, Clayton says he requires very little money. Clayton places greater trust in Logan's character and proven capability. The generous offer leaves Logan amazed beyond words. Having overheard everything, Hamar asks whether Clayton struck his head. Logan immediately orders Hamar to return to bed. 1 week later, Hamar reports to Logan after making a full recovery. Hamar announces his return to the mine to recover lost working time. Logan accepts the decision and wishes Hamar good luck. The instant Hamar leaves, Dwayne arrives wearing a terrifying expression. Dwayne demands to know why Logan concealed the mine from him. He also asks how long Logan has secretly been developing it. He simply apologizes and claims the matter slipped his mind. Frustration erupts as Dwayne questions how anyone could forget something so important. Answering with an enormous grin, Logan reveals that the site contains gold. Dwayne cannot believe Logan's claim and tells him to stop joking. According to Dwayne, people like them could never possess a gold mine. He demands to know what Logan is even talking about. Logan starts another question, asking Dwayne Logan asks what could be so unbelievable and calls Dwayne a rascal. Turning serious, Logan says the mine should yield 100 million in gold yearly. He asks whether Dwayne truly thinks he would joke about that. Dwayne falls silent, questions Logan's sincerity, and freezes where he stands. Concerned, Logan touches Dwayne, nearly sending him toppling backward. The staggering fortune seems too immense for Dwayne's mind to process. He appears ready to faint from imagining the mine's enormous income. Logan sweats heavily while desperately trying to bring Dwayne around. Despite Hamar's injury, Logan thinks the plan advanced faster than expected. A puzzled group walks through the forest wondering why they were recalled. The dam took only 3 months, half the anticipated 6-month schedule. These administrators were gathered by Dwayne to conduct one final inspection. Logan welcomes them warmly and acknowledges how crowded their schedules are. He asks everyone to remain and watch the dam's grand opening. One skeptical administrator considers the entire gathering a pointless waste of time. Sprinkling Loon River water across a desert could hardly change anything, he thinks. He believes Logan should have spent that money repairing the southern wall. Other administrators also wonder why Logan devoted such effort to this project. Their attention turns toward Dwayne, whose mouth hangs open once again. Dwayne studies the dam and understands it serves more than barren ground. Its structure connects directly with underground channels fed by the Loon River. A steady water supply could transform the enormous wasteland into fertile soil. Logan surveys the assembled workers, mages, and administrators around him. Once everyone is present, he turns and gives Clayton the signal. Without hesitating for even a moment, Clayton prepares to begin. Hammer grumbles that they worked tirelessly so workers could operate the floodgate. Logan explains their first opening needs to become an unforgettable spectacle. Everyone on McLeanland should witness what their own hands created. The dam comes into view, revealing golems stationed before its floodgates. They stand ready to raise the gates when commanded. The administrators stare speechlessly, although they adapt surprisingly fast. Clayton bellows the command for the golems to open the gates. Reaching toward the floodgates, the golems begin pulling them upward. Logan watches with a satisfied smile, expecting a triumphant opening. Instead, something strange occurs as the golems struggle against the gate. Wearing a frightening smile, Clayton asks Hamar what he is doing. Hammer seems equally baffled, having instructed the workers to open them. Sweat beads across his face as an earlier warning returned. Clayton had warned that raising these gates exceeded the golems' ability. Their impressive strength was mostly display rather than genuine power. Opening the gates required roughly 100 workers turning the pulley. Thinking quickly, Logan orders Clayton to have the golems destroy the gates. Both Hamar and Clayton stare in disbelief at this command. Clayton asks Logan whether he genuinely means such a drastic solution. He insists he obey, explaining they can reconstruct the gates afterward. After several hesitant seconds, Clayton follows Logan's reckless order. The golems hammer their fists repeatedly against the stubborn floodgate. Construction workers wonder whether this madness is actually happening. Their painstaking work, only just completed, is already being smashed apart. Suddenly, a gate collapses and releases water with tremendous force. The violent torrent even sweeps the golems away in its path. Confusion spreads through the crowd while Logan beams with unrestrained excitement. Townspeople who labored on the construction cannot stop their grateful tears. Seeing the flowing water, they understand exactly what this achievement means. Logan thinks their food shortage during the Civil War is now solvable. They can begin planting crops when the next spring arrives. Delighted, Dwayne leaps onto Logan's back and badly startles him. Through tears, Dwayne admits his judgment about the dam was terribly wrong. He eagerly begs Logan to forgive his earlier doubt. Logan dismisses the matter, then teases Dwayne for crying despite his size. Not everyone celebrates because Hamar weeps miserably in a corner. He mournfully asks how long rebuilding the ruined gates will take. Clayton approaches Hamar and promises to help rebuild them once more. He says the gate is not urgently needed right now. He grants them 1 week off before finishing the mine's construction. Once that project ends, Logan promises Hamar another extended vacation. Hope instantly brightens Hamar's eyes as he asks whether Logan is serious. He reassures him while privately knowing more work will arrive soon. Many farmers will seek access to the newly fertile land. A new village will also be necessary for all those people. Logan starts praising Hamar, then catches himself and changes tactic. He calls Hamar over, drawing a curious glance from him. Logan remarks that construction must challenge even someone like Hamar. After all, Logan has never heard of dwarves excelling at construction. The comment instantly infuriates Hamar, who demands an explanation. Hammer declares construction the dwarves' greatest specialty after weapon crafting. Logan sees Hamar has stepped exactly into his carefully placed trap. With satisfaction, Logan says that information is wonderful to hear. Suspicion flickers across Hamar's face as he rejects the sudden flattery. No amount of praise will earn Logan anything from him. Hammer asks why construction has suddenly captured Logan's attention. He dismisses the question, claiming he was merely curious. Once Hamar turns away, Logan privately considers the coming workload. After 1 restful week, Hamar will experience the excitement of home building. Hamar will not be laughing once that enormous project begins. Logan even fears accidentally meeting Hamar during the night. Their conversation ends, and Logan addresses everyone attending the inauguration. He publicly repeats the promises he previously made to them. First, every resident may cultivate farmland across the McLean Plain. Second, their labor determines their corresponding rights to lease that land. Their taxes will also remain fixed at only 30%. Logan watches the vassals while delivering these terms before everyone. With such a public declaration, even they cannot reasonably object. Instead, their faces shine with hope for McLean's long-awaited transformation. 4 weeks later, Logan reviews Hamar's plans inside his office. Rick joins him, examining the completed village layout and model house. He proudly says he selected the perfect person for this assignment. Rick readily agrees, openly marveling at Hamar's exceptional ability. Logan recalls expecting Hamar to refuse when approached weeks earlier. Hammer had initially shown plenty of hesitation about accepting the work. Back then, Hamar called Logan insane for proposing an entire village. He responded by questioning the dwarf's supposed mastery of construction. That provocation pushed Hamar into designing streets arranged like a cross. Identically sized homes line those carefully organized roads throughout the settlement. The plans also include wells, communal bathrooms, and proper sewer system. Logan recognizes his attempt to recreate planning from his previous life. A powerful odor suddenly reaches Logan and breaks his concentration. Turning toward Rick, Logan asks why he smells absolutely terrible. Rick bitterly answers that Logan alone caused his current misery. He demands to know why that drug keeps selling so successfully. Without those relentless sales, Rick says he would not suffer like this. Dwayne suddenly charges into the office while loudly shouting Logan's name. Logan asks whether Dwayne ever intends to knock properly again. Ignoring the complaint, Dwayne begins delivering urgent news concerning Hamar. Pure delight abruptly spreads across Dwayne's face during his report. Hamar has sent confirmation that gold extraction can finally begin. Dwayne presents several nuggets, proving they discovered the promised treasure. Logan congratulates Hamar and praises his excellent work on the mine. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Dwayne wraps Hamar in a joyful embrace. Dwayne wonders how McLean became fortunate enough to have Hamar. Hamar only wants sleep after remaining awake for an exhausting stretch. His haggard eyes reveal just how long he has gone without rest. He immediately asks how much gold the mine can begin producing. Hammer confirms that every part of the operation remains on schedule. The mine should yield 1 ton of gold every month. At that rate, its deposits should endure for at least 10 years. Logan again tells the exhausted Hamar to finally get some sleep. Yet Logan hesitates, remembering the mountain of unfinished work still waiting. The city needs construction, alongside more beasts and entirely new weapons. Logan cautiously asks whether Hamar could handle those additional projects. That request strikes Hamar with the force of a crushing axe. Sweat pours from Hamar as both hands clutch his aching head. Unable to endure another word, Hamar collapses onto the floor. Dwayne bends over Hamar, calling him McLean's greatest treasure. Logan accepts that he alone must keep advancing every unfinished task. He assures Hamar that their agreement will still be honored. Hammer may finally take his promised vacation without further interruption. Happiness erupts from Hamar in a deafening scream of relief. He launches from the room with astonishing lightning-like speed. Logan wonders whether Hamar suddenly awakens some mysterious hidden ability. No ordinary exhausted dwarf should possibly move that incredibly fast. Behind Logan, Dwayne begins openly weeping from overwhelming happiness. Logan asks what could possibly have made Dwayne this emotional. Dwayne estimates the mine will produce 100 million won annually. He dismisses Kaisalan, declaring McLean no longer needs to fear ruin. With that income secured, their territory need never worry again. Logan teases Dwayne for crying harder than after the dam's completion. Then Logan calmly fixes Dwayne with a far more serious stare. He warns that Dwayne should fear Logan above everyone else. Dwayne must remain careful because ownership of the mine belongs to Logan. The blunt declaration immediately leaves Dwayne trembling with genuine terror. He will naturally pay 30% of its earnings to McLean. Beyond that required tax, nobody else will receive another share. Bewildered, Dwayne rises briefly before kneeling directly in front of Logan. He declares that he places complete trust in his judgment. Logan orders Dwayne to keep the gold mine absolutely secret. Two rival powers and the regional Margrave would create serious trouble. Dwayne confidently promises that he will personally handle the secrecy. That confident answer leaves Logan feeling more uneasy than reassured. Patrick will likely prove difficult after discovering everything Logan changed. Logan accomplished far too much throughout Patrick's absence from McLean. Another full week passes after Logan's uneasy thoughts about Patrick. Logan and Patrick stroll beside the river, admiring the surrounding beauty. During their walk, Logan notices Patrick has reached advanced knight status. Patrick acknowledges Logan achieved remarkable things while he was away. He starts defending his actions and explaining his plans. Patrick cuts him off, praising the water flowing across the wasteland. He admits Logan manages the territory far better than he ever did. Logan responds modestly, but Patrick refuses to downplay his achievement. In 3 months, Logan surpassed Patrick's work from the previous decade. Patrick sincerely thanks Logan for everything he accomplished. Logan tries expressing his own gratitude, but Patrick interrupts again. From now onward, Logan must perform every responsibility belonging to the Lord. Patrick intends to concentrate entirely on training the Knight Order. The unexpected declaration leaves Logan frozen in disbelief. Patrick interrupts again and asks what training recently taught him. Patrick bluntly answers that he has simply grown old. He explains that the secret techniques still remain beyond his grasp. Now younger men like Logan and Ranyan must attempt mastering them. Logan also helped Patrick overcome a barrier blocking him for years. Patrick therefore wants to step aside and guide the next generation. After considering those words, Logan nods and accepts Patrick's proposal. Patrick calls Logan's mother over and requests her support for Logan. His mother calmly agrees to help him fulfill his new role. Patrick gently nudges Logan, encouraging him to approach his mother. Holding a parasol, his mother waits in an elegant dress. She says his accomplishments already prove his worthiness as successor. Calling him young master, she says only Ronyan's success concerns her now. Logan begins apologizing, but his mother immediately stops him. She insists the apology belongs to her instead of Logan. His mother admits her perspective was narrow and requests his generosity. She notes that Logan has been teaching Ranyan how to fight. Those lessons have made Ranyan happier than he has ever been. His mother asks him to continue protecting and supporting his brother. Unhappy with the conversation's direction, Logan suddenly raises his voice. He declares parents should never address their own children so formally. He calls her mom, leaving his mother speechless and deeply emotional. She turns away, says goodbye, and walks back toward Patrick. Patrick signals his approval, clearly pleased by Logan's response. He quietly watches as both of his parents leave together. On Tesseron's estate, Logan and Patrick discuss their next development project. Once the city is finished, they will clear nearby brushland for farm. Patrick questions whether residents will willingly relocate to the new city. Logan expects cooperation because settlers will receive priority and special rights. Their replacement homes will also surpass the residents' current houses. Logan mentions ordering Dwayne to begin recruiting additional soldiers. Patrick agrees to personally train every recruit who becomes a knight. Although Patrick praises Logan's management, he identifies one remaining problem. He stops before the assembled knights and dismisses them as hopeless cases. Patrick demands to know when McLean acquired 2 separate knight orders. He adds that merely seeing their faces sends chills through him. Logan recognizes the deserters from Tesseron among McLean's gathered knights. Both knight groups behave as though they belong to opposing armies. Frustrated by their hostility, Logan orders everyone to regain their senses. Patrick says he and Logan nearly destroyed themselves through relentless training. Yet these knights continue squabbling with all the maturity of children. He accepts responsibility, blaming his own neglect for their behavior. The knights loudly deny his guilt and plead with Heinkel for rescue. Heinkel turns toward Patrick and questions his newly advanced status. Patrick announces that he intends to straighten every knight out personally. Aura surges through his wooden sword until the weapon bursts apart. Patrick roars that they must experience and learn swordsmanship directly. Inside his office, Dwayne cheerfully signs documents without fearing budget shortages. 2 vassals quietly complain that Logan has monopolized the entire budget. Dwayne interrupts them, asking whether surplus money has clouded their judgment. He demands they remember its source and simply follow his orders. Then Dwayne reads another document and immediately begins sweating. Minutes later, Dwayne storms into Logan's office demanding an explanation. He asks why Logan intends to spend 10 million won. He calmly answers that he needs 100 kilograms of mithril. Dwayne's mouth falls open as Logan pushes him against the wall. Keeping Dwayne pinned there, Logan firmly orders him to sign. Dwayne refuses because mithril costs 1,000 times more than gold. Logan next discusses purchasing mithril with Philip and explains its purpose. He wants the rare metal for the knight's wartime equipment. Philip flatly declares that obtaining such an amount is impossible. The blunt rejection catches Logan entirely by surprise. Philip explains that money alone cannot secure supplies of mithril. Acquiring mithril requires political power rather than simple wealth. That explanation immediately gives Logan a promising new idea. Inside a castle, a messenger grows uneasy over McLean's unexpected message. Despite being busy, Felix arrives 30 minutes later to examine it. Felix greets Logan warmly and says he misses hearing from him. He replies that he would never dare send merely personal correspondence. Smiling broadly, Felix reveals that his wife is now pregnant. Felix credits the pregnancy entirely to Logan's earlier assistance. Logan offers his congratulations, and Felix responds with heartfelt thanks. Felix says he wants Logan to come when the baby arrives. Felix asks Logan to return to the capital, where his wife can thank him. He also promises to teach Logan his next technique there. Logan gratefully thanks Felix for both generous offers. Felix then asks why Logan contacted him. Getting straight to business, Logan asks whether Felix can obtain 100 kilograms of mithril. Felix's jaw drops at the staggering amount. He checks whether Logan meant 100 kilograms rather than grams. Felix says even his own parties never received such enormous investment. He admits he badly underestimated his generosity. He privately worries their misunderstanding is growing even worse. Felix promises to handle everything, but sets 2 firm conditions. Logan must attend the baby's party and address Felix as master. He stares at the empty sphere, shivers, and releases a joyful cry. Becoming the Sword Duke's disciple feels like his life's greatest miracle. He only intended to request modest assistance from Felix. Instead, Felix hands him an unimaginably valuable lifeline. Logan expects Hamar to become more productive after a short break. He proudly congratulates himself for being such a benevolent employer. In truth, Hamar suffers Logan-filled nightmares for weeks after his vacation. Outside McLean Castle, men under 20 arrive seeking recruitment. Dwayne asks whether recruiting this many people is truly necessary. Logan insists he will personally handle every part. Expanding their forces is crucial, even with several disadvantages. He plans to personally select every incoming member. A future Imperial theory prioritizes senses over raw physical ability. Using that doctrine, 50,000 knights crush neighboring countries. Logan envisions gathering every existing soldier 9 years later. They can reselect the best candidates and establish a dedicated knight unit. The coming civil war may still prove brutally difficult. Their resulting force should nevertheless challenge the Empire's eventual invasion. Logan would prefer recruits over 20, but construction needs their manpower. A recruiting officer yells for the restless boys to quiet down. He asks how soldiers were traditionally selected. The officer says everyone ran, with finishing order determining acceptance. He recognizes how crude that selection process was. He orders them to prioritize sharp vision, hearing, and quick reflexes. His first test has candidates approach an image until it becomes clear. Some halt surprisingly early, and one declares the picture shows a chicken. Logan tells the knights to handle the boy who called him handsome. A boy near the back raises his hand. Noticing the comb, the boy identifies the animal as a rooster. Logan finds the boy's observation genuinely impressive. During the second test, Dwayne repeats the same word continuously. Candidates advance until they can clearly discern it. One boy shouts that the repeated word is sparrow. He adds that Dwayne called him son, asking whether that also count. Dwayne panics because he believed he was only talking to himself. He orders the outspoken boy selected, then says he needs a beating. Reviewing the documents, Logan can hardly believe 250 candidates excelled. He decides to choose roughly 500 without holding back. That would let McLean assemble a force of 1,000. On the training grounds, Victor relentlessly practices his sword technique. His powerful swings draw curious glances from nearby knights. Victor's mind stays fixed upon Logan's instruction. 1,000 flawless repetitions could make Victor a knight. Doing so will also awaken the strength sleeping within him. Gripping the hilt, Victor vows to reach knighthood as quickly as possible. Lune watches her brother's training with visible concern. Victor fears Logan will not wait for him forever. Lune suddenly notices Logan standing nearby. Logan signals for silence because he wants to observe Victor. Watching closely, Logan judges Victor's natural talent remarkably high. Even while swinging wildly, Victor preserves a correct foundational stance. Logan calls out and announces his departure from McLean Castle tomorrow. He will train soldiers in Tesseron territory until winter. Logan invites Victor to accompany him there. Victor asks whether he may bring Lune along. Logan questions bringing Victor's sister into a camp filled with men. Victor loudly insists that bringing her poses no problem. Logan sighs and permits Lune to accompany them. Pointing firmly, he warns Victor that any trouble becomes his responsibility. Victor promises to take excellent care of his sister. Logan asks whether Lune truly means that much to him. Victor hesitates briefly, then finally releases his buried guilt. He confesses that his parents died because of him. That leaves Lune without parents, so Victor must protect her. Logan silently studies Victor without offering an immediate response. A hand lands on Victor's shoulder. Everything he says is fine. Logan then encourages Victor to continue working hard. A few days later, Tesseron Castle receives Logan's chosen recruits. A Kaisalon drillmaster harshly grills the young candidates. The drillmaster orders them through 5 full running laps. As punishment, the last 100 reaching the wall must run 2 extra laps. Terrified recruits hesitate, but the drillmaster orders them to quit stalling and run. Logan praises the drillmaster's natural talent for commanding soldiers. The drillmaster says knightly treatment convinced him to renew his contract. Leaning close, the drillmaster asks whether Logan plans war within 2 years. He merely smiles, but the drillmaster knows war cannot be avoided. A recruit suddenly shouts that someone in the race is a monster. Everyone turns toward Victor, who has seized first place. A trailing recruit asks what Victor could possibly be made from. His companion answers that Victor is Logan's slave. That answer reignites the trailing recruit's determination. He charges forward, yelling that he refuses to lose against Victor. The drillmaster recognizes the winner effect Logan frequently described. He expects no extraordinary physical ability from these recruits. Their refusal to surrender is already enough for him. Logan expects Victor to absorb strength and awaken his power soon. Victor will eventually become the soldier's strongest source of motivation. Inside the barracks, tables loaded with food greet the exhausted recruit. They devour everything eagerly while expressing their gratitude toward Logan. Victor's sister also serves meals throughout the crowded lodging. The recruits stare at her with open fascination. One awestruck recruit even declares that she looks like an angel. Victor notices their admiration and releases an intimidating aura. Pointing at them, Victor orders everyone to turn their eyes elsewhere. He threatens to tear out their eyes if they keep staring. The frightened admirers immediately fall silent and avert their gazes. Behind Victor's table, a leering recruit watches Victor's sister lustfully. Outside the barracks, Victor races away while clutching a piece of bread. He previously asked an older woman where Victor's sister had gone. She explained that Victor's sister used the rear exit for the trash. Worry grips Victor because his sister should never be outside alone tonight. A suspicious sound draws his attention toward a nearby alley. Victor investigates and becomes speechless at the sight awaiting him. The leering recruit is attempting to take advantage of Victor's sister. Tears stream down her face as Victor's bread hits the ground. The leering recruit stammers, but Victor has already launched himself forward. Victor drives a devastating knee directly into the recruit's face. The impact shatters his nose and throws him onto the ground. Victor shields his sister while preparing to strike again. The leering recruit curses Victor and calls him a bastard. He demands how a mere slave dares lay hands upon him. Victor answers with another blow that nearly knocks him unconscious. Victor's sister screams and stands frozen in terror. Grabbing the recruit's hair, Victor begins hammering his face without mercy. With every punch, Victor growls that the man must die. A watching recruit witnesses everything from around the corner. Horrified, the watching recruit immediately runs away to summon help. Victor now sees nothing except the fury consuming him. Every strike triggers flashes from Victor's painful past. He remembers the night both siblings lost their parent. A sudden shout behind Victor finally breaks through his rage. Victor turns around and finds Logan standing there. Logan orders Victor to regain control and examine his surroundings. A maid arrives and gently leads Victor's sister away. The drill master struggles to process the bloody chaos before him. Logan indicates the motionless body and orders the drill master to handle it. Victor lowers his head, awaits punishment, and offers an apology. Logan asks whether Victor regrets what he has done. Victor denies regretting it, though he admits acting without permission. He apologizes for killing one of his soldiers. Logan acknowledges that Victor's reasoning was not entirely wrong. Still, Victor should regret bringing his sister into the camp. Logan explains that Victor's stubbornness nearly allowed her to be harmed. A secure home would protect her better than this dangerous camp. Logan permitted her arrival so Victor could witness his decision's consequences. He asks whether Victor finally understands that lesson. Victor responds with a quiet nod of acceptance. Logan admits killing is criminal, but Victor's sister was the victim. Protecting her was still the right action, according to Logan. Next time, Victor must request permission before choosing such drastic violence. He refuses to let perverts delay the training of his future knight. Inside the castle, Logan and the drill master discuss the incident seriously. The drill master questions whether Logan should decide everything alone. Logan replies that Victor belongs to him as property. He claims he used Victor to remove a disgusting criminal. He then presents a different version of the same explanation. He asks whether using his property against a criminal sounds more acceptable. The drill master asks whether Victor killed the recruit under Logan's order. He confirms it and begins outlining his intended response. The dead recruit's crimes will be publicly exposed. His corpse will hang from the castle gates as a warning. Logan instructs the drill master to inform every soldier. The drill master notices Logan placing marks across a map. Changing subjects, he asks what Logan is planning now. He simply answers that the plan is a surprise. Each map marking identifies an area with recent monster sighting. News of Victor's actions quickly spreads among the recruits. Shock becomes fury when they learn the dead recruit's intention. The enraged crowd wants the recruit's body dug back up. They want to finish him again once his corpse is unearthed. Logan overhears them and thinks the matter resolved itself rather neatly. 3 months pass and snow-laden trees announce winter's arrival. Logan and Castellan stand together, quietly surveying the frozen landscape. He notes that the new year is already approaching. Castellan agrees, marveling at how quickly the months have passed. After 90 training days, only 987 of 1,000 apprentices remain. One apprentice has died, while 12 others have abandoned training. Castellan feels satisfied because nobody else appears willing to quit. Logan considers their fundamental training finally finished. He has already ordered Hamar to produce 400 additional crossbows. He asks whether the apprentices are prepared for combat training. Patrick confirms and recommends the forest beneath the mountain range. Patrick says advancement is necessary because knights need genuine combat experience. Logan checks whether the Iron Bloodsword technique has sunk in yet. Patrick answers that only actual fighting can bring true mastery. His grin broadens with a disturbing, almost crazed edge as he agrees. Watching Patrick, Castellan pales and sweats, recognizing the source of Logan's crazed intensity. Days later, Patrick enters Southern McLean's mountain range, wearing full armor. He orders the knights to unsheath their swords and regulate their breathing. The knights gather their aura and await Patrick's command. At his signal, their empowered blades crash into enormous trees. Even the knights stare in astonishment at their newly unleashed strength. Beside his father, Logan watches approvingly, while Patrick remains perfectly serene. The apprentices erupt with excitement and begin whispering among themselves. They wonder whether they could ever attain power like that. Logan shouts for every apprentice to remain vigilant. This is no ordinary woodland, but a forest crawling with monsters. Right on cue, goblins emerge from the shadows around them. The battle-hungry knights immediately charge, striking with precision and ferocity. Their blades tear through the goblins like a raging gale. Overwhelmed by such power, the surviving goblins flee in blind panic. Logan has already predicted their retreat and prepared a response. He commands the troops to raise and ready their crossbows. Upon his signal, arrows rain down and slaughter every escaping goblin. The cavalry laughs, mocking how these creatures once frightened them. Then an enormous, terrifying paw appears, instantly silencing their celebration. The knights brace themselves and prepare for another attack. A wolf pack charges forward, each beast sporting menacing horns. Recognizing horned wolves, the knights quickly establish a defensive line. One wolf instantly clamps its jaws around a knight's sword. The confrontation suddenly becomes far more difficult for the knights. Castellan orders the cavalry to fire their crossbows immediately. Arrows streak overhead, striking wolves that howl horribly in pain. Yet the arrows accomplish nothing, shattering against the monsters on impact. A trembling soldier cries that their arrows are utterly ineffective. Logan roars for the knights to maintain their formation. Their objective remains simple. Not one wolf can break through. The trial champion leaps forward, eager to measure his strength. His tremendous strike launches one horned wolf several meters backward. Behind him, a blood-curdling scream abruptly pierces the battlefield. Turning around, he sees a wolf biting deeply into a recruit's leg. Another apprentice stands nearby, frozen stiff with absolute terror. A blazing slash flashes past as Logan furiously attacks the wolf. His flame-wreathed blow kills the monster in a single strike. He orders the terrified apprentice to regain control of himself. He then commands him to carry the wounded recruit somewhere safe. The apprentice responds immediately, taking the injured recruit and running. As Logan suspected, most apprentices cannot handle chaotic skirmishes yet. Those ranking among the census test's top 100 perform noticeably better. One cornered apprentice spots another wolf creeping behind him. Victor suddenly appears and slices through the second wolf's throat. He studies his blood-covered sword as a faint smile emerges. The surrounding apprentices stare at Victor in speechless amazement. Watching Victor, Logan understands that he has finally surpassed his limitation. The battle approaches its conclusion, and Patrick kills the final wolf. He asks the captain whether every monster has been eliminated. The captain looks over the battlefield and confirms that they have. Patrick notes that combat training began 1.5 months ago. Clearing every marked location has taken considerably longer than he expected. The captain agrees, calling 3 cities swarming with thousands of monsters monumental discovery. Logan shudders while imagining those monsters attacking the castle simultaneously. He thanks God they uncovered these looming threats in time. He keeps coordinating everyone, urging them to endure slightly longer. He orders them to finish cutting down one enormous tree trunk. They must then transport the massive trunk directly to the construction site. The knights grumble about endlessly felling monsters and trees without rest. Ignoring them, Logan finds wasting valuable timber because of monsters utterly absurd. His familiar killer's grin returns, as training also provides valuable lumber. Watching everything, Patrick suspects Logan values timber more than troop training. He keeps wondering whether awakening strength demands a sixth sense for survival. If the coming civil war unfolds properly, McLean can rapidly strengthen its forces. That preparation could ready them for the inevitable conflict with Imperial forces. Noticing Logan's smile, Hamar asks what he finds so amusing. He ignores the question and redirects their conversation toward construction. With enough lumber, work on the new McLean settlement can proceed. Logan asks whether Hamar can complete everything within the allotted schedule. Hammer answers with a confident nod and accepts the deadline. Support from mages and motivated workers makes the project manageable. Logan wonders whether Hamar was always this dependable. He suspects Hamar's extended vacation deserves credit for this enthusiasm. Just as Hamar's confidence peaks, Logan mentions the Magic Tower assignment. Clayton summons an earthen wall while nearby workers stare in astonishment. He orders everyone to quit gawking and gather the soil as planned. Approaching Clayton, Logan thanks him for honoring every troublesome request. Clayton dismisses Logan's concern without giving the matter another thought. With 10 million won promised annually, Clayton considers the settlement's size irrelevant. Clayton predicts the growing city will eventually become the region's center. Logan interrupts, insisting he only wants residents living peacefully and comfortably. Stunned by that answer, Clayton praises McLean as land truly serving people. With theatrical enthusiasm, Clayton loudly declares that Logan has his vote. Ignoring the performance, Logan says simple earthen defenses will suffice here. After all, Logan refuses to let this settlement become a battlefield. He privately intends to invade others long before enemies reach this place. Deep within the nighttime forest, Logan holds his sword in an unusual stance. A violent surge of energy erupts as Logan launches himself forward. One radiant blade of light tears straight through the surrounding darkness. The beam detonates against the massive rock Logan deliberately targeted. After the glow fades, Logan carefully studies the devastation left behind. His attack pierced the boulder and continued through several trees beyond it. He recognizes the technique as the Divine Sword Secret's second form. Despite that achievement, Logan knows he still needs greater strength. 2 months later, construction finishes and families begin entering the settlement. Early summer fills the newly completed community with energy and activity. Inside the office, Logan and Dwayne review the settlement's latest progress. Dwayne reports strong recovery across the area, but warns of insufficient labor. Logan notes refugees keep arriving and orders Dwayne to accept everyone. Dwayne then asks where Hamar has gone during this busy period. Logan explains that Hamar remains away, enjoying his supposed vacation. For a moment, Logan questions whether Hamar received too much leave. He quickly dismisses that concern and moves past the subject. Dwayne asks whether Hamar received considerable mithril before departing. Logan confirms giving Hamar mithril for crafting new weapons for the night. Raising an eyebrow, Dwayne observes that this hardly resembles time off. He argues that handling rare metals fulfills every dwarf artisan's deepest dream. According to Logan, Hamar must be delighted by his working vacation. Far away, an enemy Viscount furiously slams his fist against a table. He rages over McLean successfully reclaiming the supposedly worthless wasteland. The enemy Viscount scoffs that such barren ground cannot possibly support crops. His aide reports spreading rumors about the mysterious source of McLean's wealth. Some claim Logan prospered through business, while others suspect hidden gold. Ignoring those stories, the enemy Viscount demands figures from the reclaimed harvest. His aide estimates their agricultural output will at least double his territory. That report intensifies the enemy Viscount's fury and demands immediate action. He asks whether they can manufacture some justification for an invasion. His aide suggests exploiting residents who abandoned his territory for McLean. They could infiltrate McLean and demand reclaimed farmland as compensation. The enemy Viscount recognizes that attacking McLean alone would be dangerously risky. He decides to contact Sylvan, whose residents must also have fled. Together, both territories should possess enough strength to overpower McLean. Back in Logan's office, the atmosphere turns tense and oppressive. Logan, Patrick, Dwayne, and Heinkel discuss training and military expansion. He announces that he selected roughly 300 promising new recruits. Patrick questions whether Logan truly considers them worthy of becoming knights. Logan answers with a firm nod, while Dwayne calls the number excessive. Heinkel declares the entire proposal absurd despite the recruits' apparent talent. Even after 10 years of brutal training, only 1 in 100 awaken. Unmoved by that warning, Logan insists their training system will continue unchanged. Dwayne shouts that Logan is simply throwing their money away. He counters that neighboring territories will provoke McLean regardless of spending. Patrick asks Logan to explain why he expects such hostility. Logan says prosperous McLean and fertile fields will inevitably provoke Sylvan. Logan adds that Patrick will remain silent as well. Heinkel interrupts, insisting their neighbors have no valid excuse. Dwayne cuts him off, shouting that refugees are the real problem. Logan asks Patrick to consider how many refugees keep arriving. He questions how many came from Patrick's territory, or Sylvan. Enraged, Dwayne demands why Logan failed to prevent this crisis. Patrick connects the clues and asks whether Logan seeks war. He bluntly declares that their neighbors are already enemies. Since conflict is inevitable, Logan sees no reason to wait. Silence grips the room as Heinkel and Dwayne stare disappointedly. Patrick privately wonders whether he surrendered authority too hastily. Rick bursts inside, urgently searching for Logan. He reports a joint voice message from Sylvan and Patrick. He says events are underway, so they must plan their response. Outside, 2 emissary flags ripple beneath the open sky. The banners represent the delegations sent by Sylvan and Patrick. Silent emissaries study the city's beauty with calculating eyes. They admire orderly houses gathered around an enormous crossroad. Clean streets and cheerful residents further impress the visitor. Both conclude this thriving city deserves to be seized. The stern envoy attempts conversation with a nearby McLean soldier. The soldier credits every improvement to Logan, McLean's first young master. He claims Logan surpasses every prince of comparable age. His greatest priority, he says, is the land and its people. The soldier launches into a personal story, praising his character. Uninterested, the emissaries quickly stop him from continuing. Inside the meeting chamber, both envoys face Logan and Patrick. They demand the refugees' return and control of the Tesseron plain. Logan and Patrick respond only by lowering their head. He thinks their demands amount to an invitation for war. Patrick reaches exactly the same grim conclusion. Heinkel takes charge and asks whether Sylvan and Patrick truly want war. The hall erupts as furious voices overlap from every direction. The anxious envoy points accusingly at Logan and Patrick. The anxious envoy protests that envoys cannot be threatened this way. Though furious, Patrick controls himself and delivers a cold warning. Only the emissaries are declaring war, and McLean does not fear it. The stern envoy predicts war will reduce all McLean holdings to ashes. A painful knot forms in Logan's stomach as he intervenes. He challenges the idea of treating refugees as bargaining pieces. Logan tells Patrick these envoys have abandoned their noble responsibility. With such people, Logan insists negotiation serves no purpose. McLean knights encircle the emissaries with swords leveled toward them. The envoys ask whether Logan and Patrick intend to begin war. Descending the stairs, Logan answers that this means total war. He condemns their nerve in entering his castle and insulting him. He draws his blade as the stern envoy starts calling him insane. The unfinished accusation dies when Logan attacks. Within seconds, Logan cuts down every accompanying guard. He then advances directly toward the petrified emissaries. The anxious envoy begs Logan to stay away. Ignoring the plea, Logan swings once and kills him instantly. The stern envoy collapses onto his knees and offers submission. He promises to obey McLean's will and report everything faithfully. Logan looks toward Patrick, who answers with a nod. Receiving approval, Logan commands every knight to prepare for war. The assembled knights roar their enthusiastic agreement. That same day, McLean sends both Viscounts a magical transmission. The message demands compensation for their emissaries' outrageous insolence. Sylvan's Viscount explodes with fury upon receiving it. He scoffs that McLean lacks enough strength to wage war. Logan and Patrick watch Sylvan's demands appear through the magical globe. Sylvan orders McLean to return all the servants. He also demands 10 million won and the Tesseron plane. Patrick questions the urgency since McLean can crush all 6 counties. Logan warns they must occupy Sylvan with maximum speed. A Castellan officer enters and reports that the count is complete. The forces include 389 regular soldiers and 100 from the main fortress. They also include 313 mercenaries, with every fighter ready. Logan praises the Castellan officer's work, then asks about weaponry. The officer confirms everyone received armor, spears, and crossbows. He confidently promises their equipment will match any opponents. Logan believes even Sylvan and Patrick together could not defeat them. Yet drawing attention from throne-seeking factions remains too dangerous. He wants the third prince crowned as the sole reasonable choice. He asks the Castellan officer whether any good news remains. The officer confirms Victor has finally awakened his strength. Victor waits nearby, hoping to deliver the report personally. Excited, Logan orders the Castellan officer to bring Victor inside. Victor enters, but Logan interrupts his attempted explanation. Instead, Logan commands Victor to demonstrate exactly what occurred. Victor focuses his power as gray smoke coils around him. His strength erupts, leaving Logan and Patrick utterly speechless. Logan praises Victor's achievement and promotes him that very night. To seal Victor's freedom, Logan tears apart his slave document. Victor beams, then bristles when Logan delays promotion until after war. Logan burns the document while thinking Victor simply wants battle. Logan believes he has already prepared an opponent for Ranyan. Logan tells Patrick they should send Sylvan a response. Patrick dismisses formalities and orders Logan to speak plainly. Smiling, Logan urges the soldiers towards Sylvan County. Logan bellows for Sylvan's lord to come face him. Sylvan's lord erupts in fury at Logan's challenge. Callion requests permission to lead 120 knights and 2,512 soldiers. Sylvan's lord feels relieved despite McLean's unexpectedly larger army. Their forces still hold the advantage, with Callion ranked highly. Sylvan's lord fears Patrick might betray him. He concludes McLean and Patrick have joined forces against him. Furious, Sylvan's lord orders Callion to contact the neighboring barony. He wants its lord prevented from making any move. Callion confirms that he has received the orders. Outside the castle, Heinkel, Logan, and Patrick discuss their strategy. Heinkel asks whether covering fire would offer a better approach. Patrick refuses, unwilling to risk Sylvan's lord escaping. Logan agrees, predicting Sylvan's lord will soon emerge. Their enemy believes his own army is stronger than theirs. Heinkel grows suspicious because Logan seems familiar with Sylvan's lord. Sylvan County's gates open, sending its knights toward the battlefield. Patrick surveys the enemy and counts 3,000 regular soldiers. Heinkel notes that number is 1.5 times McLean. Callion starts speaking, but Patrick commands McLean's soldiers forward. Callion calls Patrick insolent and brands McLean's troops rabble. Castellan orders the mercenaries to ready their crossbows. Wondering about Patrick's intentions, Callion raises shields among his men. Castellan gives the firing command, and arrows pour across the field. Callion smiles, certain the barrage will accomplish nothing. The bolts punch straight through the supposedly protective shields. Enraged, Callion orders his soldiers to advance at full strength. Castellan commands everyone to spread out across the battlefield. The unfamiliar order leaves Callion confused and exposed. The crossbow cavalry divides, targeting the enemy soldier. Fear overwhelms Callion, and he soils himself in terror. Callion considers retreat, but the opportunity has already vanished. Patrick steps forward and challenges Sylvan's knights personally. Callion stares in shock as Patrick fells 4 knights together. He understands that Patrick has reached the advanced level. Patrick orders Maclean's soldiers to destroy their opposing force. Maclean's knights charge fiercely and butcher Sylvan's enemy. Heinkel remembers Sylvan's knights matching them only 2 months earlier. Heinkel smiles proudly as his knights display their growing strength. Heinkel then credits Logan and Patrick's lordly training. He acknowledges that their training under his authority was worthwhile. Across the battlefield, Reiko finds himself locked in a duel. An ally rushes over to assist Reiko in the fight. The attackers had misjudged Reiko, who disarms 2 opponents. The knights identify Reiko as high-ranking after witnessing Ironblood's sword. Logan charges Callion, who immediately senses serious danger. Logan recalls completing the Divine Sword Secret's second form. His barrier has also been perfected through relentless training. Logan and Callion meet, their swords flashing against each other. Callion retreats with every strike, angrily calling Logan a blockhead. Callion unleashes his full strength, but Logan slips aside. The blade merely slices his ear instead of his body. Logan applauds the maneuver and questions whether Callion's swords are real. Callion conjures another sword, yet Logan remains unconcerned. Callion notices his weapons fail more often at close range. He needles him by calling him weak and unimpressive. Visibly irritated, Callion prepares another attack against Logan. He shuts his eyes as his core begins transforming. The core changes into a 2-star core within him. He evades Callion's strike and appears directly behind him. The momentum shifts and Logan badly wounds Callion. Callion finally understands that Logan has become high-ranking. He lifts his sword and gathers aura for the finishing blow. Drawing on raw strength, Logan leaps high above the battlefield. He decides Callion deserves the most flamboyant defeat possible. He concentrates his aura and unleashes the Divine Ripple. A tremendous wave of aura surges toward Callion. Callion attempts to block the attack, but resistance proves useless. Logan defeats Callion, and Sylvan's troops know the battle has ended. Standing imposingly, Logan shouts that he has defeated their leader. Seconds later, Patrick announces Sylvan's lord has been captured. Patrick orders every remaining Sylvan soldier to surrender. Logan smiles quietly, keeping his thoughts to himself. Afterward, Sylvan loses 42 knights and 1,223 soldiers. Maclean suffers only 5 knightly deaths and loses no soldier. A vassal informs a distant lord that Maclean defeated Sylvan. The distant lord decides the time has come to act. In Sylvan County, Sylvan's lord kneels before Patrick. Patrick offers him one final opportunity to avoid harsher consequences. He must apologize, keep only necessities, and leave with his family. Sylvan's lord looks up and warns royalty will reject the takeover. Behind him, Logan thinks that was the worst possible statement. He attributes Maclean's downfall to the Count's earlier mismanagement. Yet the person who caused rebellion sought profit from the one exploiting that chaos was Philip. Logan believes royal intervention prevents Philip from commanding Maclean's service. Yet Philip's name alone instantly ruins Patrick's mood. Patrick asks Sylvan's lord whether he wishes to die. Sylvan's lord starts answering, but Logan slices his throat. Blood pours freely as Logan leaves Sylvan's lord dying. Logan explains that an honorable death showed Sylvan's lord proper respect. Patrick nods approvingly and says Logan handled it well. Privately, Logan hopes other nobles will not exploit this incident. Philip worries him most because Maclean cannot confront him yet. Several weeks later, Logan speaks privately with Patrick inside Sylvan Castle. Logan notes that Patrick has shown no aggression despite their vigilance. Patrick asks why anyone should expect him to attack. In response, Logan asks what happens if Patrick attacks Tesseron Castle. Patrick dismisses that concern because Clayton remains stationed there. Logan agrees that raw strength alone never defeated Sylvan. Victory came because Sylvan underestimated Maclean's willingness to commit everything. Maclean used every available resource while Sylvan remained dangerously overconfident. Their hidden advantage was Clayton and his stone golem. Those forces remain concealed within Tesseron Castle for emergency. Despite those advantages, Logan knows managing 3 castles remains impractical. Maclean needs a better system for controlling everything efficiently. He proposes moving their territory's administrative center into the city. That arrangement would simplify oversight across all 3 castles. 2 neighboring vassals support Logan's proposal without hesitation. They already cleared the surrounding woods of their monster infestation. Consequently, Maclean Castle can function with only a minimal garrison. Their knights could remain in the cities, prepared for rapid deployment. From there, they could quickly reinforce either Tesseron or Sylvan. Patrick immediately considers Logan's proposal an excellent solution. Relieved, Logan says he will no longer manage everything alone. Patrick congratulates Logan, then asks how many knights were captured. He reports 75 prisoners, all presently locked inside cells. Among those captives, 8 possess the rank of intermediate knight. He asks permission to persuade them into serving McLean. One battle producing so many knights strikes Logan as remarkably efficient. Recruiting them seems easier than identifying and training talented youths. Still, Logan recognizes their victory depended heavily upon Sylvan's carelessness. A cautious Sylvan would have inflicted far more McLean casualties. They also would have captured only 1/4 of those knights. Logan doubts such an advantageous victory will ever happen again. He warns himself against becoming attached to that exceptional success. Patrick, unlike Logan, practically glows while considering their expanded forces. With such strength, Patrick no longer finds Patrick particularly threatening. Patrick credits every achievement to Logan's leadership and effort. His smile carries the unmistakable pride of a delighted father. Seeing Patrick's reaction, Logan blushes and quietly falls silent. Patrick tells Logan to enjoy his triumph for one day. Their happiness ends quickly when a household vassal brings Philip's message. The unexpected letter leaves both Patrick and Logan visibly stunned. Following orders, the household vassal begins reading Philip's letter aloud. Philip introduces himself grandly as the Lord of the Southwest. He complains about McLean participating in wars every single year. Patrick nearly erupts upon hearing Philip claim that lofty title. Despite Patrick's fury, the household vassal continues reading the message. Philip claims Viscount Sylvan personally requested his intervention. He orders Patrick and McLean to halt their conflict immediately. Each sentence pushes Patrick's anger closer toward an explosive outburst. Patrick rages that Sylvan started the war against McLean. Now Sylvan shamelessly seeks outside intervention after losing the struggle. Logan decides they should at least hear Philip's entire message. Philip admits the region's endless conflicts reflect his own failure. He claims he neglected his responsibilities as the region's lord. Philip also confesses that he never encouraged peaceful regional coexistence. Next month marks Philip's 50th birthday and his proposed gathering. Philip invites every Southwestern family's heir to attend that celebration. There, they will supposedly discuss the Southwest's future together. Patrick finally loses control and declares the entire proposal nonsense. His furious hands rip away the household vassal's clothing. Patrick shouts that Logan will make no such journey. McLean owes Philip no service, obedience, or formal allegiance. The letter warns that absence will signify rejecting peaceful dialogue. Patrick answers that McLean will never surrender to thinly disguised threat. Logan unexpectedly opposes Patrick and finds the invitation genuinely intriguing. Patrick gives Logan a look Logan has never witnessed before. Although Patrick claims respect for Logan's choice, he starts shouting again. Patrick tears away the final paper, still covering the household vassal. He swears McLean will never kneel to Philip while he lives. He grabs a nearby plant and raises it threateningly. He asks whether Patrick wants his burial arranged immediately. The household vassal intervenes and forbids any patricide in that chamber. Patrick finally settles down and draws one long, steady breath. Once calmer, Patrick asks Logan to explain his reasoning. Logan plainly states that McLean cannot defeat Philip right now. He acknowledges their present military disadvantage without hiding anything. They possess roughly 200 elite knights within their forces. Their ranks also include more than 500 high-ranking knights. Altogether, they command more than 300 knights in total. Even those numbers represent only a fraction of Philip's military power. McLean's situation appears favorable, yet their position remains dangerously fragile. They need time to integrate Sylvan's captured knights properly. McLean must also force Patrick to enter their service. Beyond those urgent goals, Logan himself still needs more time. That precious time lets Logan master the Divine Sword's third style. McLean's other knights can also devote themselves fully to training. Patrick understands, yet warns that the Southwest follows different rules. Unlike other lords, Philip cannot demand allegiance from neighboring nobles. Logan counters with troubling information uncovered inside the capital. Patrick and Ranyan secretly pledged their loyalty to Philip years ago. The revelation leaves Patrick staring at Logan in stunned silence. Logan smiles, pleased that Patrick finally permits the journey. He assures Patrick that he understands his own capability. He frames the expedition as a survey of their changed ancestral territory. The following morning, Hamar approaches Logan inside McLean's city. Hamar anxiously asks whether Logan plans to sell him to their enemies. Logan has absolutely no idea what Hamar means. Once Logan understands the rumor, irritation flashes across his face. His fist slams directly into Hamar's unsuspecting face. Logan orders Hamar to quit trusting every ridiculous story. Hammer protests that most rumors concerning Logan eventually prove accurate. According to Hamar, believing this one is hardly his fault. That perfectly reasonable defense leaves Logan unable to answer. Hammer reaches behind himself and produces a carefully wrapped object. After removing its covering, Hamar asks Logan to accept it. A sword forged entirely from pure mithril appears underneath. Even Logan falls speechless while staring at the magnificent weapon. At Philip's estate, Loon arrives by carriage as Patrick's heir. A solitary cloaked traveler nearby immediately catches Loon's attention. Closer inspection reveals that the mysterious traveler is Logan McLean. Loon is astonished that Logan successfully occupied Sylvan's territory. She assumes McLean suffered devastating losses during that military campaign. Otherwise, Logan would never be traveling without attendants or guard. Loon steps down and challenges the equal treatment given to them. In her eyes, Logan appears like an insignificant nobody. A gate guard attempts to calm Loon, but she dismisses him. Loon introduces herself and claims she has heard plenty about Logan. His alleged slaughter of 6 knights within seconds particularly interests her. Noticing Logan's spotless blade, Loon reaches out to shake hands. She remarks that Logan looks far younger than expected. Loon concludes that the tales about him must be wildly exaggerated. He smirks and tightens his grip with bone-crushing pressure. The painful handshake reveals strength far beyond Loon's earlier assumption. They separate, leaving Loon's injured hand trembling uncontrollably. Logan apologizes for mistaking her greeting as a strength contest. Loon swallows her tears and angrily calls Logan an idiot. She draws her sword, determined to teach McLean's heir some manners. The gate guard warns that private duels are forbidden here. Logan discards his cloak and says Loon talks far too much. Furious beyond restraint, Loon commands her accompanying knights to attack. He steadies himself and concentrates his aura into the mithril blade. In one flash, he passes every knight standing around Loon. Logan reappears behind them with his sword against Loon's neck. Loon senses no force or aura flowing outward from Logan. She concludes that the astonishing strike came entirely from his weapon. The gate guard approaches and asks where Logan purchased that sword. He curtly answers that asking such questions is deeply impolite. Loon decides Logan merely stumbled upon an exceptionally powerful weapon. Then Felix emerges through the gate dressed in full armor. The famed Moonlight Knight possesses strength worthy of his reputation. Philip must have an important reason for sending Felix personally. Felix studies Logan and asks whether he belongs to McLean. Logan's youth surprises Felix despite his intermediate knight status. Loon and her knights can only stare in speechless disbelief. His true rank finally explains Logan's overwhelming strength to Loon. Clearly, the sword alone cannot account for his earlier performance. High-ranking knights possess distinctive energy that they cannot fully conceal. Logan deliberately displays only enough power to satisfy Felix's scrutiny. Keeping his deeper strength hidden should prevent unwanted attention. With one hand over his chest, Logan respectfully addresses Felix. He hopes to someday reach the same formidable heights as Felix. Felix advises Logan never to become satisfied with ordinary greatness. Instead, Logan should pursue the distant realm of a superhuman. Felix escorts everyone inside while explaining who has already arrived. The heirs connected to Patrick and Ranyan reached the estate earlier. Everyone must wait for tomorrow night's party to officially begin. Loon tries mocking Logan again over his missing formal clothes. She even offers him pajamas as a deliberately insulting substitute. Ignoring Loon entirely, Logan asks a servant to show his room. Loon clearly fails to understand the danger surrounding her position. Logan concludes that occupying Patrick's territory should present little difficulty. He studies the looming building while remembering Loon's mocking remarks. He never intended to remove his armor during this visit. These lands once belonged to his ancestors, demanding constant vigilance. Later, Logan stands directly before Lord Philip inside the estate. Philip orders Logan to draw the sword from its sheath. Instead, Logan bows respectfully and offers Philip a formal greeting. He also wishes the Lord happiness upon his birthday. Nearby guests consider his conduct foolish and mock his rural manners. He studies the surrounding castles, cities, and their surprisingly welcoming residents. Those people speak warmly of Philip and describe him as benevolent. Philip welcomes Logan enthusiastically after his long journey. He presumes McLean will now cooperate with whatever Philip desires. All eyes settle on Logan as Philip awaits his response. Logan replies that McLean will always march beside Philip whenever Philip seeks peace. Philip praises Logan's wisdom and invites him to enjoy the celebration. Logan privately admits that Philip is an impressive figure too. As a fifth circle mage, Philip rivals an advanced knight during war. An announcement interrupts Logan's thoughts and calls everyone toward Philip's speech. Philip thanks every guest for attending his birthday celebration. He adds his thanks to the second prince for the gift of the sun's tear. The guests reel at Philip's apparent closeness with the prince. Philip declares that the Southwest must finally abandon its old traditions. He urges everyone to unite according to the second prince's wishes. That prince currently stands as the strongest contender for the throne. Logan recognizes Philip's polished demand for submission to the prince. Philip then praises Logan as an exceptional young man. He credits Logan with leading McLean to victory in 2 wars. Philip also calls him a genius who reached intermediate knighthood at 21. Extending one hand, Philip insists he will not pressure such talent. Instead, Philip claims that he merely wishes to present an offer. Reiko, the second prince's grandfather, is seeking gifted young pupils like Logan. Caught speechless, Logan eventually says that the invitation deeply honors him. Still, Logan explains that he already studies beneath another master. Philip asks whether Logan means his own father. He says a great man trained him and regretfully refuses. Philip remarks that young people certainly make their decisions quickly. He says Reiko will arrive soon and urges Logan to accept instruction. Philip intends to extend that same offer to every attending heir. He even permits Logan to bring Felix along for the lesson. Logan stops worrying about training and focuses on Philip's true objective. Philip is clearly exhausting every method to pull McLean into his faction. Another refusal would prove difficult, but Logan has already prepared safeguards. Logan thanks Philip for the praise and acknowledges his relentless insistence. He finally says that such persistence leaves him unable to refuse. Philip thanks Logan and celebrates his acceptance before the gathered nobles. He calls his decision the first step towards Southwestern unity. Philip adds that Raven and Rick have already agreed to join. As gratitude, Philip promises those two heirs personal rewards. Vassals carry forward a table bearing 1 sword and 1 hammer. Logan assumes Philip would naturally offer gifts worth 12 million won. Even so, he wonders whether Philip would truly surrender such treasures. Seemingly reading Logan's thoughts, Philip summons Raven and Rick from the crowd. Philip asks whether both men will swear their loyalty to him. Raven and Rick immediately sink to their knees. Philip grants Raven the Clayton sword and Rick the Castellon hammer. He promises proper rewards to everyone who serves him faithfully. Philip fixes Logan with a pointed stare while making that promise. A drunken Patrick stumbles from the crowd and loudly interrupts. Patrick asks whether Logan's sword looks finer than Philip's artifact. He keeps praising Logan's weapon, further insulting Philip with every word. With that reckless outburst, Patrick effectively digs his own grave. His sword possesses power equal to most genuine artifacts. Logan planned to use it for negotiations or delay if necessary. Patrick's drunken interference has now destroyed that emergency strategy. Philip asks whether Logan's sword is truly so extraordinary. He answers that fortune brought him a weapon forged by dwarves. Philip then requests permission to examine the blade personally. He knows surrendering it means he will never receive it back.